Hello, welcome back to the chat. I'm sad today, actually. I wanted to do a nice intro, but I'm sad today.
Yeah, it's a sad day.
It's a sad day today. It is currently 11:30 here in California, which means it's less than 12 hours now. It's actually less than 11 hours now before I'm on a plane.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, man.
Sad face.
Very, very sad. It's been lovely having you here in the US of A.
This is the last stream to go out from the Titan studio on this particular trip. And this wasn't one that we intended to do from the start. So normally we wouldn't be live until 9:30 in the UK for 40k After Dark if we are doing our normal schedule. We have to, however, go live a bit earlier because we may have made a promise on Tuesday and we perhaps didn't understand the gravitas of what we were promising.
Look, here we are 9 hours later, content-wise. We still haven't finished all the factions, but we're still here with y'all. It's going to be good. We're going to talk about factions.
If you haven't seen the previous 3 videos, you'll notice this is part 4. This is part 4 of 4. It has to be part 4 of 4 because I'm going home later.
Yep.
I'm flying back to old Blighty. And so there are 3 episodes so far. There are comments in each of them which tell you which is in one. Don't worry, when I get home, I'm going to go through each of them, change the thumbnails up, and put the chapters in. That's what it's called, isn't it? Chapters, when you break it up. And they'll all be in there, so you guys will jump to each faction that you want. But so far, we have covered, I think, something like 17 factions so far. And we're going to jump into the last kind of 5 or 6 right now. Caveat that I'll add is we're not going to be doing, in detail at least, the sub-factions for Space Marines. So the like Dark Angels, Blood Angels, we'll touch on them when we touch on the Space Marine parent codex, but that's like going through multiple detachments instead of just one, and every other faction we've just gone through one detachment, okay? We'll touch on them briefly, but we're not going to go into their indexes. We're not going to look at their stratagems. We're not going to look at their enhancements right now. Yeah. Mostly because we're going to run out of time.
It's just a lot to cover. If you do have specific questions, though, that is definitely the time to hit us up, let us know, and then we can talk about it in specific. But, yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us again today. It's amazing to see so many people back in chat, people that have actually been with us all through the week on all of the streams. You guys are amazing. If you enjoy the content, please make sure you smash all those magical YouTube buttons for us. So hit that like button if you enjoy the content, and smash subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. And if you're not talking in chat, it is actually possible that you're not a subscriber. And if you're watching this on demand, YouTube shows me that currently over 63% of people that watch our content aren't subscribed. It's free, it's easy. You press one button, you're done. Costs you nothing at all. There's no money comes out your bank magically. Of course, if you want that to happen, if you want money to come out your bank magically, you could become a member of the channel as well, which financially supports us, lets us do what we do. It is, in fact, what let me come out here. I just dropped my mic back on the floor. It is, in fact, what let me come out here for this particular 10th edition launch week, which has been amazing. It's a big thank you to you people. Without you people, I wouldn't have been able to make the flight across the Atlantic and come and hang out with the guys at Tabletop Titans. It keeps the lights on at home. It keeps the kids fed. It keeps Joe in his cupboard. It's really important to us.
It really, really is. Like I can confidently say that we would have about half as much content if it wasn't for you coming over here. So thank you for making all that possible on both channels. So it's been awesome having you. Glad we could really, really hit this launch hard and just give you probably more content than you could possibly watch. So
yeah, it's amazing. So thank you so much for those people that choose to be members, because you people are literally choosing to spend your own money as a monthly subscription to support us. It's amazing. Of course, there's other ways you can support us well during today's stream if you want to. If you've got big burning questions or you just want to say something silly, you can super chat. You can stick it on a big colourful postcard. We will get to them. I have to typically wait in between each index faction before I read them out so we don't lose our train of thought. Otherwise, it can get a bit silly. But please feel free to donate. What we do every single time we receive super chat donations at the end of the month, we total it up. 10% of the total profit made from super chats goes to charity, and we donate to Models for Heroes. !M4H in chat if you want to know a little bit more about that charity. It's a UK-based charity that use model kits to essentially support veterans, service personnel, and emergency service personnel as well. Super important. I won't bore you with detail. If you !M4H, it will give you some detail on Models for Heroes. So we do that. And finally, what you can do, like some amazing people in chat have already done,
oh my God,
is you can gift memberships, okay? So Tim's jumped in already and gifted 20 memberships off the bat.
Tim, thank you so much.
Tim, you're a hero. I love you dearly.
Legend.
You can gift membership. If you want to spend more than just your normal membership amount, because you have to be a member to gift memberships, but you don't really have anything to say, you can do what Tim's just done and you can gift memberships. What you then do is you give somebody else a little peek behind the curtain.
Yeah,
let them come and have a look at what's going on. Come and hang out in Discord. If you have just been gifted a membership, !Discord, click the link, jump into Discord. Make sure you link all the accounts properly. There is instructions in Discord how you can do that. Otherwise, you can reach out to one of the seers and they'll help you. And then you get yourself access to the full Discord. And if you enjoy it, maybe you'll consider skipping the gifted next month and becoming a member all by yourself.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's well rehearsed, that part.
It's good. There's so many words, so many things.
So many words and stuff.
I love it.
And if you could just all stop writing Liam in the chat.
Liam.
Already.
Yes.
So thanks, Kane, by the way, for the 5. Been watching all the previous on demand today. Loving this mini series. It's really great watching you guys discover combos and synergies live. Some of them, I think, we've got them slightly wrong, but we're learning on the fly.
Yeah.
We were talking about this actually. We were talking about this with Brian earlier.
Yeah.
It's actually been really helpful for me.
Very helpful. Oh my gosh. It's so much information. You know, we both do this professionally, full time, and so we spend a long time looking at it, but there's still just so much information. So it's nice, it's fun to spend a few, just a casual 12 hours sitting through, looking through every single book. And there's some books, as y'all have seen, that we haven't really had a chance to focus on. And so we're seeing them for the very first time and learning what is possible with this with you. So it's been very, very helpful, and hopefully helpful for you, everyone at home.
Yeah, it's been really good.
Yeah, I love it.
It's been a lot.
It's a lot.
But it's been really good.
Yeah.
But this is one of the beauties with 10th edition. Like we said to you guys yesterday, they have dropped a ton of rules all at once. And even for people like us who literally do this for a living, it's been a lot to take on board. So we're going to sit down with everything kind of out there and everything kind of already revealed, with the exception of 4.12, which I believe came out today. It's been nice to kind of go, okay, I can see how that and why that's happened and how that's different to that, etc. Which has been great.
Exactly.
Thank you, Tyler, for the team. Bombardment, he says.
Bombardment.
Excited to play 10th. Bombardment is a great.
Legend. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, man. You're a hero.
Oh.
Should we jump straight into it because we have an actual end stop today?
We actually do.
Because there's a flight.
Exactly. It's yep. We're just gonna keep this train moving. I'm very excited about this first faction. This is I did it again. Other than this is my second.
Trying to click on OBS again.
I know.
Nice.
I'm on the different dimension. Is this the right one? Hey, it's the real one. I love demons. This is my biggest collection, second only to orcs.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've got all the gods, ton of stuff. This is my first competitive army. I love demons, and I love this book. So let's take a look. So, army rule, this is something you're going to get in all your detachments. This is the Shadow of Chaos, which has been simplified, I think, from the previous edition, and I like it a lot. Okay. The way this works is there's certain parts of the battlefield that can be within your Shadow of Chaos. And basically, there's 3 zones that they determine. There is your deployment zone, there's no man's land, and then there's your opponent's deployment zones.
Okay.
Those are the 3 zones. And basically, at the end of any phase, if you have more models than your opponent in that zone, then it's considered to be within the Shadow of Chaos. So very simple, kind of just unlocks that. And that's what all these words are saying there. What does that do? Well, it does a lot of things later on in the book, but first and foremost, it does these 2 abilities. Demonic Manifestation. So while Legiones Demonica army, a unit from your army is within your army Shadow of Chaos, each time that unit takes a battle shock test, add 1 to the test, and if you pass, just pass, 1 unit heals D3 wounds. If they're battle line though, they get D3 destroy models returned. So this is real spicy meatball because this used to be, of course, if you're used to playing demons, on a 1, you would get D6 models back. But now all you have to do is pass, and you're going to heal, or you're going to get models back. So It's nice, it's flexible, kind of like the Necron reanimation. This works for big monsters too. The other thing that works, that happens, is you have the Demonic Terror ability. So while your enemy is within the Shadow of Chaos, they are going to get -1 to their battle shock tests. And if they fail, they immediately take D3 mortal wounds.
Oh, okay.
So you make them perils of the warp when they fail. So very spicy. I like it a lot, especially the healing part here.
Yeah, it's like Reanimate plus kind of the Rad Bombardment kind of, and a little bit of Chaos Knights all mixed in.
It is.
Sort of.
It's great. And you'll see, the -1 is super important. This is an army that likes to go against Battle Shock. It's not as heavy into it as Chaos Knights is, but it's still very, very interested in Battle Shock. Of course, on the right, we have this Demonic Pack section. This is the allies basically saying, if you're Chaos Army, you can take, in a 2,000 points match, 25% of your army.
Yeah. And this is how we're seeing people that have previously been on stream asking about substituting in or allying in Skull Cannons, for example, to Chaos Knights. Right? This is what allows you to do that.
Awesome.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
We then have these restrictions about basically, I don't think this is going to be news to anyone, but if you are World Eaters, which is all Khorne, you can only take Khorne demons. If you're Death Guard, which is all Nurgle, you can only take Nurgle demons, and it gives you restrictions. If you're running Death Guard, you probably want 500 ports of Nurgle demons, quite frankly.
Yeah.
But not saying that they're much better, but we'll have a look in a minute.
I like them.
Yeah, but there you go.
Yeah.
So that's how you add in demons to all of your Chaos factions.
Interesting. And interesting enough, lastly, of course, there is no Emperor's Children book yet, but the way this works is if your Warlord is Lucius the Eternal, then you can take Slaanesh demons.
Yeah, of course.
Which is super cute. Awesome. So that's the army-wide rule. This is the detachment rule, which is, again, this is another one where I'm very curious to see what the future detachments do, because this is something that's pretty core to the army. The way this works is each time a Legionis Daemonica unit from your army is set up on the battlefield using the Deep Strike ability, which the whole army has, you can be set up wholly within your Shadow of Chaos, and that lets you Deep Strike closer. So if you're in the Shadow of Chaos, you just have to be more than 6 inches away from all enemy models instead of 9.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Now, they don't have all the extra, like, this is how you can get even closer or farther or whatever based off leadership. They've just simplified it, just 6 inches away, which is awesome. It's very reliable.
Yeah, that's cool.
Very close.
And there's no restrictions, like sometimes we see factions have rules that allow them to come in within 3 inches, for example.
Right.
And they specifically state you can't charge.
Right.
No such restriction on this rule.
None here. It's very scary.
Okay.
So, strats. This is a lot of words, so I got you.
You sure? You want this one?
I do. I got this. Corrupt real space, 1 command point. At the start of any command phase, you select 1 Legionis Daemonica unit from your army that's within range of an objective marker that you control. Long story short, basically this makes it sticky objective secured. So the objective becomes corrupted and remains under your control even if you have no models within range of it until your opponent controls it at the start or end of any turn. Interesting that it says turn, not phase.
Yeah.
So if they have a high OC unit that charges your big demon on no point, they might take it until your big demon fights back and kills them. So that's kind of cute. Even if the demon dies, then you'll still have it if you kill it back.
It also stops scenarios. There's a lot of these sticky objectives that say the beginning and end of any turn. It also stops things like you move within range of it and then you charge off of it. Well, if you do that, then at the end of the turn, I still control it.
Exactly.
Even though at some point during that turn you controlled it, at the end of the turn, because it used to be phase specific.
Yeah, which lets you kind of do these weird slingshot things.
Yeah.
Like you need to secure the point. You need to burn everything.
There are a couple out there that are still phase specific, interestingly. But
Yeah.
this one specifically, is with most of them at the moment, is beginning and end of any turn, which is cool.
Makes it strong. In addition, while an objective marker is corrupted and under your control, basically the area of the battlefield within 6 of it is considered to be within your army's Shadow of Chaos, which is cute. There's a lot of abilities that get much stronger with that.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that's that
cool.
one.
I like it.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna try not to do there we go.
Yeah, try not to break everything. Draft of Terror.
Oh, would you like a Draft of Terror?
A Draft of Terror. Okay, it's another 1 CP strat in your shooting phase or the fight phase. So this can be used in either of the player's fight phase, which is the fight phase. 1 Legionis Daemonica unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight this phase. Then to the end of the phase, improve the armor penetration characteristic of weapons equipped by models in that unit by 1. In addition, until the end of the phase, each time such a weapon targets a unit that is battle shocked, you can reroll the wound roll. That's a good stratagem for 1 CP.
It's really good.
Like I feel like just 1 CP for extra AP is already good.
Yeah.
And the fact that you have that extra interaction if you're targeting a battle shock unit just makes it even better.
It's a lovely combo. In my experience, it most of the time is just +1 AP. There are ways to proc battle shock. We'll talk a bit about data sheets later on, but the big question is when can you force people to take battle shocks out of phase, basically. And of course, skull cannon is one of the main reasons. They are kind of an old school battle cannon, so they're not bad. They're decently durable. And every time you finish shooting any unit, battle shock. And for like 115 points, they're really nice. So you can shoot something, battle shock them, run in with your big unit, your monster, and you get full rerolls with +1 AP. Amazing.
Someone in chat has already said, that they can't seem to ally demons into their Chaos Knights. Is that intended? I'm gonna at this point assume a app bug more than you can't take it, because that's very obviously says if your army is chaos.
Yeah.
It just say army, doesn't it?
Just says if every
model from the army has the chaos keyword, you can take demons.
Yeah.
And chaos knights have the chaos keyword.
Yeah, totally.
So you should be able to do that. So I'm going to assume an app issue rather than an illegal choice that's yet to be clarified by the
Good question. This is Warp Surge. This is a very strong stratagem. 1 command point in your charge phase. You select 1 Legionis Daemonica unit from your army that's within your army's Shadow of Chaos. Till the end of the phase, your unit is eligible to declare charge even if it advanced. What? Advance and charge Bloodthirsters? Yes, please.
Oh my god.
Check, please.
That's amazing.
It's so good.
1 CP.
Now, the balancing factor, which I think is smart, is the fact that you have to do this in your charge phase. So you can't start in an area that you control and kind of yeet them out and give them advance and charge. When you go to make the charge, you have to be within the shadow. And this is cool because what it means, again, in my games, it's often, your opponents had the turn, they hold the midline. So you need to form a plan by which you take the midline by the time you get to the charge phase, so you can throw them in.
Yeah.
So this is a very strong strat.
I think what's going to be interesting with this stratagem is, and I think some of the stratagems that exist across multiple books, is because they have that qualifying factor that is within your army's Shadow of Chaos. People are going to miss that. And they're going to go, I can advance and charge for 1 CP.
Sure.
Like, hang on a minute. No. You're in no man's land, and it's not currently under the shadow. You can't do it.
I did that to John in our first game.
Yeah, so there you go.
That was beautiful.
So, we've made a couple of mistakes ourselves. So sometimes it's through skim reading. We talked about Thousand Suns yesterday.
Yeah.
I talked about being able to make Terminator Stormbolters psychic weapons and then use indirect fire on them. Actually, you can't do that.
Why is that?
Because making the weapons psychic weapons just requires you to have a psychic unit. Giving you reroll hits and wounds for psychic weapons just requires a psychic unit. Indirect fire only targets a psychic model. And someone in my comment section picked me up on that recently, and I was like, actually, they're right.
Good catch.
That's
good
fine,
catch.
yeah.
Because just the sorcerer is a psyker in the
model,
unit.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and this is where we're going to have, I think, some of the issues in 10th edition are going to raise their head in the early stages, at least until people get used to it, where you go, that's a cool, because how many times you do this, right? Even in 9th, you get a new codex, and you go, that stratagem and that ability and that rule and that relic, and you go, all this together is amazing, and someone goes, no, it doesn't quite work that way because of this. You're like, the whole thing fell apart.
Yep, exactly. And you've already made the moves to set up for it, and you're like, I'm just standing here.
I can't do that now.
Crap.
Okay, so we've then got the Denizens of the Warp for 1 CP. In your movement phase, 1 Legionis Demonica unit from your army that is arriving using the Deep Strike ability this phase. Your unit can be set up anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 3 inches horizontally away from enemy units or models, and the restriction is you can't declare a charge. That's what we just talked about.
This is a very strong strat, just like you were saying. It's very, very strong, especially so you have flamers that are very cheap. It's 65 points for 3 flamers. Drop them in. They can still flame. You can maybe take an objective, or of course you can drop some high OC battle line. Very, very strong stratagem in 10th edition, right?
Yeah, super good ability. Everyone who has this has a strong strat.
Yeah.
And it's not just for the ability to drop in within 3 and shoot. If you think about some of the things that require you to take objectives in the secondary missions as part of the tactical deck, things that require you to go into certain areas of the battlefield and do actions, this basically makes it incredibly hard for your opponent to screen out and stop you from doing some of those things. So this is a really good stratagem.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. Boop. All right, let's take a look at page 2. We've got the Realm of Chaos.
Oh, you've got the wordy one again.
I know, God, the worst. Well, let's see what the Realm of Chaos does. This is a 1 command point stratagem. At the end of your opponent's turn, this is starting to sound familiar, you select up to 2 Legionis Demonicus units from your army that are within your army's Shadow of Chaos, or 1 other Legionis Demonica unit from your army. Remove the targeted units from the battlefield and place them into strategic reserve. They'll arrive back on the battlefield in the next reinforcement step of your next movement phase using the Deep Strike ability. And you cannot, the course caveat is you cannot select units that are already in engagement range of 1 or more enemy units.
So it's uppy downy.
It's uppy downy. It's very strong. I think it is mildly less strong in this army because it is not a shooting army.
Yeah.
And you can't do it when you're in combat, obviously. So it's strong, but I think that very much limits it in this book.
The balance is quite nice as well. Like, I like the fact that you only get 2 if you're in Shadow of Chaos. You get 1 otherwise.
Yeah,
I kind of like that balancing factor to it too. It's cool. I like it. And remembering when you come back in Deep Strike, depending on where is Shadow of Chaos, you can then come in with a 6 of your enemy.
Exactly.
Someone in chat just said Be'lakor gives out a 6-inch aura of Shadow of Chaos.
Exactly.
There's some cool shadow. Like we haven't really touched on this in too much detail because we jumped straight to stratagems. But in terms of the narrative rules for Chaos Demons, I love it.
So cool.
I think they're really cool narrative rules.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. The fact that demons that are in the Shadow of Chaos area just start to remanifest is just super cool. The fact that enemy units in Shadow of Chaos areas start to take damage because of the warp is super cool.
Yeah.
I just love the whole narrative aspect to this.
It's very narrative, and the rules just feel much more clean. The last book felt kind of janky to me. There was a lot of weird, oh, here's my wound cap bloodthirster, and then there's this constant game of the opponent just trying to throw out units to screen in your. It was very. I didn't love it.
So I worked on the last book as a playtester,
Yeah.
and when I first got the book in hand, I actually kind of loved it. And this goes to show the fact that sometimes even playtesters don't fix problems because after a while, I fucking hated the book.
Right.
And not because it was just because when you went to events, you typically just saw a slight variation of the same list everywhere.
Yep.
I was like, okay, this isn't the greatest.
Yep.
This is, I really love these elegant rules here, these narrative rules. I think they've done a good job.
I think it's very cool.
So we then have Demonic Invulnerability. What is this? In your opponent's shooting phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets, 1 Legionis Demonica unit from your army that was selected as the target of 1 or more of that enemy unit's attacks. To the end of that phase, each time an invulnerable saving throw is made for a model in your army, re-roll a saving throw of 1.
What do you think about this one?
Yeah. I mean, it's 1 CP,
Yeah.
so I can see how it could be attractive with a unit that's got 4-ups, re-rolling 1s is better than 4-ups with no re-rolls. So it's okay.
For sure.
When you look at the other stratagems that the demons have access to, this is just one that I don't see being used super commonly. Just because it's 1 CP that I could be spending on one of the other ones.
Exactly.
It's a nice to have.
It's cute. I'm curious if anyone in chat has any ideas, or maybe there's something we're missing about this one because it feels pretty underwhelming. But yeah, it's okay. It's fine.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, this is, what, 6 amazing stratagems, 5 amazing stratagems.
And 1 okay one.
And 1 okay one.
And of course, the demonic invulnerability chat is important here because demonic invulnerability has changed. It came in for a few months, and they went, oh, that was a fucking silly idea, and they got rid of it. So the old 9th edition demonic invulnerability where you couldn't ignore it with invulnerable saves, I mean, with anything that ignores invulnerable saves, they don't require that anymore because they don't have any weapons that ignore invulnerable saves now.
Exactly.
Importantly.
They just have a whole game of devastating wounds.
They just have devastating wounds, which is the same thing.
Oh, it's really good.
So here's what I would have liked for demonic invulnerability for 1 CP instead. 5-up field pain against mortal wounds.
Yes.
That then makes sense.
That would make so much sense.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's how I would have liked that stratagem to work.
Exactly. Let's take a look at these enhancements. They're pretty awesome. I feel like you need to do this first one because it's a Khorne one.
Argath, the King of Blades. The king.
Why is Shane calling me?
The King of Blades. This is a Khorne Legion because he's needy. That's why Shane's just so needy. A Khorne Legionist Demonica model only add 1 to the attacks and strength characteristic of the bearer's melee weapons. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's okay.
While the bearer is within your army's Shadow of Chaos, add 2 to the attacks and strength characteristic of the bearer's melee weapons instead. It's okay.
Yeah. It's okay.
Like it's okay.
Yeah. I don't always fit this into the list just because points, and this is an army that actually does have small units of points. So it's like would you rather have this, or would you rather fit in another unit of flamers? You know, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. The Endless Gift. This one I like a lot, and it feels mandatory for Great and Clean ones. You select a Nurgle Legiones Demonica model only. The bearer has the Feel No Pain 5+ ability, and while the bearer is within your army's Shadow of Chaos, the bearer has the Feel No Pain 4+ ability. This is on a very high toughness model, which finally, or I guess it had before, has a 4+ invulnerable save. So 4-up, 5-up, 4-up, 4-up. It's very cool. It's. I think if you're not running Rodigus, then you have to take this on the Great and Clean one.
Yeah. I mean, this is something that makes big Nurgle models feel as durable as they perhaps just should be in the first place.
Yep, frankly.
To be fair. So it is a good enhancement.
Absolutely.
I like it. I'm a fan. We're going to look at next. Which do you want to do? Do you want to do Soul Stealer or the Everstave?
I want to do the Soul Stealer.
Okay, so because there's less words.
No, because I have opinions.
So the Everstave is for a Tzeentch demon model only. Add 1 to the strength characteristic of the bearer's range weapons and increase the range characteristic of such weapons by 3 inches. Whilst it's within the Shadow of Chaos, add 2 to the strength characteristic and add 6 to range weapons instead of just the 3. I don't really know what the Tzeentch range weapons are for these.
Yeah. So really, again, we're kind of thinking about how does this feel in the Lord of Change. It's not the most it's not overwhelming. But what it does do is, with the weapons that it has, it kind of pushes you into the next damage strength bracket, because ultimately this army does not have a lot of shooting, and so it's going to struggle into heavy targets at range. And with the profiles that the Lord of Change has available to you, it does take you to a couple brackets. Like I think it can get you from strength 9 up to 10, and then the other one it takes you from like a 10 to 11 or 11, 12. You know, it takes you to the next bracket. So if you're worried about killing tanks in your army, I think you can take it. Again, if you have extra points, you can take it. But I think if you're not taking Mono Tzeentch, these other ones are already more interesting.
And they apply to all range weapons, I guess. And I'm assuming that the Lord of Change probably has more than one range profile.
I think so.
Because his psychic attacks will now be range weapons.
That's the main thing. Yeah, it's that and then the Rod of Sorcery.
Yeah, okay. So it's cool. I like it.
This next one, however, is amazing. This is the Soul Stealer. You select a Slanesh Legiones Demonica model only. Each time the bearer destroys an enemy model with, you have to say it that way, with a melee attack, you roll a d6, adding 1 to the result if you're within the army's Shadow of Chaos. On a 4+, you gain 1 lost wound. This is awesome. I'm really bullish on Keepers of Secrets.
Okay.
Because the Aegis is back, baby. You give the Aegis 5-up Feel No Pain. So this model is -1 to hit, 4-up Invuln, 5-up Feel No Pain, and now when you kill models, you heal on a 4 or a 3 with no cap. Oh, it's so good. And they have like millions of attacks.
Okay.
Oh.
They can't see that.
I know. I love this. Shalaxi is amazing, but once you've taken Shalaxi and you want to take another keeper, then this becomes very, very interesting.
Yeah, okay.
So
I'm into it.
Look, this is, I think, This is the best by far in my opinion. I think you take this one if you're going to take a great and clean one, and then these ones like if you have the points.
I think the core. I mean, at the moment, I still think we're going to see a ton of Bloodthirsters around. So I feel that the Blades is not a terrible choice.
It's not bad at all.
Someone's already pointed out in chat that you use those abilities on either of his profiles. So if you're sweeping, it just makes him more compelling straight away because he gets more attacks, more strength. Yeah, I get it. He's cool. Hang on, add 1 to the attacks and strength characteristic of the bearer's melee weapons. That's interesting nowadays as well because you don't add 1 to the attacks characteristics and triple it like you used to.
Correct.
You just add the 1.
Yeah, well this also used to give, there was a way to get +1 damage, which took the sweeps to 3 damage.
Yeah.
So it is good. Not to say these aren't bad. These aren't bad.
Yeah, they're not bad. They're not incredible. They're not auto-includes. I do actually like it when an enhancement isn't an auto-include.
Yeah, it's kind of a problem when they are, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So datasheet-wise, there's a few standouts. We have to talk about Be'lakor because we talked about mono build, and I think, unfortunately, Be'lakor still feels like a auto-include in the army. He's just so essential to the way the army works for a couple reasons. We mentioned the fact that, of course, within 6 inches of him, you are within the army's shadow of chaos.
Yeah.
Wait, what? If he's not in the beginning, where would he be?
He'd be right at the bottom, wouldn't he? They'll
Right?
go through all the corn.
Yeah.
Then they'll go through all the Tzeentch, will be my next guess.
Okay, I'm just trying to...
Oh, look, got it, nailed it.
Nailed it.
Then I reckon it'll be Nurgle.
No,
No, he knows. There'll be finish
you
at
know
the
how this
end.
works. Well, now you're like, you're guaranteed to get this one right.
And then it'll be Be'lakor.
Be'lakor, he should be first.
Be'lakor or Soul Grinder, probably.
Yeah, and Demon
We still,
Prince,
don't have,
maybe?
we still don't have Furies of Chaos back.
I know. Oh, you're right. Here we are. Okay, so Be'lakor. When you're within 6 inches of him, not wholly, you're within the army shadow of chaos. Amazing. I'll tell you the main reason he's an auto-include, though. So he has, like many of these big Supreme Commanders, 3 abilities that you select at the start of the battle round, importantly. This first one is the most important. Again, this is a non-shooting army. Wreathed in shadows. It's an aura, psychic aura. While a friendly Legionis Demonica unit is within 6 of this model, that unit can only be targeted by a ranged attack if the attacking model is within 18 inches. What? So you can have these very fast, greater demons, other things, just sitting in the back line. You can't shoot them.
The borderline lone operative.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Isn't that, with models that can advance and charge in, with fly, with fast movement, all this stuff. It's
So what the fuck? So if you come up against like a guard player who's playing probably what we think is one of the strongest builds of guard now, which is indirect parking, like you're like, cool, you can have the whole board as your range.
Yep.
Don't care.
Yeah, 100%.
That's mad.
So crazy strong.
That's maybe too strong.
It might be, honestly. It honestly might be. So that's the main thing. The other ones are cute. Like one has the thing we saw in Chaos Knights where you can force people to take battle shock tests if they're just injured or below starting strength. So that's cute. And then one lets you reroll your battle shocks, which is also cute.
Yeah, they're both cute, but you're going to take the first one almost every time.
You're going to take the first one almost every time, especially once you get in. So Be'lakor is awesome. He hits like a truck. We're seeing also in this army, it did gain more shooting due to the fact that a lot of these psychic abilities just became shooting profiles, and they're quite good. So like Be'lakor, for example, has, if you overcharge it, which you always should, this is a 12-shot flamer with devastating wounds at AP3. It's awesome. It automatically hits.
What?
Yeah.
What? How does it automatically hit?
So it's got...
It doesn't have...
Oh, my bad. This one's not.
Torrent.
This one's... Some of them do have that. My bad, my bad.
Okay.
My
it's
bad.
still a 12-shot hitting on 2s,
Yeah,
though.
exactly.
At strength 6 minus 3, 1 damage with devastating wounds.
Yeah.
Okay, that's still really good.
It's very, very strong.
Yeah.
So...
They add one to AP and devastating wounds. Was that just melee or in general?
I think just melee.
Okay.
Yeah. It doesn't give devastating.
No, it gives
reroll wounds. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, you see where I'm going now.
Yeah. I think it's just melee, but that'd be super cute. So that is a very, very compelling profile. We talked about the Skull Cannon, which forces battle shock.
Yeah.
The Keeper of Secrets we talked about is amazing.
Yeah. The Keeper of Secrets is great. What about Bloodthirsters nowadays? I'm conscious I'm going to make you go right back up to the top.
That's okay. So I like Bloodthirsters. I would probably put a Bloodthirster in most lists.
Yeah, they were a unit that we saw a ton of in 9th edition.
Yes.
Bloodthirsters were there in droves, either of the Scar brand variety or of the standard Bloodthirster with the 8 wound cap.
Exactly.
And sometimes both in a single list.
Precisely. Now, I know Fly has been hit a lot, but Bloodthirster is nice because he has Fly, because it's going to let you jump over screens, which you're going to have to do if you don't want to just get chump blocked. So, beep, beep, beep. We've got toughness 11, 4-up save, of course 4-up demon. This is probably the biggest drawback to the Bloodthirster is it doesn't have Feel No Pain. right?
Okay.
So that's why I really like the Keepers, because they have that inbuilt, and Shalaxia has it inbuilt, again, because Devastating is everywhere. But you come stock with the Great Axe of Khorne, which I don't think you're going to want to swap out for these kind of crappy shooting attacks. So you stick with this because it's 7 attacks that are basically always in Melter range in melee.
Oh, wow.
Or you do 14 attacks at AP 2 for 2.
Yeah, that's good.
It is awesome. So you're hitting on 2s.
And if it is melee only, this is a guy that you can give an additional AP to and reroll wounds.
I like it a lot on this guy.
Yeah, okay.
Gives +1 to hit. So this guy also is immune to being damaged, as you pointed out yesterday with Magnus. Even if you're bracketed, you're -1 to hit. But guess what? He gives himself +1 to hit. Hilarious.
Brilliant.
And then this Relentless Carnage ability I love. At the end of the fight phase, you select one enemy unit within engagement range, and you roll 8d6. For every 4+, Liam, that enemy unit takes 1 mortal wound.
Yeah, I kind of like the old rule was on a 2+, it took D3 mortal wounds.
Yeah.
This is just cooler because it's 8 for Khorne, so I kind of like it.
It's thematic, it's
and I
stronger.
think actually, arguably, you would just do, I mean, 8 dice, 4+, maths tells you you're going to do 4 mortal wounds, which is also more than we used to get.
Exactly.
If we look at the Bloodthirster's profile for melee, you know, there's 7 attacks and 40 attacks. Oh, it's less than the other one. Yeah, but there is more damage, more strength, and not forgetting you can put the King of Blades on it, and you go up to at least 8 attacks with the strike profile at strength 17. And if you're in shadow range, you go up to 9 attacks at strength 18.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's awesome.
You're gonna hit like a tank.
So I love Bloodthirsters. Keeper is great. We don't have to go to Shalaxi's profile, but I'll just mention she's so interesting given she's always had this problem of being the demon that hunts characters. So it's like, get these bonuses against characters. Like, cool. That's like really hard to get. But guess what? We're in a land in which everyone joins, characters join units, you get the character keyword. She gets full rerolls. Hit, wound, damage against character units with a d6 +1 damage spear.
What? Mm-hmm. All 3?
All 3. And she just goes, and she has a crazy number of attacks. With Devastating on the claws, and she of course has a psychic shooting attack, and a 5-up Feel No Pain, -1 attacks when you're in 6 of her.
Is she a problem, or is she just really good?
I think she's just really good.
Okay, that's good.
Because if you get close to a D cannon, she might just die. So.
No.
She has Feel No Pain.
No. The comments on YouTube, Adrian, are telling me that Eldar aren't a problem.
Oh man.
Even on the battle report last night that we did with Bridger, which is on the Titan channel, you should check it out.
Yeah.
Even on that battle report, when I said, hey, here's what I could do, and then I didn't do it on purpose, and then I, spoilers, and then I lost. I was like, is everyone saying Eldar's a problem, but this guy lost? I'm like, I told you what I could do, and I didn't do it to make a game of it, people.
Right, exactly.
Like, oh my god.
No sense of the nuance of the thing, right? It's like, yes, this thing is crazy. No, we're not just going to put a absolute blowout, you know, on the stream, because that's not a good entertainment for you guys. So like, we do it the way that you did it, so we can talk about it, show it, and then still have a good game.
We want to teach people what these things can do, but still make it entertaining for the people, right? One person was in the chat in the comments going, why didn't you just take more D cannons?
No way.
Yeah, because I didn't I didn't want it to be a one-turn game, that's why.
This is entertainment, people. Great,
cool.
Showed up, played a half-hour game, awesome.
Anyway, we're not talking about that, we're talking about demons.
So that's why I like the Keepers and Shalaxi, because they do have the 5-up Feel No Pain inbuilt.
Yeah, that's cool.
Gives them resistance.
It is clutch as well, considering, is there any 3-up invulns now, or is it all 4-up? Because if I remember right, Tzeentch went to a 4-up as well.
Yeah, Tzeentch is just 4-up.
Which is good. I feel like 3-up can become a bit obnoxious.
It's too much.
But you 4-ups, and you do have that 1 CP strat to reroll 1s.
Yeah.
For me, I skimmed through the Demon book a while ago. I haven't looked at it since I know you've been playing it. I haven't played with mine yet, because I predominantly play Soul Khorne Demons, because, you know, I'm a Khorne fan.
Yeah.
But they looked pretty solid. There was some good choices. I
think
do
they're good.
unfortunately feel like, and this is sad, but I do unfortunately feel like the Nurgle is the worst out of the 4 demons, which is horrible, because Death Guard players are going, cool, my faction's terrible, I can stupid Nurgle, they're also shit.
I think they're the worst ones for sure. I know. This isn't going to help Death Guard players, but I think they're much more playable than they were in the previous edition, where they were horrible, and they're much more playable mono Nurgle demons.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. There's a couple of amazing combos in there. I know, we're going on too long about this book, but I love this
good.
book.
I know you love demons.
I love demons. Plague Drones.
My flight's not till 10:20. We're good.
Oh, perfect. Plague Drones, if you hit someone with Death Heads, full rerolls to wound with Nurgle demons against that unit.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
That's strong.
Rodigus, start of fight phase, whoosh, picks a unit with an 18. All Nurgle demons +1 damage against that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Beast of Nurgle, still great. 6 attacks, 2 damage, devastating wounds. So you take this, suddenly you're getting, what? This is 6 3 damage attacks, 4 rerolls to wound, devastating wounds against a target. That's pretty spicy. I like it. And I like Plague Bears. So I think they're better than they were before. You could never run mono Nurgle before. Doesn't help the other players.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, mono Nurgle is more compelling than souping them into Death Guard because you have to take that crippling handicap that is running Death Guard.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Okay.
Before we leave, I just want to talk about one more unit.
Oh, okay, we're not done, chat.
We're not done. We're not done. I'm sorry. The Changeling is super cool. So the Changeling has everything you would hope. Lone Operative, so you can't target it beyond 12. Stealth. But here's the fun stuff. Formless Horror. You ready for this? Anytime an enemy unit wishes to select this model as the target of attack, the unit must first take a Battle Shock test. If it has failed, in addition to actually being Battle Shocked, that enemy unit cannot target this model this phase. Isn't that awesome? And then, even if they don't shoot you, you have Mischief and Confusion. At the start of your opponent's shooting phase, select one enemy unit within 12 and visible to this model, roll a dice. On a 2 through 5, until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, subtract 1, no matter who they're shooting at, and if you just roll a 6, then your unit can't shoot at all.
So there's a couple, I mean, firstly, this feels very Changeling, so I'm kind of cool about the narrative, but there's a couple of things that kind of surprise me about this particular model's rules.
Totally.
And the things that I'm a little bit shocked at is nowhere in either of those abilities does it then allow the attacking unit to select another target.
I think this one's 100% on purpose.
So that, I mean, what?
Yeah. Like, do you want to shoot him? Maybe. I don't know. It's so cool. And his shooting profile is good too. This is the Flamer. He's got a D6 plus 3 shots Flamer with ignore cover. And it's AP1 for D3 damage. So, like, you don't really want to ignore this guy.
No, he's not bad.
So I'm really into this guy.
Yeah, he's cool.
He's great for scoring. Anyways, that's it. I'm done.
You done?
I'm done.
You spent. Okay, good.
I'm done.
Beautiful.
All right, that's it. Thanks for tuning in.
We do have some chat people to talk to. That's not chat for tuning in. We've got more to go. We've got some chat people to do. Just switch it to fan funding. But in the meantime, I want to say, my lovely wife is in chat right now. Yeah.
Hello.
And Melody has said, I think I... Shut up, Siri. Melody has said, I think I've seen more of your husband than you have. Probably not wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So we're going to jump straight to chat. Thank you, everybody who's been donating. Like I said, don't forget 10% of it goes to charity. And if you don't have anything to say but you want to help us out, gifts and memberships, you wonderful people. So the word that none of us can say, Martin, take a Crassus, 5 Cyclops inside. That's a car bomb.
Right. This is guard stuff?
This is Forge stuff from today, I think.
Did they actually keep that model?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Of all the things to cut? Sorry.
I actually can't say this. I can't say this on stream. I was going to ask you something.
Okay,
but I actually can't say this yet because I'm not sure what the dates were because I skimmed the email.
Well, that's fun.
Stu, thank you for the 5. Looking forward to 12th edition. Wolves might be good by then, maybe. Liam, has Adrian taken you out for coffee and donuts yet? Like every morning.
Every morning. That's all we have here.
Every morning, yeah. Over the course of the Titans tournament weekend, all we had for breakfast was donuts. It was great. I'm looking forward to getting home and eating some salad. Thank you for that guy over there for the 5. Should I use a Vindicator or Redemptor to deal with Greater Demons? They're the only big boys I've got. Out of the two, I'm going to actually probably go... Oh, this is a hard one.
I'm surprised by my answer.
You're going to say Redemptor?
No.
You're going to say Vindicator?
I've been against the Vindicator because of how expensive it is, but if you're worried specifically about demons, the one weakness of the Vindicator, other than being expensive, doesn't matter. It's 24-inch range. You can't shoot at these guys beyond 18. So you have to protect it. They're going to land, and they're going to kill something, and then you shoot them with this giant cannon. So I like the Vindicator.
And if it does get hit by a Greater Demon and happens to survive, you can still shoot in combat and not suffer the penalty. Yeah, I guess, actually. I get it. I was going to go down the route of the Redemptor simply because it has both the shooting profile and the melee profile, so it can kind of deal with both. I'm not against the Vindicator. I feel like the Vindicator just needs a slight points tweak to be good, and I think that will come. So there you go. Perfect. Thank you so much for the donate, your hero. Brian, thank you for the 5. Tantalus Sheet is out and looks like it looks to kill elites. Oh my god, I'm struggling to read today. I'm tired. It's been a long week.
Okay.
I'm not sure about it. Did kill a parking lot with HL Scourges, Heat Lance, I guess. Yesterday, fire and fading. Good work, lads.
Ooh, I love it.
Heat Lance Scourges are good. I don't know what the Tantalus does, but it says it looks like it kills elites. He's not sure about it. Thank you for the good work, lads comment. That's nice.
It's not in the app right now.
I'd have to look at the Tantalus. The Forge World stuff came out today, and if I'm honest with you, I haven't read a ton of the Forge World data sheets. Because at the point at which we got the Forge World, for me personally, if it was the same for you, but the point at which I got the Forge World rules through, I was exhausted. I'd read so many rules. I was like, I don't want any more. No more Games Workshop.
Can't do
it. But thanks for the donation, you're a hero. Martin, thank you. Martin Easterman, thank you for the 10. I'm hoping today is the day for Dark Angels review with the juicy deets. We'll be watching later in bed, just off to a chabless Grand Cru tasting with shooting on the morrow. Cheerio for now, Liam and Adrian. Sounds amazing.
Cheerio.
We're probably not going to really touch on Dark Angels. I feel like I need to do a separate episode just on Dark Angels, just for Martin.
I can say a brief word when we get to them about.
Yeah.
I actually looked at Dark Angels last night specifically for Martin.
The amount he's donated.
I knew he was going to be here.
He's donated just to ask about Dark Angels. I'm like, I need to give him some special treatment.
He's been waiting all week.
Yeah, we need to tickle his balls. James, thank you for the 10. 3 units of 3 tarantulas with either twin-linked heavy bolters or twin-linked las cannons cost 315 points total and has an ability to use the fire Overwatch stratagem for 0 CP, even if it's already been used.
That's fun.
Stronk.
I don't know if it's good.
It's good.
It's 110 for 3 heavy bolters though. That's all it is.
The thing is, it's still hitting on 6s.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Is it like Overwatch is powerful in this edition, but I think in some circumstances people are putting too much weight on how good it is.
Totally.
It's good in flamers, it's good with things like Fate Dice and Miracle Dice. It's maybe not so good just as standard, although I have done some cool things with Overwatch, as we saw on Tuesday's game for members only on Titans. I'm not going to spoil it, but it was cool.
I want to get some for my fists now that they're like actually going to stay in the game.
Yeah.
So.
Peaches the Destroyer, thank you for the 10. Out of everything I've seen, 10th edition is just a shooting gallery, and melee gets shot to pieces before getting there, then bounce when they hit. My Space Wolves don't feel like Space Wolves at the moment. How do I fix it, or do I wait on Games Workshop?
Yeah, it's a tough time for Space Wolves, and more specifically if you actually want to play the Space Wolf stuff, right? And Mel's kind of going through the same problem right now, where it's like a lot of the good things aren't really flavorful for Space Wolves. I think you need to try to find a balance for yourself of what will make you happy versus what will play well, which, let's be honest, will also influence how happy you are, because you want your units to feel like they do what they need to do. I like Thunderwolf Cav because they are actually surprisingly affordable. They can hit decently hard. But then even think about like how can you take some of these other units and make them feel more Space Wolfy, either through like conversions and things like that.
Yeah. 10th is a new age. I've said this at detail last night on the Good Talk as well, right? 9th and 10th are, although both Warhammer 40k, they're two different editions. And I'm a predominantly melee player, so I'm feeling your pain right now. And I'm kind of having to relearn how I play the game, because a lot of what I used and abused in 9th edition was things like movement shenanigans, because of the way you could charge, pile in, consolidate, all that kind of stuff. And I used it to my advantage because it was perfectly legal and I could do that. A lot of that stuff's gone now, and I'm kind of having to relearn how I play my World Eaters. Now, my World Eaters, I would argue, in terms of pure melee armies, are probably the best in the edition right now, in terms of pure melee armies.
Okay, yeah.
Because you could argue that Custodians are better in melee, they probably are, but they also have decent range weapons.
Right.
They have some good ranged options as well. But in terms of pure melee, I think World Eaters are probably the strongest.
Yeah.
If you watch the game we played on Saturday morning against Adrian's Gene Cult, I basically killed his whole army.
You did.
Problem with Gene Cults is they all come back, which is a slight problem. But still, I was able to make that work, and I'm still kind of trying to learning the nuances between charge blocking yourself, so you don't have to get everything in play. It's going to become a more technical army to play. I do agree that it's slightly harder in 10th edition, and it does seem to tend to lean itself towards shooting more than anything at the moment. That's kind of my gut feeling as well right now.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're unplayable.
No, they're definitely not unplayable. And I think one thing that's kind of evolving is the terrain that you want for 10th edition. I think that we're going to want denser boards. And I can say definitely on Titans, we're going to have some talks about terrain in the near future about what would actually make for a good 10th edition board.
Yeah.
So stay tuned.
Okay. Martin, thank you again for the 5. Forgot, how could Space Marines run a Warhound Titan? Looks like that could light up some Custodians. Love to see Bridges' face when you carry that to the table. Do you know when they first dropped those points for us and they were 1,100 points for a Warhound, I was like, please, can we see more Warhound Titans?
Right, yeah.
But when you look at the tables, the terrain, and just how much of a pain in the arse it's going to be playing with a Warhound, I don't think we'll see loads of them.
No.
But it would be funny to be like, hey, Custodians, here's a Warhound.
Right? It's cute.
We should make that a thing.
I think it's at the right power level.
We're keeping you up, Adrian.
No, you're good.
Are you sure?
We talked about demons already, so I'm all tuckered out now.
But thank you again, Martin. You're a hero. Dave, thank you for the 2. What's Death Guard need to make it average?
Ooh. Well, let's talk about that when we talk about Death Guard.
Yeah, let's come in. We'll get there, Dave, I promise you. Liberty Fires, thank you for the 10. Liam, making sure you are good and the Titans are taking care of you. I know Adrian doesn't answer top 3 questions, but hopefully he is answering all of yours.
Liam.
They've really looked after me, to be honest with you. They've really looked after me. It's been great. I turned up I've stayed with Adrian and Mel this week. I turned up, they had a little crate in the corner, a little cage that I could stay in. It was lovely. They did shut me in each night, which was awful because I couldn't use the bathroom. And so by the morning it's a bit messy, but then they took me outside and hosed me down.
Yeah, the hosing actually helps a lot.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been really nice. Fed me through a little hole in the cage. He then gifted 5 memberships. Yeah, like a hamster wheel.
Yeah. Thanks, Liberty Fires.
Thanks, Liberty Fires, you're a hero. Zip25, thank you for the 10. Seeing a lot of demon allying into competitive Chaos Space Marine lists. Kairos, 3x3 Flamers, and the Changeling are all super popular, alongside 3x4 Obliterators and 2x1 Forge Fiends. That's interesting because I don't rate Obliterators.
I don't either, honestly. I really don't. I think Kairos is cool, and he does give indirect, which is very spicy, but he also gives other abilities which bring value. Yeah, we're super not sold on Obliterators. They feel just expensive, and the once per game indirect is just like not enough to shift. So
yeah,
I think it's cool. I feel like don't feel obligated though. You know.
I like the fact that it's an option. You don't get all necessarily of the rules from Chaos Space Marines, but it is an option, and you can do it. And I kind of like that as well, because Chaos often feel like and I think Chaos players out there, you probably will agree with me on this one. We often feel like we get kind of shafted by GW comparatively with the sort of Loyalist brothers. Just look at what's happened with Forge World units.
Yeah.
So having the option to ally in demons in a nice, neat way, and actually looking at it and going, there is a compelling reason to bring some of these demons to the table, I think it's just a really nice place for Chaos Space Marines to be in.
Agreed.
Thank you, Duncan, for the 2. He says, all can't shoot rules can be redirected as per their designer's commentary.
Core rules. Oh, okay. Shucks.
That would have been far too good.
That would have been awesome.
I did wonder.
That one I think would have been fine, but all right, G-dubs.
Richard, thank you for the 5. So my main armies are Adeptus Mechanicus, Custodes, Blood Angels, and Knights. I guess I'll mostly be playing Blood Angels then. Hashtags bombardment. Good
bombardment.
Man. So, I mean, Knights are very good. Custodes are very good. And I don't feel like you should feel like you just can't play them.
Correct, yeah.
As long as your opponent knows what you're bringing to the table, then you're fine.
Yeah.
If it's a casual game. If it's a tournament game, it's a tournament, Rich. Do what you want. Yeah. But Blood Angels, I look like they're also going to be fun as well.
They'll be fun.
I mean, you're not going to have a bad time playing those, but don't feel like you can't play your other factions, apart from AdMech. Definitely don't play those. They're trash. And thank you for the 5 gifted as well. You're a hero.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm going to go back into all chat.
All chat.
All messages. I can see you again, you beautiful human beings. Cool. Should we go for the next codex?
Let's do it. Well, I don't know if you want to do this next one.
Yeah.
You ready?
Do I want to do the next one? What's the next one?
We're generally pretty positive here. We got to talk about Death Guard.
Oh, no. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's talk about Death Guard.
Yup, let's do it. All right. Boom. Boom. Death Guard.
No.
It's another one that makes me sad. I have a full Death Guard army. Brian has a full Death Guard army.
I love Death Guard.
They're so cool.
The aesthetic's cool. The narrative behind Death Guard. Right, I love World Eaters. I love Thousand Suns. I love Chaos. People know I love Chaos. The narrative behind Death Guard is one of my favourites. I don't know why, but the Nurgle kind of aesthetic, the whole thing that they're just this undying, unyielding, unstoppable, slow, like crawling rot. I love it. I think it's really cool. Yeah. The fact that in the lore and the narrative, you blow chunks out of them and they just don't die, and then they drop this.
Yeah.
So the army rule is Nurgle's Gift, which is an aura, okay? It's essentially what we had before with Contagion range. It really hasn't changed all that much. So if your faction is Death Guard, while an enemy within Contagion range of this unit, subtract 1 from the toughness characteristic of models in that enemy unit. Contagion range changes over the course of the battle as shown below. So turn 1, it's 3 inches. Turn 2, it's 6 inches. Turn 3, it's 9 inches, and it sits at 9 inches for the rest of the game. It's cool.
It's cool.
As a narrative rule. The problem, and it worked nicely in 9th edition.
Yes.
The problem is, as we've said so often so far on these particular series of streams, is the toughness bracket has gone from here and it's gone out like this. Okay, and the strength bracket has gone from here and it's gone out like this. So the toughness bracket has got so big that when you walk up to something like an Imperial Knight and make it -1 toughness, or a Liam and Russ and make it -1 toughness, on the whole, it doesn't make a massive difference. Guess what? You go and make a Liam and Russ -1 toughness, melter guns are still only wounding it on 5s.
Yep.
Doesn't make any difference at all.
Yep. You know what would have been really cool? Well, one, they could increase this number. They could make it have different brackets depending on the toughness. Or would this be crazy if you're within contagion range? Death Guard are +1 to wound against you.
That's where I would have gone with it. That's exactly where I would have gone with it.
That would be cool.
That because of the massive increase in toughness bracket, that actually makes this a usable rule and quite cool.
Yeah.
On the whole, I don't feel like this makes a massive difference.
No.
There'll be cases where you'll go from wounding on a 5 to a 4, maybe sometimes you're wounding from a 4 to a 3, and sometimes even from a 3 to a 2.
Yes.
So if you're in a contagion range and you're shooting your bolt gun at my Eldar Guardian, yeah, cool, you're going to wound me on a 2, but you probably weren't struggling to kill me anyway.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's the trouble with it. It goes from 3 to 6 to 9. Cute. Detachment rule. This is probably more sad. So good news for you Death Guard players. In the next detachments, you won't have this rule because they'll have to give you something else.
Yeah.
As it is.
That's a terrible take. The positive we can take from this index is that at some point in the future you won't have to use this index. It's what you basically just said to people.
100%. That's what it is. That's what it is. Literally, when I first read this, I was like, cool, this is part of their army ability. What's the detachment rule? And they're like, it's like the Anakin meme. They're like, that's it. That's the rule. I'm like, what? Spread the sickness. If you control an objective marker at the end of your command phase and a Death Guard unit from your army is within range of that objective marker, it becomes infected. So this is kind of like the demonic ability we just saw. So they remain infected. You control it. Even if you leave it and your opponent has to take it and hold it at the start or end of any turn, just like the demon ability. And like the demon ability, you have this other stack that exists on it. It's going to be corrupted. And this basically counts as being contagion range. The downside to this is the contagion bubble, unlike the shadow bubble, is based off of your enemy mostly, and it's relatively short range. So often if your opponent is going to be in range to get infected, to get the -1 toughness, they've actually already taken the objective and turned the bubble off.
Yeah, so it's fucking pointless.
So why?
Yeah.
You know, and I will say Chaos Knights also have the similar ability, but it's a 12-inch bubble. So even if they're just near it, then they're hit by it.
Yeah, it's trash.
Sucks. Anyways.
Yeah.
I don't even know if there's much worth talking about.
Can't say much more about that one. It's a terrible detachment ability. And the thing that gets me so far, so I read through these when we first got the faction rules through, and I was like, okay, nothing in the army rule or the detachment rule is indicative of Death Guard being incredibly resilient. Disgustingly, some might say, resilient.
Yeah.
I was like, cool, we'll probably find it on Datasheets. More on that in just a moment. So they have some stratagems like everybody else. The first one we're going to look at is Ferric Blight for one of your finest command points. Your shooting phase or the fight phase. So again, this can be used in either fight phase or your shooting phase, hence it's a blue, not green. A Death Guard unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot. Is it green or blue? I can't see from here. It
green.
is blue, isn't it? Is it green?
Yeah.
Is that the one that's both? Blue, yours, green, both? Okay,
because
green,
it's
not
not
blue.
fight phase.
That's what I meant. Your tally needs, we need to colour correct it.
Yeah.
One Death Guard unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight this phase, and the effect until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack, improves the AP characteristic of that attack by 1.
Ooh.
If the target of the attack is within contagion range of an infected objective marker you control, and a critical wound is scored for that attack, improve the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 2 instead. Right.
The baseline is good. 1 AP for +1, 1 CP for 1 +1 AP, that is good. That's a great ability. The second half has 2 requirements to it.
Why didn't they just leave it as if it's in contagion range?
Correct. Or if you get a critical, +2 AP.
Yeah, I
Why both?
don't even mind that critical being +2 AP if you're in contagion range, but you have to specifically be in contagion range of an objective marker that's infected. Yeah, read it.
Oh my god, it gets worse.
It's worse.
There's 3 requirements.
It's worse, Adrian.
No.
You have to be, if the target of that attack is within contagion range of an infected objective marker you control. It's worse.
That's upsetting. And still only procs on 6s.
Yeah, still only goes off on a critical wound roll.
God.
It's just like, okay, 1 CP for +1 AP is cool.
Yeah,
We've already spoke about that.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's perfectly fine. The second part of this ability, you're like, what were you thinking? James, what were you thinking?
Right.
Why did you do that?
Yeah.
You missed the fact that it had to be an
I
objective
did.
marker
It was already
specifically.
bad enough.
Yeah.
I was like, why? God, they're already down. Stop kicking them. Well, look at this. Disgusting the resilience. 2 command
cool. A
points.
strategy for 2 CP. to do
2?
what your army probably wants to do across the board anyway.
Right? This goes in the fight phase just after an enemy unit has selected its target. So you cannot do this versus shooting attacks.
I know. In a
What?
shooting edition.
I didn't even know that. You target 1 Death Guard unit from your army that was selected as a target of attack and of 1 or more enemy units' attacks. Okay, cool. They didn't say while it's on an objective that's corrupted and it's a rainy day outside while your aunt has just got cancer. None of those requirements. Instead, you just do it. Effect at the end of the phase, each time that you didn't laugh at my joke. It was a good joke.
I can't laugh at your joke because this is just so terrifying and sad.
You're crying. Basically, what this does is it's -1 damage.
In the fight phase.
In the fight phase!
In an edition which is probably more centered around range, weaponry, and shooting, you only get disgustingly resilient as a Death Guard. Like, again, I'll go back to the narrative we were talking about at the start of this particular review, right? Narratively, you have las cannons blowing chunks out of Plague Marines who just keep walking towards you.
Right.
Apparently not. If you get hit by a las cannon, it's going to probably kill you. But if someone slaps you with a sword, that's when you might be okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's 2 fucking CP as well, Adrian.
It's way too much.
What?
It's too much.
Disgusting Resilient, let's be clear, right? In 8th edition 40k, Disgusting Resilient was a 5-up field of pain for the whole fucking army against everything all the time.
Yeah.
In 9th edition 40k, Disgusting Resilient was -1 damage for the whole fucking army all the time. In neither of those editions do I really feel like Death Guard were totally broken and stupidly overpowered.
Yeah.
And now it goes to a 2 command point stratagem that you can only use in the fight phase.
I like the idea that, you know, Death Guard players, again, they go from the 5-up field of pain to the -1 damage, and it was all like, oh, is it better, it's worse, blah, 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 taking stuff away from us. And then GW's like, hold my beer, you don't get that either anymore.
If it was 2 CP, but you could use it in both phases, it'd be slightly more compelling.
Right, correct.
But I'm just sad that this has become what was a core identity piece of Death Guard. I'm sad it's become a stratagem at 2 CP that is basically probably mostly not going to be used.
It's too much, man.
It's dog shit.
It's too much.
So, this is one of those, by the way, this is one of the, considering we're also not on Titans, this is one of those faction reviews where I feel like it would probably be appropriate to swear.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just shit.
Yeah, it feels like it. I don't know if you can tell, when you turn like that right now, again, we're just getting the back of your head. It's just like full potato.
He's just disappeared now into the Matrix.
Literally can't see you.
Full potato! Brilliant, thanks man. Thanks, you're so kind.
Sanguis Flux?
Sanguineous Flux, I guess, I don't know. In the fight phase, a Death Guard unit from your army that has not been selected to fight or to fight this phase. It's all fight phase stuff, which is interesting. Until the end of the phase, weapons equipped by models in your unit have the sustained hits 1 ability while your unit is within range of an infected objective marker you control. Those weapons have sustained hits 2 ability. So this whole detachment ability, which we pretty much agree is basically pointless. I step onto an objective, I hold it, it becomes infected. You step onto the objective, you take control of it off of me. It's now my turn. Guess what? You've taken control of it off of me. It's no longer infected. I can't use this stratagem.
Yep. And again, if this was, there's no reason that you shouldn't be able to use this in the shooting phase, other than I know this is kind of taking the infections from the previous book, the contagions, and like tweaking them. Think about it this way: if it was at least the shooting phase, standing on an objective could be interesting because you're standing on an objective that you hold and you're shooting your bolters across, right? It makes sense. You infected it, and now you're kind of sending that miasma forward. So it's again overly restrictive to try to fit this like narrative. The base ability is okay. 1 CP for sustained hits 1 on a unit is okay. It's just,
so we both have agreed that sustained hits is great.
We like that.
But you only get it if you're an effective objective marker in melee.
It's too much, man. It's too much.
It's just bad, right? And this is where, like, so far I'm looking at everything. I'm going, so far I've got nothing that's super exciting to use.
Yeah, normally it's like, okay, there's some rough spots, but this is interesting.
Yeah, I know.
I see nothing that gets me excited.
And the problem I have now, right, is if it was like, okay, this just is a little bit below everybody else,
right.
Even more I could probably be like, okay, maybe. But then we have, I remember your reactions yesterday when we were reading out the night rules, okay?
Yeah.
And then we're looking at this and going, what? This can't have been the same rules writer. No. It just can't have been the same rules writer. No. So Gifts of Decay is another 1 command point stratagem that you use in your command phase. You select a Death Guard model from your army, and your model regains up to D3 lost wounds. If your model's unit is within contagion range of an infected objective marker you control, your model regains up to 3 wounds instead. 1 CP D3 wounds back on a character isn't terrible. Or even a tank. It's Death Guard model, okay? So you could put this on Plague Blast Crawlers. You could put this on Mortarion.
Yeah, to me this
D3 wounds back on Mortarion.
Yeah, this is Mortarion strat in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'd be hard pressed to use it on anyone else.
So it's okay. It's in your command phase, and because it's in your command phase before you take battle shock tests and it instantly resolves, doesn't matter. Like it's okay.
Yeah.
Getting flat 3 wounds back on an objective marker you control that's in contagion range is also not so bad this time around.
Right.
Simply because you have no requirement to be near any enemy units.
Correct.
So if you're on your home objective and you've infected that home objective and you've got a Plague Blast Crawler sat there and you spend 1 CP, you just get flat 3 wounds back. This is a better iteration of layering in your detachment bonus as part of the stratagem. So I'm more okay with this one.
Yeah, I agree.
But it is again overly restrictive in places. We've got 2 more though. They can pull it back.
We got this. This is it.
We got this, GW. Come on.
The Boil Blight. This is a 1 CP strat. In your shooting phase, you select 1 Death Guard unit from your army and 1 enemy unit within contagion range of the first unit.
Okay.
Okay. What's the effect? Until the end of the phase, each time a weapon equipped by a Death Guard model from your army that targets that enemy unit. Hold on, wait. 1 Death Guard unit from your army. Okay. That's right. This is a weird one. Oh God, I can't even. Until the end of the phase, each time a weapon equipped by a Death Guard model from your army that targets that enemy unit, that weapon has the heavy and ignores cover abilities. So.
This is shit.
There's so many requirements. Enemy unit, within contagion range of your units, you pop it, and then all of your units, like all the other units, get heavy and ignore cover. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy. It's not good. And of course, people have been trying to find creative ways to make this interesting. There's the Hellbrute in this book. When you shoot, you can like count them as being within contagion range. But because of the way that this actually works, you can't do that. So those combos aren't even working. Sucks. Sucks. Like, it just sucks.
The thing is as well, the ironic thing is that the Death Guard unit that you select, that has to be the unit that's within contagion range of the enemy unit, probably won't even get the heavy bonus because you probably had to move there to get in contagion range in the first place.
It's an ability based around not moving in a game that you need to move for.
Which you can't really do with Death Guard. This is the other thing. Chat's been pointing out, and I've been skimming through chat as we've been talking. People are like, well, all these abilities in the fight phase are great, but Death Guard are so fucking slow they won't get there anyway.
Correct.
Not wrong. Cloud of Flies, though. Surely there's one good stratagem in the book, Adrian. Surely there's one good stratagem. 1 CP, your opponent's shooting phase, just after the enemy unit has selected its targets, you target 1 Death Guard unit from your army that was selected as the target of 1 or more of that enemy unit's attacks. Until the end of your phase, you have the stealth ability. So you pop smoke. I mean, it's not bad. 1 CP for -1 hits, the same as lightning fast reactions essentially. So, and I use lightning fast reactions, so it's good, it's solid. But because all the other stratagems are kind of just so meh, it sits as this is the best of a bad bunch.
Yeah, and I think honestly it would not have been out of question to actually give them a pseudo cloud of flies, like give them a type of lone operative.
So we've seen it all over the place. We've just looked at Be'lakor.
Be'lakor has it.
It's a 6-inch bubble of you can't target me unless you're within 18 inches for all of my demon units.
Exactly.
Right?
That would be totally fine.
So, and we have lone operative, and we've seen other rules in other armies that give things lone operative. Infiltrators, Gullyman with the Phobos Librarian, all this kind of nonsense that exists.
Yeah, I'm aware it's a different army, but GSC literally have this strat. It gives lone operative and it gives stealth.
Yeah, right.
So,
and Death Guard just get the Cloud of Flies stealth. That's it.
Again, we're not.
So far, in my opinion, this is, if I was looking at this as a Death Guard player, this is absolutely fucking disastrous. I'm
sad.
I'm keen, chat. If there's Death Guard players in chat, scribble your thoughts on a colourful postcard and send it in, because I'm probably going to miss some of what you say if it's not on colourful postcards. Don't feel obliged to, obviously, but I am interested to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, we're very curious.
Enhancements then. Living Plague is the first enhancement. Add 3 inches to the range of the bearer's aura abilities, including Nurgle's Gift. So turn 1, you start off on a 6-inch aura. Turn 2, you go to a 9-inch aura, and turn 3, you go into 12-inch aura. It isn't restrictive, doesn't say you can't go above 9.
Yeah.
That's nice.
It's cute. It's your main ability.
It's okay, yeah. But we have already said how Nurgle's Gift is a bit shit. So you're paying points to extend an aura that's a bit shit, essentially, okay?
Yeah.
What's next?
The Droning is an aura, which used to be a very powerful warlord trait. You select a Death Guard model, and then while an enemy unit is within contagion range of the bearer, each time that unit fails a battle shock test, you roll a dice. Oh my god, it's so bad. You roll a dice on a 2 through 5, the unit suffers 1 mortal wound. On a 6, the unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Wow.
It's bad, right?
Why is it so bad? No. So we're going to look at Tyranids, Zoanthropes. If you fail battle shock nearby, you just take the D3 mortal wounds. And then that's a fine ability.
Which is baked into the datasheet.
Yeah, demons do this anytime you're within the shadow of chaos.
For D3, not 1.
And this does 1. And it might not even happen. You could roll a 1, nothing happens. This is shockingly horrible, Liam. This is appallingly bad.
We have Deadly Pathogen. The Death Guard model only add 1 to the strength and attacks characteristics of the bearer's melee weapons, because clearly that's what Death Guard want to be in this book. While the bearer is within range of an infected objective marker you control, add 2 to the strength of the attacks characteristics of the bearer's melee weapons instead.
This is killing me.
The person who wrote this was drunk.
Yeah, they had to be.
They had to be. Yeah.
I don't even want to talk about it. Shamble Rot, Death Guard model only. Each time the bearer's unit is selected as the target of an enemy unit's charge, until the end of the phase, subtract 2 from charge rolls made for that enemy unit. This is awesome. This is the only auto take out of these 4, and it's great. It's a very powerful ability. I love it.
Yeah, I mean,
we said something positive.
It's the only enhancement I really think I would be. I mean, I may be tempted to take Living Plague, potentially. Shamble Rot. So if I had some points left over, Shamble Rot's my first pick.
For sure.
Living Plague's my second pick.
Yep.
The other 2, I'd probably rather just take the points differential.
Probably, yeah. You can maybe buy some Poxwalkers with that.
Yeah, maybe.
Buy some Nurglings that you ally in.
Yeah.
Because then it gives you Infiltrators, which, by the way, you don't have.
Oh, no.
Yep. Okay. So that's the detachment and the army. Datasheets wise, I think Mortarion is kind of cute. He hits like a wet noodle, unfortunately.
So, we said right at the start, right? We're discussing resilient. Hey, there's no army or detachment ability that makes him super durable.
Yeah.
So surely it's on the data sheet of all of the Death Guard models, they have something that makes them durable. Apart from it doesn't.
All right. I was trying to just cheekily zoom in on the Deadly Demise, and that's like the only thing that this guy has.
Yeah.
They have no keywords. It's horrible.
They have nothing. What have you done? You broke it?
I broke it.
You broke it?
I actually broke it.
Are you on OBS or are you on?
I'm in the real place.
You're
All right, hold on. Huh?
Cool, we did it. We fixed it. We fixed it.
It's rough. You know, you're getting the +1 toughness, which again, everyone's getting +1 toughness, so it's...
Well, so this is the thing, right? When I saw Blight Lords went up to toughness 6, I was like, oh, cool, so they're going to improve Death Guard's toughness.
Yeah.
And then I saw that Gravis went up to toughness 6.
Right.
Allurus Custodian Terminators went up to toughness 7. And I was like, now they don't feel tough anymore.
Yeah.
So compared to 9th edition toughnesses for every other army, pushing Death Guard up to a base toughness 6 felt like, okay, they're tough motherfuckers now. That makes sense compared to other infantry. But then when we saw the things I just spoke about, I was like, they're not that tough.
They're not.
They just kind of sit in this medium place.
And they're slower. They move 4 inches.
And who thought moving 4 inches was a good idea?
Not only did they subtract a movement, they also remove their inexorable advance, which, as you mentioned, is kind of like the key thing in Death Guard. Is they, even in the lore, they move slow, but they never stop moving, and you can't slow them further. They just keep going. So this would have been, was not a crazy ability to...
So moving them to 4-inch move for most of Death Guard is also horrendous when you think about the things that currently reduce movement in the game, which I feel like are going to be very compelling, very good, very interesting.
Right.
Barb Gaunts. Barb Gaunts for no points at all can target 5 separate units, and each unit that they hit, it's -2 to move, -2 to charge, -2 to advance.
You move 2 inches with this army?
2 inches?
2 inches!
So how do you get in contagion range if you're moving 2 inches? How do you get to melee if you're moving 2 inches, advancing at -2 inches, and charging at -? You just don't.
Now, if you advance, your advance is also -2. So if you advance, your total roll is -4.
So Tyranids are just laughing at you at this point, going, you can't, you're stuck in your deployment zone, you can't go anywhere.
If you roll a 1 on your advance, I think, isn't it actually negative? Like, you move slower than if you had not advanced?
Well, I don't think you can reduce it to below 1, can you?
Because it's a roll? Yeah, okay, that's true.
Honestly, GW, please. GW, please.
Makes me sad. I think drones are cute. I think Plague Bear's Crawlers are kind of cute. They have indirect.
I don't think there's much we can say about the data sheets. It's just not very good right now, to be honest with you.
We know, we can't, we're not going to lie to you here.
I'm going to give you super chats to read, so I'll use the bathroom, and don't worry, I'll take the batteries out.
Thank you.
Where do we get to? Richard dropped some, okay, Richard dropped the memberships here, so everything below you can talk about.
Legend.
I'm going to go quickly dive in the bathroom chat, because it's a long time sat here talking to you people.
Bombardment.
You're amazing. What mic am I on? 2?
2. What's up, what's up, what's up? Thank you so much, Shay Connolly, for the $5 super chat. Trying to understand, do pink horror, when they die, have blues put in the unit? And when blues die, brimstones come in? Thanks. You know what? That's a fantastic question. I believe so. Let's go ahead and just pull up the Chouse Demons book and see. Let's see it for ourselves, because it is very wordy. It is oddly complicated, and they've built in ways to basically just do mortals, I think, instead. But let's take a look. I'm very curious about Tzeentch demons in general, so I'm curious what people's thoughts are. To me, other than like Fady, it feels like you have to invest a lot of points, you know, support characters and setup and all that stuff. So I'm always a little bit wary about that. So here's the blues, which you can take as a separate unit, but it looks like they're really, the pinks are the ones that are pointed to move, meaning like you're actually paying not much less for blues, so you might as well just take pink. They don't want you to take that. So split. Each time a pink horror or blue horror model in this unit is destroyed after the attacking unit has finished making its attacks. If this unit was not destroyed, so if you kill them on activation, this doesn't trigger. Roll a d6 for each of these models on a 4+. If it was a pink horror, you add 2 blue horror models to this unit. And if it was a blue horror, you add 1 brimstone horror to the unit. Awesome. So there you go. You do add it. And then I think, I'm just curious, do brimstones just do some mortal wounds at the end on their way out? This is the blue horror unit. Actually, I guess they wouldn't, because they would have already put it in there. So that's interesting. Oh, this totally jumped all the way back up. So yeah, they do split. You do have that available. That is why pink horrors are kind of expensive, I guess. But the crazy thing is, like, they're actually not that expensive compared to the rest. Yeah, I was going to see if the blue horror unit has a rule in here, because they would have to have it here. Here it is, exploding horrors. Each time this unit is selected to fight, you can select one enemy unit with an engagement range of it. Then select 1 or more brimstone horror models in this unit. For each brimstone horror model you select, you roll a dice on a 4+, the model is destroyed and the enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound. Now interesting, this is only on the blue horror unit, actually. I didn't see this on the pink horror squad. So the pinks let you split into brims, but then the brims don't explode if you're in that squad, I think. Let me know if I had that wrong, chat. But that's pretty interesting. So there you go, Shay. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Thank you, Purdy Boy, for the $2 super chat. What if contagions were -2 to move? That would be interesting. It does have a slight problem of the fact that you're already close to them, so -2 move isn't going to do a ton. But at least then you could come back to maybe you're throwing in some of these bloat drones in to slow them down. It'd be cool for even like Chaos Spawn and stuff like that. So it could be compelling. Thank you so much, Rogue Squadron Trainee, for the $10 super chat. DG fixes. All right, let's see what you got. Contagion range, 9 inches all game. Death Guard get critical hits on 5 in contagion range. Enemy in contagion suffer -1 to hit, -1 to wound. Infected objectives remain infected all game. Oh, these are quite strong. These are quite strong. These could be. I think there's this compounding problem with Death Guard of, we looked at the army ability, it's bad. We looked at the detachment ability, it's bad. We looked at the enhancements, they're bad. We looked at the data sheets, they're bad. So if you're trying to do just one fix that tries to fix everything at once, then these sweeping, powerful changes might be what you're looking at. I would prefer that they do some changes and then fix the data sheets, because the data sheets are also really, really bad. So the critical hits on 5, I think, is interesting, which is actually something that we didn't really touch on Death Guard that I wanted to talk about, which is plague weapons. Plague weapons used to be rerolling 1s to hit to wound, and then there was ways of proccing full rerolls to wound. This actually was compelling in an edition in which, again, Liam can do the thing, you know, toughness is like this now.
Yep.
That would be compelling. Instead, what they did is they gave lethal hits, which is compelling only with certain types of weapons in a certain volume, which you don't necessarily have across the board. So I think Plague Weapon was interesting because it would work for all their weapons, no matter if they're a lot of shots, if they're high strength, or whatever. Lethal hits, do you actually need this on high strength things? Do you actually get good use of this if you don't have a lot of attacks? It's just too specific an ability. So critting on 5s at least makes all these lethal hits more compelling.
Yeah.
So interesting thoughts there, Rogue Squadron.
Just auto wound at that point, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly. It's like they made this partially the identity, but they didn't really make it strong enough.
Cool. Thank you, Ben. Yeah, I'm assuming you've gone through all these 3 here, right?
Yeah, so we just did this one, yeah.
Remember that you only make the objective sticky at the end of your command phase, so you'd have to stay on it an entire turn before you can heal flat 3.
My God.
Yeah, I know someone earlier said, I thought that they were under the impression that once you made an objective contagion, it stayed contagion. No, it specifically states you lose control of it. I mean, we could perhaps check the faction ability again.
Oh, right.
But I'm pretty sure it just flat states that you lose it if someone else controls it.
No,
it might be that you lose control of it, but does it stay?
I think it stays infected, but most of the infected abilities you have to control the objective. So,
Okay.
so it's cute. It means that if you need to, if you need to reclaim land that your opponent's taken, then that ability will trigger faster. So it's cute.
I'm slightly more into it if it remains under infection, even if the opponent controls it. If it stays infected, if your opponent controls it, some of those stratagems are a little bit more usable.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
It doesn't hide the fact that you still want to be then in melee with an army that is very slow and kind of trudges across the battlefield. And in this edition, I think typically you're going to find yourself with a lack of discussing resilient across the board, with a lack of inexorable advance, with a lack of all these things that they had previously. You're probably going to get blown off the table before you make it across the board for most of your units, unfortunately.
Oh.
Look, I don't want to hate on Death Guard.
No,
I
of course
love
not.
Death Guard.
Same.
I think Death Guard are an incredible looking model range. I think they're an incredible looking army. I think that there's super cool things they can do with Death Guard. I just feel like they don't know what they want to do with them. And this is a problem. And I don't even feel like, in my opinion, I don't even feel like it's that hard to work out what to do with them, because you just make them super resilient. They don't have to be incredibly killy. They just have to be very resilient. And they just can't seem to get there with them. And it really frustrates me.
Yep.
But anyway, thank you so much for the donor, man. You're a hero. Thank you, Kinoto Halrath, for the 5. No winged demon prince with living plague is about as resilient as Death Guard gets. True. It is. I mean, Mortarion has an inbuilt 5-up Feel No Pain.
Yeah.
Which is cute. It's nice.
You can spend the -1 damage on him in melee.
You can spend the -1 damage on him in melee, I guess,
Yeah.
if he's in melee, which is again okay. But I don't. He's not. I said this the other day. For me personally, I think he's the worst of the 3 demon primarchs right now.
Yeah, by far.
By a long way, yeah. Magnus is the top by far. Angron sits on this cute middle ground right now, and Mortarion is he doesn't hold up, in my opinion. But you're right, that's probably about as resilient as it gets, and it's not great. Datsun Des, thank you for the 5. Death Guard players can't afford postcards. They're currently financing new armies. Check the wording on the Death Guard Sorcerer and Terminator armor ability.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why we need to check that one. Let's check it.
Let's take a look.
Well, that's demons.
We were looking at demons when you were gone.
Oh,
I went back to demons.
Okay. So Death Guard, what did you say?
Terminator.
Death Guard Sorcerer and Terminator armor.
Cool. Very interesting that they kept all of these data sheets, by the way.
Chaos Lord and Terminator armor?
Like, they don't even have pictures.
Death Guard Chaos Lord. I mean, at least the Chaos Lords went up in toughness, unlike the last edition where they were still toughness 4 Space Marines.
That's true. I was actually below all this?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all right, I'll let you off because you're pretty.
Yeah, I'll try.
You get by on that too often, though.
Wow. That's right.
Lord of the Contagion variety, Death Guard Sorcerer and Terminator armor. Oh my god, that's some very... Is that why he just wants us to read lots of words?
Yeah. Exactly.
Putrescent Vitality, Pestilent Familiar, Designer's Note. Okay. At the start of the fight phase, you can select one enemy unit within 18 inches invisible to the Psyker. Roll 1d6. On a 1, the Psyker's unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. On a 2+ until the end of the phase, each time an attack is allocated to a model in the Psyker's unit. Subtract 1 for the damage characteristic.
Ooh.
Okay, -1 damage on a 2+ is
Wow.
okay.
Oh, I think it's mandatory.
Until the end of the... yeah, but it's still melee only. Still fight phase.
Yeah, but like, you were going to have to spend 2 command points to do that. And now...
If you spend 2 command points and do this, is it -2 damage?
That's a question for Bridger.
Once per battle, after selecting targets for a psychic weapon equipped by this model until the end of the phase, improve the strength and damage characteristic by that weapon by 2.
That's cute.
Familiar?
With the psychic weapon. No, this Putrescent Vitality psychic, very interesting. It feels so mandatory. Oh my god.
But I don't like the fact it's only melee.
I was thinking it's like good comparatively, but like, come on, you know?
Come on. I mean...
and you Curse of the Leper, you can turn into a 3 damage attack once per game. That's cute. No, I'm interested.
I'm not sold.
I think you need this.
I think in this edition where you don't want to be in melee, I don't care for it.
Brutal. Thanks for the super chat.
Yeah, thanks, Des. You're a hero. Christios Margaritopoulos. Thank you for the 10. Going to my first GT of July, Alpine GT. I'm thinking of bringing my 1,000 Suns and wondering if I should bring Magnus or not. If I don't bring Magnus, I would bring 2 Mutilec Vortex Beasts, else 1. What do you think? I mean, they're both solid. I have, in every game of 1,000 Suns I've played so far in 10th edition, I've used Magnus. I don't know if I'm in the kind of rare bracket here, but I personally feel like even in an edition where more units is going to be more compelling, and you have to put leaders in unit, and you want big unit sizes when you put. Even all that, his points investment, I still think you get good return on Magnus personally.
Yeah.
He's got really strong psychic range attacks. He works well with Kabbalistic rituals. He works well with the stratagems. He's got great psychic melee weapons. He is tough. He's got a 4-up invern. He's toughness 11. He's got 18 wounds.
You can -1 damage even against shooting.
Yeah, even against shooting. He's more durable than Death Guard. Like I think Magnus is a great points investment at this moment. I don't necessarily think he's an auto take, but I think he's very, very good.
Yeah.
Mutalith Vortex Beasts are also very, very good.
I think they are an auto take.
I think they're an auto take.
So frankly, I'm 100% in agreement about Magnus. But I would also try to, if you can, try to fit in at least 1, if not 2 to 3 Vortex
So
Beasts.
I've been taking Magnus and 1 Vortex Beast. If I had another Vortex Beast, because I don't, and I can't paint one the same as Siege.
Yeah.
If I had another one, I would actually try and take Magnus and 2 Vortex Beasts.
Yeah.
If I'm honest with you.
Yeah, that's what
And I was taking Forge Fiends, and I'd probably just get rid of the Forge Fiends for Vortex Beasts.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
That's where I would go, if I'm honest.
Agreed.
Yeah, absolutely. But you're a hero. You'll have a lot of fun. I think this edition at the moment, you're going to have a lot of fun with Thousand Suns.
That's gonna be awesome.
They're incredibly strong. I think they may take a couple of minute tweaks, which will feel like nerfs, because it will bring them down a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to, like perhaps Eldar Fate dice, going to get such an absolute battering compared to where they are now.
Yeah.
So I think you're just going to have loads of fun with this edition with Thousand Suns. Ben, thank you for joining us as a Jarl tier member. You're a hero. Ben Jarl, thank you for another 20. Some of our best data sheets are generic Chaos Space Marine units. The Chaos Lord and Terminator armor does D3 mortals to all units in Contagion on a 4+. The Lord of Contagion does 1 mortal on a 4+ to 1 unit in engagement range when he loses a wound. So the Terminator Lord is just better than the Lord of Contagion, which is a specific. Oh my god. Jeremy, thank you for joining us as a Hasir tier. Ben, that's sad.
Sorry, Ben.
Ben sounds like, he says our best data sheet. So Ben sounds like he's a Death Guard player. Please, Ben, save your super chat money and buy a different army. Because that's how you enjoy 10th edition right now as a Death Guard player.
Yeah, no, honestly.
Invest in Chaos Knights maybe, then you can use them with them. Homer, thank you for the 5. My Death Guard fixes. Add 1 wound to Marines and Terminators with Remorseless Advance. Wouldn't fix everything, but would fix -1 damage countering certain armies. I mean,
that'd be cool.
Adding a wound to every Death Guard unit wouldn't have been, I don't think that would have been too far-fetched. It wouldn't have broke the army.
No.
Like, I'd have been on board with that 100%.
That'd be really fun. That would really set them out. Yeah.
But
I don't think it's too crazy.
To some extent, although not quite mathematically the same, obviously, across multiple hits hitting you, adding a wound to each model is almost the same as giving you -1 damage against at least the first attack.
Arguably, it's still worse.
It is still worse.
Which I'm saying is a reason why it's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
You should put it.
It is still worse, but it is okay. Yeah. I like that.
That'd be
cool. Hey, our Terminators aren't 3 wounds, our Terminators are 4 wounds. Sweet. I mean, you're Death Guard. It makes sense.
Right.
I can blow an extra chunk off of you before you have to die.
There's your chunk.
There is my chunk. Right, cool. Thank you, everybody, for the donation. Legends. Let's look at the next army. Adrian, please.
What up? Oh, look, it's Chaos Demons again. Crazy.
Michael Cody comes in there with a mini super chat to celebrate MVBs being good. They are good.
Yes, I know.
What's this one? Who are we looking at?
This is Chaos Marines.
Chaos Marines?
Which we both love and adore.
Oh my god.
This is like one of my favorite of the 4 days we've done. Might be my favorite because we're doing so much chaos.
My god, when this index came out, I was like, oh my god. And Joe was like, well, I don't understand.
Right. I
was like, no, this is so good. So I don't get it. This is incredible.
It's awesome.
And what I also noticed when this rule first came out is the fucking world moaned about the fact that we're the only ones that have an ability that mean we take D3 mortal wounds. It's because it's so good. But let's talk about why it's so good. So Dark Pacts is your army ability. So no matter what data sheet, not detachments, sorry, you take in 10th edition, you'll have access to Dark Pacts. Okay,
Very
if
cool.
your faction is Heretic Astartes, each time a unit with this ability is selected to shoot or fight, it can make a Dark Pact. If it does, select one of the following. And you pick lethal hits or sustained hits, right? So you do that first.
Yes.
You then, right, people are doing this wrong. Joe was doing it wrong. You then resolve your attacks.
Right.
Pick it first, resolve your attacks. Each time a unit makes a Dark Pact, after it has resolved its attacks, which is important, it must take a leadership test. If it's failed, it suffers D3 mortal wounds.
It's not even like you guarantee to take the mortals.
So some people have been playing it that if you fail the leadership test, you don't get the Dark Pact. Completely wrong. You get it no matter what. Some people have been playing it that they take D3 mortal wounds and remove the model, then resolve the attacks, and they lose that model.
Right.
You don't. All the models get it, and then you take your leadership test, and you can suffer D3 mortal wounds. And it looks on the surface that taking D3 mortal wounds for sustained hits or lethal hits isn't that great, which is arguably true. Until we start to combine it with Chaos Marks and some of the other abilities in the Codex. We'll go through that in more detail in just a moment. The Lost and the Damned then exists, okay? If your army faction is Heretic Astartes, you can include any of the following units in your army, and when you do so, their faction keywords are replaced with Heretic Astartes. Basically, Chaos Space Marine players still get access to Khorne Berserkers, Plague Marines, and Rubric Marines, which is cool. I like it. And the fact they switched to Heretic Astartes means you're still going to get all of your army abilities on those units, which you used to kind of not get.
Yeah, it did weird things,
so
right?
This is cool. I like this, okay? Gives you a points restriction on how many of those units you can take. I think it's cool. I like it.
Ooh, this is
sexy art.
This is like fifth edition, fourth edition
Chaos
book?
is.
I loved this codex.
Honestly, I just kind of accepted the fact that Joe was the Chaos Space Marine player and I was going to be the World Eaters player. And then I read this book. I was like, I now want to build myself a Chaos army.
It sucks.
The problem with getting all these indexes is about 5 or 6 of the books. I read them and went, I want to build this army now.
Oh, 100%.
It's mad.
I'm being pulled in so many directions. So Marks of Chaos, a lot of words here. What does this mean?
So each time you select a Heretic Astartes unit in your to include in your army, if it does not have Epic Hero, it does not already have one or more of the keywords listed below, you must select one of the keywords listed below for that unit to gain. Note which units gain which keywords in this way on your army roster. Each time a unit with one of these keywords makes a Dark Pact, it gains the associated ability below for the end of the phase. So for example, if you don't have a keyword and you're picking a unit of Possessed perhaps, you could dedicate them to Khorne and you gain Blood Fury, which means in the fight phase, if this unit's weapons gain the lethal hits ability this phase as the result of a Dark Pact, each model in this unit makes an attack and unmodified hit roll of a 5+ scores a critical hit.
Cute.
So if you go into the fight phase with a Khorne unit, you go for a Dark Pact, you give it lethal hits, your 5s suddenly generate auto wounds rather than just your 6s.
That's great.
That's really good. Tzeentch is shooting phase, it's also lethal hits, it's exploding on 5s. Nurgle is also shooting phase, but it's sustained hits and you get criticals on 5s. And Slaanesh is back to fight phase, it's sustained hits and you get sustained hits on 5s.
That's the one I like.
Then you still have Chaos Undivided. You can choose to make them Undivided, so you don't have to dedicate to a specific god. And each time a unit makes an attack, reroll a hit roll of 1. Okay? Beautiful. You cannot select Khorne keyword for psychic units, of course, and a character with a unit ability can only be attached to a bodyguard unit who shares the same keywords.
Good. Glad
so you can't have a Mark of Nurgle Chaos Lord and put him in a Mark of Khorne unit, for example. Okay? Right. Beautiful. Chaos Space Marine, Slave to Darkness stratagems. So, back to that very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Dark Pacts, super narrative. You're basically praying to the Dark Gods for additional power. And if they grant you that power, there is a risk that they could want something in return. They want their pound of flesh. I love it. Making Chaos Marks that now cost no points. Do things that link with those Dark Pacts. Super cool. Incredibly narrative.
Yes.
For me, those two combined rules, they took the narrative and they smacked out the park.
They really did. And again, I wasn't the biggest fan of the previous Chaos Marine Codex because they had taken away a lot of this flavor. Marks were gone. You couldn't mark Possessed, which is like, come on, they're literally possessed by a demon.
Yeah, that was shit.
And now it's all back, and there's so many different ways you can combine this. This is very exciting as a Chaos player to know that there's so many cool things you can do with it.
Yeah, there's loads of cool things. And the power sounds all right so far. So, like I said, sustained hits and lethal hits doesn't sound that good until you realise that when you put it on a specific unit in a specific circumstance, it actually explodes on 5s instead of 6s, or you gain lethal hits on 5s and 6s, which you're like, oh, that actually sounds really compelling. But there's even better ways, there's even more ways you can boost this up as well.
It's Chaos, so it's all about the combo.
Combo. Infernal Rites for 2 command points. It's already spenny. It's 2 command points right off the bat. In your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets, and you select one Heretic Astartes unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more of the attacking unit's effects.
Armoire.
Until the end of the phase, reduce the armor penetration by 1.
Of Contempt.
So it's Armor of Contempt, but it's for some reason for Chaos 2 CP instead of 1 CP for every Space Marine unit.
Oh, you on about that?
Not sure if it's a typo. I think it probably isn't.
I think it probably isn't because of all the wonderful things he does. Because of the fact that, so when Armor of Contempt was a rule, army-wide, it was great for Space Marines, obviously, but it was mandatory for Chaos Space Marines. It made the army very, very tough. Why? Because they want to make Death Stars and big combo units. So I think that's why this might not be a typo, because this army, yet again, shows up with big Death Star units where -1 AP is much more useful.
Yeah.
Maybe.
When I first looked at it, I thought it was a typo.
Yeah.
When we started to stick it on the tabletop and play with it, I was like, maybe it actually isn't a
It might
typo.
be too much.
Yeah, it might be too much.
Eternal Hate. Oh, so many letters.
It's only the narrative part. You don't need the narrative part.
All right, 1 CP. Heretic Astartes are fueled by You do this in the fight phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. You select one Heretic Astartes unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more of those attacks. What happens? Well, until the end of the fight phase, each time a model in your unit is destroyed, if it has not fought this phase, you roll a dice, adding 1 if it's Khorne. Awesome. On a 4+, you fight on death. This was 2 CP? Oh, 1 CP.
It's really good.
I like that. That's really good.
It's really good. 1 CP to fight on death. It is a 4+, and we have seen previous fight on death abilities where you don't have to roll a dice. But remember, in these are Heretic Astartes, things like Possessed Marines potentially. So what you're going to do, if you're putting Mark of Khorne on it, let's be honest, you're only putting Mark of Khorne on your incredible melee units typically. So I think fighting on death on a 4+ is perfectly reasonable. If you're Mark of Khorne, you get that benefit +1. You still fight on death on 3s. That's really good on a unit of Possessed or Warp Talons or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
The auto fight on death is like, oh, cool, it's a unit of sisters. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
But with Possessed, oh my goodness.
So Profane Zeal for 1 CP. So we've already seen 2 better stratagems in Death Guard.
I know, really, immediately better. This one is...
Profane Zeal for 1 CP, 1 Heretic Astartes unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight this phase. And until the end of the phase, each time model on that unit makes an attack, reroll a hit roll of 1 and reroll a wound roll of 1 if your army is Chaos Undivided. You can reroll the hit roll and you can reroll the wound roll.
That's so good!
Now, let's not forget...
What?
Let's not forget, Abaddon, there's a spoiler, has Khorne, Slaanesh, Nurgle, Tzeentch, and Chaos Undivided. This targets a unit that has that keyword. You put Abaddon the spoiler in a unit of 10 Terminators, they have the Chaos Undivided keyword, as well as whatever keyword you've chosen to give them, and because Abaddon has all those keywords, he can join that unit. 1 CP, reroll all hits and wounds.
Amazing. Amazing.
So good.
Crazy powerful.
So good.
1 command point? Oh my god.
1 command point as well.
Skin Shift.
Skin Shift.
Sounds promising.
I like this one.
1 CP, strat. In your command phase, you select 1 Heretic Astartes unit from your army. 1 model in your unit regains up to 3 lost wounds. In addition, if your unit is a Tzeentch unit below starting strength, 1 destroyed model, excluding characters, is returned to your unit with its full wounds remaining.
In addition to gaining 3 wounds back.
Oh, this is awesome. This is really, really cool.
So again, we talk about Mark of Tzeentch Terminators. I'm just going to use Terminators as kind of the ballpark right now. We talk about Mark of Tzeentch Terminators. If you're below starting strength and you've also got a Terminator who's taken 2 wounds, you spend 1 CP, that 1 Terminator goes back up to 4 wounds and you get another 1 back.
And you can do this with like the Abaddon unit because he's given them all the keywords. Holy moly.
Remembering, if your unit is Tzeentch, so you can have Mark of Khorne Terminators, and if Abaddon's in that unit, this still triggers.
Yes, I love it. And although we're not crazy about things like obliterators, you could use this on Tzeentch obliterators.
You could,
and then you're getting real value. You go into Value Town.
Really good. And Tzeentch obliterators have lethal hits on 5s if you give them that dark pact as well. Okay, Dark, and there's other ways where we can double up on the lethal sustained. I'll talk to you about that in just a moment. Dark Obscuration. This one, if this is, can we scroll down a little bit? This one I think it is. This is mad. Yeah, this is mad. Okay, so remembering the Death Guard one. Okay, right. 1 CP, your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit selected its targets. 1 Heretic Astartes unit. They're all units. These from your army that was selected, of course. Until the end of the phase, your unit has the stealth ability. In addition, if your unit is a Nurgle unit, which it is if Abaddon's in it, until the end of the phase, you can only be selected as the target of a ranged attack if the attacking model is within 12.
It's beautiful.
You can make any Nurgle unit or any unit that Abaddon's attached to basically lone operatives.
So cool. So strong.
So this is going back to what we were just talking about. This gives you, so it's 1 CP.
Yeah.
It's targeting a Nurgle unit, right? We've just fucking done Death Guard, right? So for 1 CP, you get stealth, and if you're Nurgle, you get lone operative. We've just done Death Guard, who are all fucking Nurgle, and all they get is stealth. What were they thinking? What were they thinking? This is brilliant. This is an excellent stratagem, but why don't Death Guard get this? They're all Nurgle.
Exactly.
What? What's happening, Adrian?
So strong.
What are they doing?
The world's gone uppy downy, Liam.
It doesn't make any sense. Why don't Death Guard get this?
Oh my god. They're just worse. They're just worse Nurgle.
Yeah.
Think about this on, again, not to oversell the Terminators, but a block of Terminators, you rapid ingress, come down. What's the one downside of rapid ingress? Oh, your opponent can shoot you. Oh, you do this, can't be shot beyond 12. They've already finished moving, Liam. They can't shoot you. They're done. And then you're going in next turn. Oh, wait. No, no.
I would argue that to some extent, okay, I'm going to shock you right now, chat. To some extent, you can go full Mark of Nurgle Chaos Space Marines and just be better Death Guard than Death Guard. You don't get the Death Guard specific units, but you're better Death Guard than Death Guard. You can still take some Plague Marines.
And as we've spoken with the Death Guard players, you're already taking the Chaos Space Marine.
Yeah, honestly. I don't understand. This stratagem, to be clear, this stratagem really, really good. The reason for the rant is I don't understand why this is so good when it targets a Nurgle unit, but Death Guard is just stealth for 1 CP.
Yeah, it's a comparative problem, right?
Doesn't make any sense.
Unnatural Swiftness.
Yep.
1 command point. In your movement phase, you select 1 Heretic Astartes unit from your army. Until the end of their turn, your unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in which it fell back. Okay. In addition, if your unit is Slaanesh until the end of the turn, your unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in which a turn in which it advanced. I was like, is the second half of this going to say what I think it's going to say? Holy moly. So Possessed, Slaanesh Possessed, which move quite fast. Master Possession gives them extra movement, extra charge. Can advance and charge, get a bucket of attacks with exploding 5s in melee.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, let's go. Oh my god, Slaanesh. Let's go. Oh my god.
All solid stratagems. So for me, if I'm honest with you people, Chaos Space Marines for me is the perfect group of stratagems. Why? Because every stratagem is useful, no matter what your God Devotion is. Every stratagem is useful. And if you have a God Devotion because you've decided to devote yourself to a specific Chaos God, you gain an extra benefit. So it's restrictive in the sense that you don't get advance and charge if you're not Slaanesh, but it's still useful.
Yeah.
Fall back and shoot or declare a charge is still useful if you're not Slaanesh. But if you are Slaanesh, you get this added bonus. And they're all 1 CP. So they're all really good at 1 CP without the God keyword. They're still good. Every single one of them is still good. You still get stealth on a unit if you're not Nurgle.
Amazing.
For 1 CP. They're all great stratagems for 1 CP. The second you add in that extra buff, though, they become super value for money for 1 CP.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's a really good set of stratagems, and every single one I can see a use case for.
It's very, very well designed.
Yeah, really well designed.
Wow, I'm excited to see these enhancements.
The Talisman of Burning Blood. It's core and it's mine, Adrian. Keep your hands off. It's Heretic Astartes core model only. Add 1 to the attacks and strength characteristic of the bearer's melee weapons. Each time the bearer's unit makes a Dark Pact until the end of the phase, add D3 to the attacks and strength characteristics of the bearer's melee weapons instead.
It's okay.
It's not horrendous because you can put it on a Demon Prince or something like that.
I like that the second half is something that you can immediately control. Whereas most of these were like, you gotta jump through a lot of hoops. Like, if you want to do the extra, you will do it.
Yeah.
That's cute.
The only downside to this is if you do a Dark Pact, you still might get 1 extra attack and 1 extra strength. But you're getting that anyway, I guess.
Right,
So there's that, which is a bit of maybe it feels bad, but it's not the worst. And on something like a Khorne Demon Prince, perhaps, even a Terminator Lord, it's still not terrible. It's okay. It's corny, not forgetting the fact that if you do in fact have your Dark Pact on, those extra attacks, you don't care about the strength because you're probably fishing for lethal hits on 5s anyway.
Yeah.
So the strength kind of becomes a moot point at that point, but it's not bad, it's okay.
It's okay. The Intoxicating Elixir, this is the one for Slaanesh. The bear has a Feel No Pain 5+. Each time the bear shoots or fights, if the bear's unit made a Dark Pact this phase, which they will, after the bear has resolved those attacks, select 1 enemy unit that was hit by 1 or more of the attacks. The enemy unit must take a Battle Shock test. Speaking of Demon Princes, this is real good for them.
Yeah, I like it.
Oh my god.
There's a couple of really cool, interesting things you can do with this as well. Because if you do advance and charge with your Slaanesh Demon Prince, and you do just hit your opponent, he takes a Battle Shock test and fails. Guess what? If he wants to fall back out of combat, he's got to take Desperate Breakout tests.
Which is very Slaanesh too.
It's very cool. I really like it. I'm a big fan.
That's awesome.
Eye of Tzeentch, which is for the Tzeentch units out there. If it's a Tzeentch model out there specifically, each time the bearer's unit makes a Dark Pact, take a leadership test for the bearer. If the test is passed, you gain a CP.
Oh my god.
CP farming is solid.
It's amazing. I think if you're not taking Abaddon, then you guaranteed take this, right?
I think typically you're also going to be making Dark Pacts with the bearer's unit all the time. The only time I think I would potentially not be taking Dark Pacts with the unit is if I've got a 1 or 2 wounds remaining, and then it's a real risk that I might kill myself.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'm just taking Dark Pacts all the time and gaining CP. It's super cool.
Agreed. The Orbs of Unlife, there's 2 of them.
It's a Nurgle enhancement. Maybe it's worse than all the Death Guard enhancements.
Yeah, clearly. Surely. At the end of the fight phase, roll 1d6 for every enemy unit within 6. Add 1 to the result if the bearer's unit made a Dark Pact. On a 4+, the enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds.
So it's a 3+ if you made a dark pact, which you probably are. You're suffering D3 mortal wounds. So it's just flat better than that other enhancement that we saw.
It's just flat better.
Where on a 2 to a 5, you just take 1 mortal wound.
You know, the sad thing is, even though it's just flat better, it's still not great.
It's still not great, but it is just flat better.
Yeah, despite being not great, just flat better.
Yeah. And then we have the undivided one, the Liber Hereticus.
Oh, okay.
An undivided model only. Each on the bearer's unit makes a dark pact. That unit's weapons gain the lethal hits and sustain hits 1 ability until the end of the phase, instead of just gaining 1 of those abilities.
Snaps,
good.
Liam.
Yeah,
I love it. This is great.
The bearer's unit makes dark pact. So you have to be undivided, okay?
Yeah.
But you get sustained and lethal hits on 6s instead of just...
And it's a unit, because it's undivided, that you're likely going to be spending the 1 CP to get the full rerolls, so you're getting extra distance from this, proccing those lethal hits.
If you do have an undivided unit with an undivided character and you have the Liber Hereticus on, you want to be popping that 1 CP stratagem for rerolling all hits and wounds, because what you do is you roll everything, you keep the 5s to one side, you pick up everything else and you roll it all again, and you're just fishing for those, 6s, you're fishing for those 6s, and at that point you're going to be getting... Every 6 you hit is not only wounding the target, but giving you another attack back in your dice pool. Really good. This is good. Again, unfortunately, the worst one is the Nurgle one.
So consistent. Wow. Wow, G-dubs.
So let's talk about data sheets, right?
Please, let's.
So Abaddon, for me, is still an absolute monster.
Yeah.
He is so good, right? Toughness 5, 2-up save, 9 wounds, leadership of 5+, which is about the lowest we've seen, and an objective control of 4 and a 4+ invulnerable save.
Amazing.
He gets to pick one of these abilities that he's got below. Look at the Talon of Horus in both shooting and in... It's just...
My God.
Melee weapons, everything has devastating wounds. In shooting, he's got sustained hits as natural anyway. Don't forget, he's got all of the Chaos marks. So if you do a Dark Pact, he gets exploding 5s on everything in shooting and in melee. He's got all the Chaos keywords.
What?
So if you put a Dark Pact on his unit, he gets lethal hits and sustained hits in both melee and range attack on 5s.
So cool.
Right?
Yo.
Incredible. So you get to pick one of these 3 abilities, as we're seeing with these big cool characters. He's an aura ability of 6 inches, where if a unit makes an attack, sorry, not a melee attack, it makes an attack, you reroll hits. So he goes back to being an old chapter master that they've kind of got rid of.
Like nobody
He gets
has
it
this.
back, he gets it back because he's Abaddon and he's an absolute baller.
Yeah.
He's then got the Mark of Chaos Ascendant, so another 6-inch aura for Astartes or infantry or mounted units.
Oh, cool.
So not
bikes.
vehicles, okay, so bikes or anything. Everything within 6 inches of them gets a 4+ invulnerable save.
Amazing.
Really good.
Amazing.
He then has another aura, while on a Astartes unit within 6 inches of the model, you can reroll leadership and battle shock tests taken for that unit. Sounds like it's kind of meh, but when you think about the fact that this works with Dark Pacts,
that does help a lot.
It has some play as well.
Absolutely.
And then he has his Dark Destiny, right? So each of my model makes a Dark Pact and does not fail the resulting leadership test. Roll 1d6 on a 2+, you gain a CP.
So cool.
Well, it kind of makes the Tzeentch, if you take Abaddon, it kind of makes the Tzeentch enhancement useless.
Correct.
Because you can't get more than 1 CP back per turn by doing this.
Yep.
But I mean, again, if we just go back to his Talon of Horus, Draknaen, devastating wounds, right? So let's just think about this for a brief moment, okay? Right? You give him a Dark Pact, Adrian, and then you spend 1 CP for reroll hits and wounds, okay? You then swing with Draknaen. You're fishing for 5s. You pick up everything that's not a 5, you roll it again.
Yeah.
For everything that is a 5, you've auto-wounded with an AP -4 flat 3 damage weapon.
That's not bad.
For everything that has also caused a 5+, you get an additional hit that goes into your attack dice pool, right?
Yep.
You then pick up those to roll to wound, and you fish for 6s for devastating wounds, and you pick up everything that's not a 6, and you roll again for devastating wounds. This guy, I have watched him do 30-odd damage in 1 round of combat.
Yeah.
He is a fucking monster.
It's so cool.
He picks up fucking Primarchs and throws them across the table.
Yeah, exactly.
Abaddon is unbelievable.
Oh, amazing.
And of course, he joins units. He joins Chaos Terminator units, and he gives them all of the keywords. All of the keywords, all of the time.
Strong. So strong. You can attach him to Legionnaires, but don't do that. This guy needs the bully boys. He needs the Justarin. Let's go.
He is so good.
Oh,
For
he's
me,
so strong.
another auto take in the Chaos Space Marine book is Hellbrutes.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about Hellbrutes, because they are important to the
So
army.
Hellbrutes weren't necessarily that compelling in previous editions of 40k. Now I think they are very compelling, and that's because of an ability that they have access to, which we will show you as soon as we find the Hellbrute. And I think that this ability, for me, means I'm going to want to include one in them all the time.
Okay.
And this is because it can follow around things like your Possessed that you were just talking about, and give it some extra punch, some extra teeth, okay?
Exactly.
Now, to be clear, I think most of what they've done with the Chaos data sheets, most of them are quite good, most of them are quite tasty. I like the fact that people are getting excited about Chaos Terminators. I like the fact that people are getting excited about obliterators, despite the fact that I don't think they're the best choice for points. They certainly have play, but not the best choice for their points. But Chaos is just a really solid set of indexes. There's a couple of things that are a bit sucky. Havocs with the Gatling cannons are kind of nowhere near as good as they used to be. You probably want to have Havocs with last cannons now instead, because last cannons are just good in this edition. Going up to strength 12 is super important, that D6 plus 1. I'm trying to keep talking, Adrian. Giving you D6 plus 1. Giving you that D6 plus 1 damage is super clutch. Pay attention if you are a normal Chaos player in general and you like to play multiple different Chaos, please pay attention to things like Mauler Fiends and Forge Fiends. Their abilities are different across the codexes. So a Forge Fiend or a Mauler Fiend in Chaos Space Marines is different to one in World Eaters, which is different to one in Death Guard, which is different to one in Thousand Suns. So you need to pay attention. Okay, so I think it's called Dark Acceleration. I think it's that ability that we want.
Dark Ascension.
Dark Ascension, that's what I couldn't
Acceleration
read it from that
makes
far away.
sense,
So
though.
let's be honest with you. The Hellbrutes aren't terrible anyway. They have access to a cool Power Fist. They have access to las cannons. We like las cannons. We just talked about how we like las cannons.
We do like las cannons.
So you can make them a relatively decent unit anyway for their points where they're going to be useful even without this ability. But with this ability, it makes them extra special. While a friendly Heretic Astartes unit is within 6 inches of this model, each of that unit makes a Dark Pact until the end of the phase. Its weapons gain both abilities conferred by that pact instead of only one.
Love it.
That's
amazing.
Important because it gives both abilities, which means, depending on what you're doing, if you're picking a ranged one, for example, and you are a Nurgle unit, okay, this is how this works. You have a Hellbrute within 6 inches. You do a Dark Pact. You now don't have to select lethal hits or sustained hits because you're Nurgle, right? Because you've got a Hellbrute nearby. Now, Nurgle specifically states that if you select sustained hits, you get critical hits on a 5+.
Right.
Okay. Well, this is saying you get both.
Right.
So you have strictly selected sustained hits. Because you've got both.
Totally.
So you still get critical hits on 5s, which means those same Nurgle units not only are getting exploding 5s as per their normal ability, but they're also getting lethal hits on 5s.
Amazing.
It's a really good combination, and I actually think there's for me personally, especially because it can take last cannons, I would probably consider 2 Hellbrutes in a list
interesting.
to give you that big 12-inch bubble of you get both, you don't have to pick one or the other.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'm definitely curious. I want to kind of try to put the points together and see, because he's kind of slow and it is 6 inches. But
so Melody's in there saying Hellbrutes are so ugly though I can't make myself paint one. I would suggest you don't. Here's what I would do.
Yeah.
There's a ton of cool looking fucking Chaos Contemptors now that don't have data sheets. Honestly, this is what we're doing on the channel.
Yeah.
Put them on the same base as a Hellbrute. Use the cool Chaos Contemptors. Give them a Power Fist and las cannons and go. This is my Hellbrute.
Yeah.
It's on the same base.
There you go.
There's a reason to use my cool Legion marked Chaos Contemptors now because you fuckers Games Workshop took competitive rules away from me because they are pretty ugly.
God, look at this. I actually have never bought this version. All the ones I have are from the Dark Vengeance box. They're smaller, but they're better sculpts. These are so boxy.
I don't hate it. I actually, in some angles, I kind of like it.
Some angles.
But I just think the Chaos Contemptors are flat nicer.
Yeah.
So I would just run Chaos Contemptors. I would argue to a point, if you're clever with what you do with weapons, you could even use Leviathans now and make sure they're on the same base size and run a Leviathan instead of a Hellbrute, because Leviathans are they're my favourite dreadnoughts. I'm so angry that I can't take them anymore in 40k. Yeah, I think Chaos has a ton of combinations, like we said already, right? Marcus Slanesh Possessed are terrifyingly good. Warp Talons are now good again as well.
Oh, I love that.
They've just got loads of really cool units. They can be quick. We watched them over the course of the Titans tournament at the weekend actually be pretty terrifying. They took on Eldar and beat them, for Christ's sake. So they're no slouch. And Alex has also admitted that it probably wasn't the most dialed in list he can build.
Yo, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
They're really good.
They're awesome.
Chaos Space Marines, good job. Better Nurgle than Death Guard. I don't understand. Adrian.
Are they not talking to each other? What's going on in there?
They can't be talking to each other. They must, The person who wrote Death Guard was the person who knew he was getting the sack next week.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Well, I like Bridges' theory of the guy you have the whole stack of codexes you're responsible for, and he just forgot.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, you need to do the Death Guard codex, and it's due today.
Yeah, Death Guard was on the bottom of his list, and he didn't scroll down on his mouse.
Yeah.
And his boss was like, have you got Death Guard? I haven't got Death Guard. Scroll down. Uh-oh. That's what happened. Right, that's what happened there. Okay, cool. Right, thank you so much to Claven for the 5. Why is Chaos Space Marine Nurgle sustained hits and Death Guard itself is lethal hits? Lethal hits, non-boss with -1 toughness. I know.
I'm sorry.
I don't understand. And this is the problem I have,
Sucks,
right?
man. Just sucks.
Okay, right.
Right.
In an edition where they have preached simplified, not simple, there is a number of occurrences where there is a distinct lack of continuity.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've just said to you, if you want to play a Mauler Fiend or a Forge Fiend and you play multiple Chaos factions, make sure you're keeping your eyes on the data sheets. I don't personally understand why a Chaos Mauler Fiend and a World Eaters Mauler Fiend and a Thousand Suns Mauler Fiend all had to have different abilities. It doesn't make sense to me. It's too I don't like it. Considering I play World Eaters, I play Thousand Suns.
Yeah.
If I have a Mauler Fiend in both, I'm going to need to remember which one has which rule.
Yeah.
That's not great. Same as we looked at that stratagem for -1 for 1 CP for -1 to hit for stealth. Why is it that my Nurgle Chaos Space Marine also gain Lone Operative, but the Death Guard don't? The consistency's bad there. And this now harks back to what you've just said. Why is it that Death Guard get lethal hits on all of their plague weapons, but in Chaos Space Marines, Nurgle gets sustained hits and Tzeentch gets lethal hits? It doesn't. Would it? And would it have been that unnarrative to keep Nurgle Chaos Space Marines as lethal hits and give Tzeentch sustained? No, that works.
No.
Nor would it have been a narrative problem for me if Death Guard got sustained hits. The idea being clearly that you get hit by an infected round and it spreads.
Yeah.
Right.
So cool.
So it makes narrative sense. I don't know why they made it different. It doesn't make any sense. It literally doesn't work to me. And if you go into the Thousand Suns Codex, every psychic weapon you can give sustained or lethal, depending on which you pick. It's just baffling.
Yeah.
So my honest answer, if I'm honest with you, Claven, is I don't know. I don't know why they did it. Lethal hits is an odd design choice for Death Guard when what they do is they issue out a -1 toughness. Because what you're doing is you're bypassing your whole army ability.
Exactly. So
why would you?
So confused.
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
For me, what I would have done with Death Guard, or what I would do right now to try and make Death Guard a little bit better, is contagion range would be +1 a wound, and I'd switch lethal to sustained.
That'd be awesome.
It's more compelling, right?
Much more compelling.
Much more compelling at that point. Just Jupiter, thank you for the 5. Happy Friday. Loving I can finally run Bile with some Chosen in my Bile army with some Possessed, Skittery Venom Crawlers and Defilers. Go CSM.
Yay.
Sounds super cool, and they've all got play.
Bile goes in Bile list again, finally.
Bile is, he's
so
cool.
He's I'm really excited. Too many models to paint in Bile.
Don't get me started.
It's a problem.
I've got far too many models for Joe to paint. Thank you, R, for the 5. As a Templar and Death Guard player, I'm glad at least one of my armies will have an army-wide 6-up and a 5-up, Feel No Pain, and 4-wound Terminators. And then he puts, read that for me, that bit there.
Leo.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to do that anymore.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
We haven't got to Space Marines yet, and we will briefly touch on Templars. But I actually think Templars are a really nice flavour of Space Marines. In this edition, they've got some really cool rules.
They're in a good spot. I like where they're at.
I'm afraid your Death Guard are just going to watch your Templars from the shelf, I think, if I'm honest with you at the moment anyway. Hazard Bro, thank you for the 5. So as Black Templars, I can play as regular Space Marine detachment. Why can't I play the CSM detachment as Death Guard, at least according to the app?
Interesting.
So the thing is with the Black Templars is a supplement. If you look at the Black Templars, it doesn't give you an army rule, it only gives you a detachment rule because your parent faction is Adeptus Astartes. With Death Guard, as has been the case for the last 2 editions, Death Guard is a standalone index. It has its own army rule and its own detachment rule. It doesn't use the Chaos Space Marine army rule. So it's not a sub-faction, it's not a supplement, it's its own standalone codex. Thousand Suns, World Eaters and Death Guard have been that way for the last 2 editions, okay? They have, World Eaters not so much because they're new, but when they did come out, they were a standalone who lost access to all of the standard Chaos Space Marine stuff. It's an interesting design choice from Games Workshop, but I do understand it. So although the Black Templars, Blood Angels, Dark Angels are their own legions or chapters or whatever you want to call them, they are still Space Marines essentially, and they still work off the Codex Astartes typically, etc., etc. And they don't really have monumentally different units. Could be argued maybe with Space Wolves and Blood Angels and Dark Angels, that's not quite the case. However, with Space Marines, Death Guard, World Eaters and Thousand Suns units are so very different to what they have in Chaos Space Marines. I think that's probably why they've done it. There's been a ton of stuff about this over the years. Oh, clearly they hate Chaos because Chaos don't get their parent codex, but they love Space Marines because Space Marines get their parent codex, despite the fact that Space Marines with their parent codex get now over 100 data sheets, and Chaos, if they got their parent codex, gets like 50. So what's the problem there?
Right.
But I kind of get it.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a big problem.
It's an odd one.
It doesn't bother me, but
it doesn't really bother me.
It lets them do things that are more different, right? Like all the Space Marine supplements are still going to be based off Space Marines. They're still going to have Oath of the Moment, all that stuff. Whereas you can see how wildly different the CSM ones are. And for me personally, that's much more compelling. for kit. I wanted them to have more flavor, and that was the whole point of removing them from the CSM book was to let them kind of go more extreme in those directions.
Yeah, right.
I'm okay with.
My trade-off is I get access to less units because I don't get my parent Chaos Space Marine Codex. But what I do get is my own unique army rule.
Yeah.
And unless I'm a Death Guard player, I look at Thousand Suns and I look at World Eaters, and on the whole, I'm pretty happy with my detachment rule and I'm pretty happy with my army rule.
Yeah.
So that's cool. The trade-off being I don't get access to Obliterators and Warp Talents and those kinds of things. And I'm sad for especially World Eaters players recently who had massive collections that were basically Chaos Space Marine collections. Their book came out and validated the whole thing. Some of them who I then knew went out and bought Forge World units that are plastic, and then they've been validated again. I do feel for those people. I do genuinely feel for those people.
Yeah.
But I do think I'd probably rather have my own individual flavour, if I'm honest.
Totally.
Thank you for the dono, man. You're a hero. You're a legend. I love you. We have more factions to do. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go.
CSM looks utterly fantastic. 100% they do. Absolutely, yeah.
So excited for them. Oh, speak of the devil, we got some more chaos for you. This is the World Eaters.
Oh, yes.
I'm super excited. Now, I need to use the restroom as well. But I know that you want to talk about these rules?
Yeah?
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 Okay.
Do you want me to wait for you so you can learn them, or... I mean, you've played against it.
This one I actually know.
Yeah, you know this
one. So yeah.
You can go use the bathroom.
You walk him through how this works.
Yeah, leave that mouse there. So the army rule for World Eaters, just talking about the fact that by not being a parent Chaos Space Marine Codex, you get your own army rule. Here's another one. Blessings of Khorne. Now, when this came out, I was kind of on a bit of a bummer, not because the rule's bad, but just because I think it's less narrative than what we had before. I think what we had before probably did translate quite nicely into 10th edition, but they changed it, so be it, they changed it. So what happens with the army rule? At the start of the battle round, I think it is, at the start of the battle round, that's correct, you roll 8d6, and then you look at your results, okay? And you compare those results with what is on the right-hand side. You then get to choose up to 2 blessings of Khorne that are available to you based on what you rolled, and those blessings are then active until the end of the battle round. Start the next battle round, you roll 8 dice, you do it again. So, for example, you could roll a 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, and I think I've probably done about 7 there, maybe 6, and a couple more dice, okay? Now, if you think about it, you're rolling 8d6, typically you're going to always roll at least 1 double, possibly even 2 doubles, and a high chance of rolling a triple because it's 8 dice as well. So what do you get access to? Well, there's a number of things you can pick from the table on the right-hand side that is active for every unit from your army until the start of the next battle round. So we start off with Rage Fueled Invigoration, which is any double result. So double 1, you still can get Rage Fueled Invigoration, and it's quite strong actually for World Eaters. It adds 2 to your move characteristic of all models in your unit. So your Rhinos get move, Angron goes up to 16-inch move, 8 Bound go to 11-inch move. It's good, it's fast. World Eaters want to charge across the tabletop, so gaining extra move is really nice. Actually, typically, this is one of the ones that I will always try and fish for in the first turn, and because it's any double, you're basically guaranteed to get it if you want it, but there could be a trade-off if you end up with, say, a double 5 or a double 6 and there's something else that you want, and that's the only double in your pool. That could be a problem. There are, however, slight ways to manipulate the Blessings of Khorne dice roll. We'll talk about those in just a moment. We then have Wrathful Devotion, which is also for any... Where's his mouse gone? Wrathful Devotion, which is also for any double. Okay, Wrathful Devotion, any double. Models in this unit have the Feel No Pain 6+ ability. If models in this unit already have the Feel No Pain ability, i.e. Jackals or Exalted 8-bound, who already have Feel No Pain 6+, it goes to a 5+ Feel No Pain instead. Again, any double. You're basically guaranteed to have this as an option every single turn, which is why both of these are really good, and they're both strong abilities. 6 up Photo Pain, going to 5 up on Exalted 8-bound and Jackals is great, and add 2 inches to move is also great. We then have Martial Excellence, double 3+. So this means that if you have a double 2, and that's the only double in your tray, you can't use it. But if you have a double 3, double 4, double 5, double 6 in your tray, you can use this one. A point to note, if you use a double 3, that is then used on this particular blessing. You can't then use that same double 3 to get a different blessing. You have to have a different set of doubles. Hopefully that makes sense. So Martial Excellence, on a double 3+, melee weapons equipped by models in this unit have the Sustained Hits 1 ability. Exploding 6s currently in combat for World Eaters is tasty, something that I would try to get access to very quickly in the previous Blood Tithe abilities. I like it, I'm a fan of it. We then have Double Carnage, or Total Carnage, sorry. So on a double 4 or any triple, where am I going? I need to go here. So if you have a double 4+, You could use Martial Excellence because it's double 3+, or you could use it on Total Carnage, or if you get any triple at this point, okay? You can have your mouse back now.
Yeah.
I don't like the responsibility of the mouse.
I like Double Carnage, that's a good name.
So double Carnage, double 4+. Each time modeling it, basically you can fight on death on a 4+.
Yes!
Your whole army can fight on death on a 4+.
Terrifying.
That's what this does. This is actually arguably the one I've used the least.
Yeah.
So far we've got extra 2 inches to move, 6 up field pain going to 5+ if you've already got 6 up field pain, sustained hits 1 in melee. We've got fight dead. It's good. I like it. I'd probably consider it against a heavily focused melee army if I was coming up against a heavily focused melee army.
Yeah.
But I don't think this is still going to be one of my higher priorities because then you look at warp blades for a double 5 or again any triple. So you have any triple, you get access to Total Carnage or Warp Blades. Melee weapons equipped by models in that unit have the lethal hits ability. Not forgetting Angron can put on a full reroll to hit aura. So you can just... So this is where World Eaters start to have less issues dealing with giant targets like Knights.
Right.
Because you can put on reroll hits, go for lethal hits, and you just have to wound... you just have to hit, sorry, on a critical hit, and then you start to go straight through to the armor saving throw step.
Totally.
Which is compelling against something like giant knights or anything that's pretty tough to attack. Finally, unbridled bloodlust. This is the other one that I fish for on turn 1, sometimes in turn 2. So if you have a double 2 and you're lucky that you also get a double 6 or any triple that's 4 or higher, you can also unlock unbridled bloodlust. Your whole army has advance and charge.
This is, for me, a big game changer because it really means that you can threaten your opponent at any given moment. And they're not going to know, and you're not going to know when that's going to happen, but it could appear. And this means that they're going to have to really respect the World Eaters. And especially, I really like Angron because he's so fast, because he does have fly, and you just never know. You never know.
So I'll give you a scenario as well.
Yeah.
8-bound or Exalted 8-bound with Lord Invocatus. 8-bound do this as standard. Exalted need Lord Invocatus. You can pre-game move 6 inches with a scout ability.
Very nice.
If you then get the top one of the Unbridled Bloodlust, not Unbridled Bloodlust, the top one of the, I can't remember what it's called. You get, keep going, Rage Field Invigoration, right? You get Rage Field Invigoration. Those 8-bound with Lord Invocatus, or even without him if they're normal 8-bound, will then have an 11-inch move. 11. Right, so you've now moved 17 inches.
Love it.
The gap between players is normally 24 inches.
Right.
So you've got 7 inches left before your opponent's lines. You choose to advance, then you can either roll a d6, and you'll get an average 3.5. Mathematically, so let's round it down and be kind. You've now moved 20 inches before you charge. And if you have Unbridled Bloodlust, you can advance, and then you can do that charge.
Oh, that's awesome.
2d6, average is 7. You've got a 27-inch average threat range with no CP spent. That's important, we'll talk about that later. With no CP spent. 27 threat range with 8-bound.
I love it.
It's terrifying.
Hugely powerful, hugely powerful. So for me, it's this one and then the Feel No Pain one. The Feel No Pain is an absolute game changer. We're talking about like why don't you use the Fight on Death that often? I think part of it is because sure you can Fight on Death, or you can pop a Feel No Pain, which often just means you are just going to survive and then hit back and have a unit on top.
Yeah.
The Exalted start with a 6-up, going to the 5-up. Makes them so much more durable. This is probably my favorite change in the new book is that Feel No Pain rule. It just gives them so much more mileage.
Yeah, I'm a fan of it. I like it. It's good. Having them pop at 5s. Not forgetting that also works on Jackals.
Jackals
have a 6-up Feel No Pain as well. They go to 5.
It's great.
Which is really, really good.
Yeah.
So the detachment rule is not complicated. They're World Eaters. There is a slight subtle change here though that some people have been missing. So when your army is when your World Eaters unit is selected to fight, if you made a charge move, stop. Then you add 1 to strength and attacks characteristics. So obviously previously 9th edition, if you made a charge move, were charged, or performed a heroic convention, this is just when you make a charge move. It's a couple of points to note. You've lost it if you're charged. If they charge you, you don't get +1 strength and attacks.
Yep.
You haven't lost it if you heroically intervene.
Right.
Because the rules for heroic intervening is that you make a charge move. Yes?
No, but then once you go to fight, you get none of the benefits of charging.
No, you don't get the fight's first benefit of charging.
Is that what it says?
Yep, you don't get the charge bonus, but you make a charge move. This tells you that you had to have made a charge move. You do get this if you heroic intervene.
While it's not a benefit, it's a benefit, but it's not a benefit.
So the charge rules, the heroic intervention rules specifically state you do not get the charge bonus. The charge bonus states you get fight first. So you don't get the charge bonus, but you have made a charge move.
Okay.
So you lose this when you're charged. You keep it if you heroic intervene. People have been getting this wrong, so I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, that's super cute. I like it.
Cool.
It's interesting because again, this is just the detachment ability. Before we had the 2 detachments with World Eaters, we had the regular ones, and then we had the Red Angels Butchers or something. And the base army ability was basically this. So whatever future we detachments, probably losing this. It's gonna be weird.
Yeah, you'll keep your blessings of corn across the future detachments, but you probably lose +1 strength and attack on the charge.
It's funny. I would
so used to having this for Wild Eaters. I'm going to be really interested to see what they do with other detachments.
I would have flipped these, right? Anyways, here we go. Stratagems.
Gory Massacre.
Oh, lovely. Sounds fantastic.
1 CP, Wild Eaters unit from your army that made a charge move this turn and destroyed 1 or more enemy units this phase. If your opponent's next command phase, each time an enemy unit within 6 inches of this unit must take a battle shock test. Subtract 1 from that test if you're below half strength. Enemy units affected by the stratagem do not need to take any other battle shock tests in the same phase.
Right, you can't make them double proc.
They don't battle shock, then battle shock again.
Yeah, exactly.
So you charge a unit, you obliterate it, and you then create this 6-inch aura of you must take a battle shock, and if you're below half strength, you're now at -1.
The people that are like at a distance, but pretty close, they're just like, dear God, what just happened?
This is quite interesting. I haven't actually managed to use this stratagem yet, because I don't think there's been a serious occurrence where I've needed it. But there are occasions where you charge a unit nearby, you get some of your World Eaters onto an objective as part of that new consolidation move where you can move onto an objective if you're in range of it, but they've still got models on an objective, but hey, I've now got a 6-inch aura, which is going to make you take battle shock tests, even if you've taken no casualties, and then you go to OC0 if you fail, and I now hold the objective. So it is a good stratagem.
It is good, and it is flavorful, right? Because it really encourages you to literally massacre a unit. Like, there might be cases where you say, oh, well, I can kind of split attacks, I can do some damage to both. No. You just obliterate these people. You just rip them apart, and then it impacts the other unit, horrifies them, make it so they can't do the thing. It's cool.
There's other things as well. You can charge into one single unit, rip it apart. You could consolidate into another unit, and if they then fail their battle shock test, they've got to take desperate breakout test. There's lots of little plays with this. I quite like it. It's basically, and it's narrative as well. It's basically showcasing the enemy being terrified of what they've just witnessed.
Yeah, they're just like, dear God, what is this? For the Blood God is 1 CP strat in the fight phase just after a World Eaters unit from your army destroys an enemy unit. There's a theme here. The target is the World Eaters unit. The effect is make a Blessings of Corn roll. And you can use the result of this roll to activate 1 Blessing of Corn. The Blessing of Corn does not count towards your maximum number of activated blessings, but all other rules for Blessings of Corn apply. Ooh. I really thought this was going to say it only affects that unit.
No.
That's awesome.
There's no, so I expected the same thing. And when I first read it, I was like, oh, okay, so they get an extra ability, but they've just done their killing. No, you just get it.
That's
cool. So again, if we think about the fact that a 6-up Feel No Pain is any double,
it's very likely.
Here's what you could do in this circumstance. You could roll your Blessings of Corn roll. You could go, I want the Feel No Pain, but I also want the advance and charge, but I also want the sustained hits, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm very, 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 very comfortable that this unit of Berserkers is going to absolutely mutilate that unit of 10 Guardsmen, and I'm pretty much guaranteed to get in. So I'm going to pick the sustained hits, I'm going to pick the advance and charge, knowing I'm going to murder that one unit and I've got 1 CP in my pocket. You do that, you roll that 1 CP. If you then roll your Blessings of Corn dice, you're rolling 8 dice, guess what? You're getting a double, because you can't not get a double, because it's only 1 to 6, and you're rolling 8 dice, and then you go, and now's my 6-up Feel No Pain, ready for your turn.
So cool.
Really good.
This is a great stratagem.
It's really good, yeah. For the Skull Throne, for 1 CP, you pick a Wild Eaters unit from your army in the fight phase that has not been selected to fight, and until the end of the phase, each time model that unit makes a melee attack that targets a character, monster, or vehicle unit, add 1 to the wound roll.
Yes.
Again, a good strat.
Yeah, and again mitigates the somewhat lack of shooting and helps you go into these big targets.
Yeah, it gives
That's
you.
what it is.
It gives you some play. So Berserkers on the charge are strength 5 or 6, which means going into toughness 10 or 11. They're currently wounding on 5, sometimes even 6s. It gives you that +1. That just gives you more, which is better. You don't have to necessarily rely on those lethal hits from your Blessings of Corn roll. More importantly, you take Exalted 8-bound with their Chain Fists, who are strength 14 base. Guess what? You're now wounding Imperial Knights on 2s in melee.
Yes! It's a beautiful thing, man.
It's a really good, it's a great stratagem. I've used this one a lot already.
Yeah, I imagine.
It's very, very
1
powerful.
CP, amazing.
Yeah. And the other thing I like about it is you can target a World Eaters unit from your army, and it does work on characters. So it works on Mo. So Mo going in with his precision can start decapitating characters at +1 a wound. Oh my God. Yeah, it's really
this also just works against units that have a character.
Yep.
Oh my God.
So again, if you look at a unit of Berserkers with a Master of Executions, or any character in for that matter, charging into perhaps a unit of 20 neophytes with 2 characters in, they get the character keyword, you pop 1 CP, you get +1 winning against the whole unit, you win in 1 or 2s.
That's amazing.
It's really good.
I love it. Corn Cares Not, 2 CP stratagem in the fight phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets, and you select a World Eaters unit from your army that was selected as the targets. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets this unit, subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of this attack. Now, a couple limiting factors. Obviously, it's fight phase only, and it is 2 CP. So I'd say it's decent, but it is quite pricey.
So this is discussing and resilient for Khorne.
Yeah.
Right, it's the exact same thing as discussing and resilient for Khorne. So the difference being, for me, the one that makes this slightly better is the fact that I'm Khorne. I want to be in combat.
Right, yeah.
So I want to be in melee, and I don't want my 3-wound Exalted 8-bound or 8-bound to die. So if I stack this now with the Feel No Pain, and I put this 2 CP stratagem on, I'm -1 damage, and then I'm taking Feel No Pain on 2 dice instead of 3 dice, and you're highly unlikely to kill an 8-bound with one 3 damage weapon.
Yep.
I'm a big fan. I say highly unlikely, it's impossible with a 3 damage weapon, of course. I'm a big fan of this one. 2 CP's pricey for just against the fight phase, but I want to be in melee, so I feel like this one's less pricey than the Death Guard version because I want to be in melee.
Yeah.
So it's when you look at the other 3, this one's less sort of desirable because it's 2 CP, but it's still not bad.
This is a great suite of stratagems that we have
not
here.
done yet. Blood Offering. Oh no, the next one's the one you're going to get excited
Oh,
about.
God, okay.
Blood Offering is 1 CP. You pick a World Eaters unit in any phase that was just destroyed whilst it was within range of an objective marker.
Oh, right.
Okay? And you can target this unit even though it's destroyed. And the effect is that that objective marker remains under your control even if you have no models within range of it until your opponent controls it at the start or end of any turn. This is a great stratagem for World Eaters.
It's a great strat. Use this a lot in our game.
Yeah, I walk up to an objective. I'm not a shooty army. You're a shooty army. You blow me off of that objective. Guess what? My blood splatters all over it. I cover it in gore and go, it's still mine.
Yeah.
This is still mine. This is still mine.
It was deliberate. It was deliberate.
Yeah, yeah.
They're like, we're still good.
So narratively, I mean, it's kind of cool. It's not maybe the most narrative in the world. From a gameplay perspective for World Eaters, this is a great stratagem.
Totally. I think this is amazing. I
Yeah,
use this a lot.
Now, remember, Adrian.
Okay.
In the Blessings of Khorne, your favourite is Advance and Charge.
Yeah.
And read this next stratagem.
Oh boy. Apoplectic Frenzy. It's a 1 CP strat. In your movement phase, you select 1 World Eaters unit from your army that has not been selected to move this phase. Till the end of the phase, if your unit advances, oh right, Jesus. Do not make an advance roll for it. Instead, until the end of the move phase, add 6 to your move characteristic. So you auto advance 6 inches. So this whole scenario that you talked about earlier about a potential, an average 27 is actually, if you want to spend some CP, an automatic 30.
Yeah, if you spend 1 CP, it's an average 30-inch.
This is such a powerful ability. It's powerful even if you don't have Advance and Charge, just because, again, movement is how you win the game, and not having to roll dice is how you win the game.
Yeah.
Talk to Eldar players. This is already amazing. Combined with the fact that you can Advance and Charge, it's awesome.
It's
a great strat.
Yeah, it's a good suite of stratagems on the whole.
Yeah.
None of them feel ridiculously powerful.
No.
But they're all pretty solid, and I'm finding, because I play World Eaters, so I have a little bit more knowledge about this army right now, because it's the one I played the most in 10th edition, I'm finding that often I don't have enough CP to use all the ones I want to use, which is a good place to be in, to be clear.
Yep.
That's the place I want everybody to be in. I've got this pool of resource, I've got this pool of CP, here's all my options with both the core strats and my own army strats. Oh my God, I don't know which ones to use or which ones to plan for, rather than some of the occurrences we had in 9th edition was, I'm just going to use transhuman every turn.
Yeah,
No matter what,
exactly.
right?
I'm actually glad that we start with 0 CP rather than the 6.
Yeah, I agree.
Because that would have been too much.
Yeah, okay. Unless you're Eldar, you just take a Way Leaper and then you go straight to 2 first
Yeah,
turn.
exactly. Or your GSC and then you get basically 12 anyways.
So enhancements. Okay, these are also quite interesting in places as well. So we'll start off with the favourite of Khorne. I'll read the biggest one for you.
Oh, so kind.
It's Khorne, isn't it? World Eaters model only, of course. Each time you make a Blessings of Khorne roll, before doing anything else, the bearer can use this enhancement. If it does, discard all of the dice from that roll and make a new Blessings of Khorne roll. The new roll does not count as a re-roll, so any rules that enable you to re-roll or manipulate individual dice, e.g. Icon of Khorne, can still be used. So you roll 8 dice, you look at it and you go, that's pants.
Yep.
I've got 7 ones.
Yep.
It's awful, I don't want it. You can pick them all up and then you roll them again. Oh, this is a better roll, but there's still a couple that I want to change. If you have an Icon of Khorne, which you get in World Eaters Berserkers or World Eaters Jackal units, in range of an objective marker, each one of those icons that control each objective allow you to pick up a dice and re-roll it. You can still do that because this doesn't count as a re-roll.
That's awesome. It's so strong.
It's really good.
I think, there's a lot of big chunks of points flying around this army, so sometimes it's going to be tough to fit in an enhancement. But this one feels very strong.
If I remember rightly, this is also, in fact, their most expensive enhancement as well.
It should be. It's almost not a
I think it's like 30 points for this or something, maybe 40.
Yeah. I can see it being 40 even. Battle Lust, World Eaters model only. You can select the bearer's unit for the Heroic Intervention strat for 0 CP, and can do so even if you've already selected a target a different unit with the stratagem in this phase. It's great.
Heroic Intervene for 0 CP. Now, yeah.
Yeah.
It is strong, but we have to remember also that heroic intervention is more restrictive nowadays.
Much more.
So you just needed to be in range before, and you could just heroic intervene.
Yeah.
Now you need to be in range of a unit that successfully made a charge move to heroic intervene.
Yes.
So it's still good, and anything that means that you can do a stratagem for 0 CP is good. Because we just talked about how much CP are a commodity and how valuable they are to any kind of player right now. Unless you're Death Guard, you don't need them because your strats are shit. But so anything that makes Death Guard players. So anything that makes a stratagem 0 CP is good. And if I heroic intervene, I'm not getting the charge bonus, but I am. If I'm doing it, I'm in your turn, which means I fight first.
Yep.
If it's, I don't fight first, do I?
No, but again, we take Mo in a squad. So this actually came up literally in our game, where I wanted to. There was 2 units I was thinking about charging. They were pretty close together, and I actually it dictated where I could land, because if I landed where I wanted to land, you would intervene with your Berserker squad with the Master of Executions. You'd fight first, you'd kill me. And to me, this is how you want to use this strat. Yeah. It's actually, funny enough, a defensive play. It's like, how do you set up so your opponent can't range into your back line, or like you've set up in the midboard behind a ruin, and they go in after you. This is how you respond, or make them so that they can't do that.
It's a really nice deterrent. I like it.
Yeah, it's a good deterrent.
We then have Berserker Glaive. World Eater's model only. Add 1 to the attacks and damage characteristic of melee weapons equipped by the bearer. Each the bearer ends a charge move. Roll 1d3 until the end of the turn. Add that result of the roll to the attacks and damage characteristic of those weapons instead.
Very cool. Very strong.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's not terrible. I like it.
Yeah.
World Eater's model means you can put it on a Demon Prince as well.
Oh, that's spicy. Plus 1 damage is always a good thing, right?
Yeah.
The Helm of Brazen Ire, World Eater's model only. Each time an attack is allocated to the bearer, half the damage characteristic of that attack. Seems strong.
So I did have this on my Demon Prince, and I'm actually kind of torn between this one and the Berserker Glaive, and I'll explain why.
Yeah.
The Berserker Glaive on a Demon Prince, who's strength 10 because he's a Khorne World Eater's Demon Prince, if you roll a d3 and you get on the charge and you get a 3 on that one, you go to strength 13, so you're now wounding knights on 3s, right? You can pick a World Eater's model and give it +1 to wound with a 0 CP, you're wounding on 2s. More importantly, if you roll that 3, your swords then go to damage 6.
Damage 6 is so strong.
Damage 6!
I would definitely be a proponent of that. Like, look, you're not sticking around, you're not playing Khorne because you want to survive. It gives you that missile into a tough target.
Yeah.
I like it.
Again, it's something that has the potential to be terrifying that your opponent then has to play around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
So that is the baseline of the army, enhancements, stratagems, all that stuff. What do you think, what's worth talking about for data sheets? What's important here?
Well, I'm very biased because I'm a World Eaters player.
The whole book.
But there's so much stuff that is important in here. Now, for me personally, I'm of the opinion that this is still pretty much Codex 8 bound. Both Exalted and Standard 8 bound, and I'll explain why. Both of them just have flat, better melee profiles than Berserkers. Granted, you get less attacks on the whole, but you still get a decent number of attacks at a decent strength, a decent AP, and a decent damage. You're talking minimum -2 damage for most of the weapons that 8 bound come with as standard. That's minimum, right? So that's really, really good. Standard 8 bound have Scout 6 inches as standard, and they also have this weird Lieutenant ability where every World Eaters unit within 6 inches of them, including themselves, can reroll 1s to wound in the fight phase, and if the enemy unit that they're targeting is within range of an objective marker, they can reroll all wounds, which is very good. Okay, so they're already quite strong. They have a 5-up invulnerable save. They're toughness 6. They have 3 wounds a model. They're really, really good. Okay, Exalted 8 bound. Get rid of that Scout ability. Get rid of that Lieutenant ability, but give you a challenge in falling back out of combat. Any unit within 6 inches that wants to fall out of combat has to basically take a leadership test or something, and then they can't fall back if they fail. They also have that 6-up Furno Pain base, which comes in clutch when you start adding that blessing to push them to a 5-up Furno Pain. They are back on a 5+ invulnerable save, however. They used to be on a 4+. But they have the Chain Fists. Again, you're talking about normal models having 4 or 5 attacks at strength 14, -2 or 3, and flat 3 damage. All right, really tasty. We like those as well. Angron, I won't touch on him too hard, but he is compelling. He is a reasonable choice. Even though he's not quite as good as Magnus, he still hits like a truck in melee. He can offer reroll hit rolls for everything within range. He offers other benefits that he can select from, which aren't too bad. More importantly, if you roll a Blessings of Khorne roll and you roll 3 6s and Angron's been destroyed, you can return him to reserves with full wounds remaining.
Yes.
Now,
Beautiful thing.
I really want Berserkers to work because that's how you get Masters of Executioners in your army. Masters of Executioners are great because they offer you fights first, and they're also great at decapitating characters, as we found out on Saturday.
It's true.
But I don't know if I have space for Berserkers right now because I also want to stick Jackals on objectives for cheap for 2 reasons. Yeah. If I have an icon in range of an objective marker, I can reroll Blessings of Khorne dice. Secondly, you murdered me off it with Jackals. I spend 1 CP, the objective is mine anyway. Yeah. And Jackals have that 6-up fill no pain, so it stacks with the Blessings of Khorne roll.
Yeah.
The Demon Prince on foot is now a choice.
Yes.
Because the one with wings is okay, but the one with wings, you pick an enemy target, you have to try and kill it, and if you kill it, you gain something, and if it doesn't kill it, you count as destroyed, cool. But the one on foot offers a 4-up a 4-up invulnerable save, aura of 6 inches. So it basically becomes Azrael.
Yeah. It's so strong.
And even Khan's not too shabby now. If Khan's on the unit of Khorne Berserkers, you reroll hit and wound rolls of 1.
Oh, wow. That's cute.
The book is pretty solid. Yeah. The book only suffers from being a melee-focused army in 10th edition.
Correct. It's the only downside.
So they do hit relatively hard when they hit. As we said a couple of times already, if you watched the game on Saturday, I basically killed all of Adrian's army. If it wasn't for the fact that he's Genius Eater Cult, he'd have had very little left on the board at the end of the game.
Yeah.
But I think World Eaters do still need some kind of faster cavalry moving unit, although I'm saying this now thinking about the fact that my 8-bounds just flat move 9 inches without the benefit that I can give them.
Right.
So maybe they don't need the cavalry unit, but it just kind of feels weird that Lord Invocatus and the Lord on Juggernaut kind of have to walk around with 8-bound.
Yeah.
And they kind of don't get to use their full movement.
It's very awkward.
Which is a bit strange.
Yeah.
That saying that Khorne Lord on Juggernaut also lets you fall out of combat and charge again.
No way. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good.
They're an interesting faction.
I think they're really cool.
I think they're really cool.
Well-designed book.
It is a well-designed book, and once we see some of the GW balancing coming into play, where they push points up for things that are obnoxious in shooting, they maybe start to tone down some of those rules. I can't see World Eaters being touched right now because I think it is a really balanced book. I think currently they sit middle of the pack of all the codexes, maybe a little bit higher than middle of the pack, but mostly middle of the pack. And so I think World Eaters players can be comfortable that the rules aren't going to change, and I think they're a lot of fun.
Totally.
Love it. And you're a World Eaters player, aren't you?
What? I am.
You're a World Eaters player, yeah.
Exactly.
So cool.
I'm super excited to play more of them.
Right. Where did we get to before? We saw that one. Okay. Samberry, thank you so much for the 2. I'm 4 of 4 catching these live. You all rock. What a hero.
Yeah,
every single live one. Thanks.
That's impressive.
Alex then drops 2. Didn't say anything, but thank you for your first ever super chat. You're a hero.
Thank you.
Siege Roots, thank you for the 5. Ooh. Adrian, Gargantuan squig off list when?
As soon as we can. Hey, look, it's on the menu. It's great. I love it.
Thank you so much, Frederick, for the 100 Swedish krona.
Thank you.
Tried to ask the other day, but phrased it odd. Why are World Eaters so incredibly expensive? Jackals are 2 more points than Cultists. Zerkers are 4 more points than Rubrics. 8-bound are 2 more than Possessed. So on. Okay. They do for me at the moment feel a bit pricey.
Okay.
So when I first put my list together, which was my old list in 9th edition, I couldn't fit it all in.
Right.
It was far too expensive. So I agree with you, they do feel a little bit too expensive. Jackals are cultists with a good feel no pain and slightly better melee profile. They all get sustained hits as standard in melee, and they get access to the blessings. I think the blessings will benefit them better than, for example, Dark Pacts benefit cultists.
Yeah.
So I kind of get why they're more points. Maybe 1 more point would have been okay. 2 more points might be a bit too much. Zerkers being 4 more points than Rubrics is where I have a problem, and I've just said I probably wouldn't actually run too many units of Khorne Berserkers because I want to take Jackals and I want to take 8-bound.
Yeah.
And I don't think Zerkers have a place at the moment. And if I play Thousand Sons as well, Rubrics for their points I feel like just outperform Berserkers personally.
4 points is nuts.
Yeah.
For a unit that's probably worse.
4 points is nuts when you consider that Rubrics have AP1 range weapons, psychic powers, a 5-up invulnerable save.
Yep.
Okay, and a Psyker in the unit as well. In terms of 8-bound, however, I'm okay with 8-bound being 2 more points than Possessed because I just think they're better.
Yeah, I agree. That one I'm fine with. The only one I have an issue with really is the Rubrics.
Yeah. So, but thank you so much for the donation, man. You're a hero. I think maybe you will see Berserkers come down slightly. Jackals might get adjusted. 8-bound, I don't see them changing because I feel like 8-bound going to be the most popular choice in the book, if I'm honest with you. Psychag, thank you for the 10 question. Repulsor only fits 12 models. I want to run an Apothecary Biologist with Bolter Discipline and Eradicators, but can only fit 5 Eradicators. I love getting back in after getting charged, but maybe go Land Raider Redeemer instead or on foot.
Yeah, that's a really tough call, honestly. Yeah, because you basically have to not use a full Eradicator if you want to do the
which you're
Repulsor
paying
combo.
points for now.
Exactly, what you're paying for. So I don't love it. Yeah, I don't think it's worth it at that point. I think, yeah, go with the Land Raider.
I mean, for me personally, the Redeemer is just better than Repulsor anyway, because you've got those Flamestorm cannons, which are obnoxiously good with the Overwatch stratagem.
It's another way of protecting the unit, right? Because the Repulsor get back in, the like reverse assault ramp, is to protect you from charging units. And guess what also does that? An amazing Flamer standing right next to you. So.
And that's the thing. If they move within range of that particular unit you've just spoken about, you can't get back in. Yeah, exactly. You can't get back in your Repulsor. But what you can do is you can hit them 2 Flamestorm cannons, which is Strength 6 -2, 2 damage, D6 plus 3 shots each, which means you've got 2 D6 plus 6 shots from the Land Raider, auto hitting in Overwatch at Strength 6 -2, 2 damage.
We know that profile quite well now.
Yeah. It hurts.
It's cool. No?
No, I mean,
it's not
yes,
cool?
It's cool.
It's pretty cool.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It's for cool people only.
So there you go. Right, cool. We've still got codexes to go, though.
Oh, let's go.
I think we've done all of the chaos now,
I know.
Adrian.
We did all the fun stuff.
Are we on to the last 2?
Ooh.
The last 2 main codexes?
Yeah, we have Space Marines and Nids.
We've got Space Marines and Tyranids.
Okay.
Cool. Let's jump in to the Space Marines.
So as mentioned, we are going to touch briefly on the supplements, but we're not going to go in depth. We'll talk about Space Marines as a whole, and then we'll wrap it up with the Tyranid. How are we doing on time? Pretty good.
We're actually doing okay.
Yeah.
We've got an hour to get through these last 2 codexes. This is great.
No problem.
This is great.
So, Space Marines, this is the army rule that all Space Marines have, whether you are a supplement or not, and it is Oath of Moment. Oath of Moment!
Now, remember that this was the first rule they showcased after telling everybody they've reduced the number of fewer rerolls, they said.
Yeah.
Fewer rerolls, chat, listen to this.
That was the biggest mistake of their lives. If your army faction is Adeptus Astartes, at the start of your command phase, you select 1 unit from your opponent's army until the start of your next command phase. Each time a model from your army with this ability makes an attack that targets the enemy unit, you can re-roll the hit roll, and you can re-roll the wound roll. So your whole army gets full re-rolls, hit and wound, against that target. You just say, that guy. That guy.
He dies.
Yeah. So very, very powerful. Of course, they have the Space Marines chapter here. They are one of the only, if not I think the only army that kept their kind of sub-factions, chapters within. So, for example, there's a lot of amazing Ultramarine characters here. The Fist character is actually pretty decent. If you take one of those, they'll have an extra little keyword ability that says their chapter. So if you pick an Ultramarine character, you can't take anything other than an Ultramarine character, meaning you can't take like another a Fist one or a Raven Guard or whatever. You can take all of the non-chapter specific ones you can, but you have to stick with that chapter for the ones that do have it.
Yeah. And Oath of Moment, people did say that actually, well, it's not that great the first time because my opponent's hiding. Yeah, until you take 20 Desolation Marines. There's ways around it, basically, what I'm saying. Oath of Moment is very, 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 very good.
Yeah.
Okay, it's really, really good.
And I mean, what ability doesn't take a hit when you can't see anything from your opponent's army? Like, come on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? People
now,
yeah.
Detachment rule. There's some grey area here.
Uh-huh.
Because we're touching the supplements as well.
Okay.
There is some grey area here.
Yeah.
If your army faction is Adeptus Astartes, you can have the Gladius Task Force detachment, or you can use the Gladius Task Force detachment rule. If you pick, for example, Black Templars as your main faction, your faction is still Adeptus Astartes. But you're picking the Black Templars detachment rule, okay? Mm-hmm. But if you're taking Black Templars and your faction is Adeptus Astartes, you can still use the Gladius Task Force detachment rule.
Right. So why is that a problem?
So that's a problem because in the muster army stage, I can't get people to get my rule book. In the muster army stage of building a force in the rule book, it states you select your faction.
Okay.
And then when it adds datasheets, you can add any datasheet that has that faction keyword.
Correct.
The reason why that's a problem is that currently means that if you take Black Templars, there is a restriction in here, right, that says, up a bit, it says your army cannot include Adeptus Astartes Psycho models, Black Templars keyword. You have to have, if you want to take so you can't take the Lancer, you can't take the Reaper, you can't take the Valiant, you can't take the Impulse, that's because they have their own versions, okay?
Exactly.
So they have a Black Templars Gladiator Lancer, they have a Black Templars Gladiator Repulsor. However, these restrictions are locked behind what you've just said. If your army faction is Adeptus Astartes, you can use the Righteous Detachment rule, right? And if you use the Righteous Detachment rule, you then apply those restrictions.
Correct.
But in the select unit step of this is broken, they will fix it. In the select unit step of building your army roster, you're only locked to selecting units that have the Adeptus Astartes keyword. Mm-hmm. So this currently means that if you take a Gladius task force, but you want to run Black Templars, you could take 6 Gladiator Lancers. Because you can take 6 Gladiator Lancers and you can take 6 Black Templars Gladiator Lancers. Now that's clearly not intended.
Yeah. You could take Librarians, which Black Templars very much hate and you can't normally take, and put them into your squads.
Yeah, you could take a librarian and put it into a Blade Guard squad, for example, if it's got that access to that particular unit, and be Black Templars.
Yeah.
And that's kind of wrong.
Kind of wrong.
Now, you don't get any of the Val stuff, you don't get the Black Templars enhancements, you don't get the Black Templars traits, but I can't imagine having a Psyker in the same detachment as High Marshal Helbrecht. It doesn't make sense from a narrative perspective. There's currently a little gap here right now, okay? Now, there is a little bit within the Black Templars detachment that specifically states that you only get access to certain units. I think Space Force maybe says this as well, if you pick this detachment, but then the Army Builder kind of overrules that. It's a bit all over the place. I'm not going to labour on the fact, but I think this will be clarified and cleared up. However, it does mean you can take Blood Angels as Gladius, you can take Dark Angels as Gladius, you can take Black Templars as Gladius so far. Just expect them to lock those restrictions behind just the kind of chapter that you're using rather than specifically the detachment that you're picking, okay? Right, combat doctrines is what you get for Gladius, and this is the reason why so many of the other factions, i.e. Blood Angels and Black Templars, might be tempted to run Gladius, because it is quite good.
They are. They absolutely are. The way this works is you basically have 3 different doctrines. You have the Devastator Doctrine, the Tactical Doctrine, and the Assault Doctrine. And at the start of the command phase, your command phase, you can select each of these once per game to last till your next turn. And they're good. So Devastator Doctrine gives your whole army the ability to shoot in a turn in which it advanced. Very cool, very strong. The Tactical Doctrine gives the ability to shoot and charge in a turn in which you fell back. Crazy strong, especially in a shooting edition. And last of all, the Assault Doctrine, your entire army gains the ability to declare a charge in a turn in which it advances.
Really good.
Space Marines have WA now, Liam.
Yeah, but once per game.
That's what WA is.
I know. That's all you get.
That's all I get. Oh my god.
Tactical Devastator Assault Doctrine, all really cool abilities.
Yep.
All I can see me using at least once.
Yep.
The problem that I've found actually using these abilities is that, hey, I want this one unit to advance and charge, or I want this one unit to fall back and charge, but I don't want to put the whole army in Tactical Doctrine, because there could be another turn where that's more usable. But they're all really solid abilities.
If only there was like a stratagem that would let you do that.
Yeah. Maybe.
Not that we're there yet.
No, we're there yet.
Only in death does duty end. 2 command points. You do this in the fight phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. You select one Adeptus Astartes unit from your army that was selected as the target's attack. This is fight on death, guarantee for 2 command points.
Yeah.
Very strong.
Really good.
This army does have good combat units
Yep.
that will want to fight on death and do work. So amazing strat for 2 CP.
Yeah, I was surprised that it just auto did it for 2 CP. If I'm
I
honest
was
with you.
surprised for Space Marines, yeah.
But it's good.
Cool.
1 CP, I mean, we don't need to labour this. Armour of Contempt.
Yep.
It's called Armour of Contempt. By this point, we all know what Armour of Contempt does. -1 AP.
Amazing, very strong.
In either the opponent's shooting phase or your fight phase or their fight phase. So it's really good. Lots of utility. 1 CP.
Very strong.
This is, Melody said this the other day, this has become the new transhuman.
100%.
100% it's become the new transhuman. I've used it tons already myself.
Yep. So now we get to some interesting doctrines where we see something, interesting strats. And this is a mechanic we've seen throughout many of the books, right? These strats have a baseline ability and then they get better when you stack them with something in your army ability. So here we have Honor the Chapter. It's 1 command point. It's in the fight phase, and you select one of your units. What it does is until the end of the phase, your melee weapons have the Lance ability, so +1 to wound on the turn in which they charged. And if your unit is under the effects of the Assault Doctrine, they got that right this time, you get +1 AP as well. So +1 to wound in the fight phase, it's a great ability. It's awesome. We've seen this time and time again. But if that unit's also in the Assault Doctrine, you get +1 AP. Amazing.
Yeah. It's really good. This also can make slightly trash melee units a lot better. So even Reavers potentially have some play under this stratagem. Because, so many people will get a new Spaceman book and go straight to Reavers, one of the coolest looking units, and they've always got garbage rules. This does make them a little bit more exciting.
Yeah, it's cute.
But it's not just Reavers, clearly. There's a couple, I would go as far as to say that even on a basic intercessor, +1 to wound at strength 4 and -1 AP, makes them so much better in melee.
Oh my god, absolutely. It's very, very strong in assault intercessors.
Yeah.
Adaptive strategy.
Adaptive strategy. So this is a super clutch stratagem for Space Marine players, which I see them currently using all the time. Your command phase, 1 Adeptus Astartes unit from your army, select the Devastator Doctrine, Tactical Doctrine, or Assault Doctrine until the start of your next command phase. That combat doctrine is active for that unit instead of any other combat doctrine that is active for your army, even if your army has already selected that doctrine. Okay?
Yes.
It doesn't limit it. It's not like if you've selected it once, you can only do this once more. So you can keep 1 unit in Assault Doctrine all game for your CP every single turn if you wanted to spend your CP that way.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Of course, stacks with a lot of abilities that we saw. It does get a bit expensive if you're looking to like have advance and charge on demand. You'd spend you'd spend 1 to do this. Then you would have them advance and charge. You could then spend another CP to give them the lance plus 1 AP. But it's cool. You can kind of play this very cheaply, or you can really stack a bunch of CP on 1 unit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Squad tactics is a very interesting stratagem. This is a 1 CP. You notice it's red because you use this in your opponent's movement phase just after an enemy unit ends a normal, advance, or fall back move. The target is 1 Adeptus Astartes infantry or mounted unit, so bikes, that's within 9 inches of the unit that just ended that move. What does it do? Your unit can immediately make a move of up to D6, already strong, or if you're in Tactical Doctrine, you can make a flat 6-inch move. Melee armies hate this trick, and they don't want you to know about it.
Yeah, it's awful.
You've done all your work, you run up there, you do your little advance and charge move, you get there, you're like, cool, it's going to be a 7-inch charge, I can do that. Boop, just kidding, I'm actually unchargeable, because I'm actually beyond. That is so strong.
I mean, even if I get to just over 1 inch away, and then you pop it, and you're in Tactical Doctrine, and you're now 7 and a bit inches away, that still makes my charge obviously significantly less reliable. It's a problem. It's really, really good.
It is.
I like it. And the other thing that this can do as well, so we talk about it in regards to charging and stuff like that. There's other things here, right? So you just have to end the move within 9 inches away. I could be lining up my Rubric Marine Flamers, and you go boop behind terrain.
Yep.
Can't see you now, can't shoot you.
You could put more bodies on an objective.
Yep, there's loads you can do. It's really, really good stratagem for 1 CP. Storm of Fire is the other single command point stratagem. 1 Adeptus Astartes unit from your army in your shooting phase. Until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by models in your unit have the Ignores Cover ability. If your unit is under the effects of the Devastator Doctrine until the end of the phase, improve the armor penetration characteristic of each weapon by 1 as well. Incredible stratagem.
Amazing. Very, very strong.
Yeah.
This is probably the one we'll see comboed the most with Adaptive Strategy. So pay 1 CP to put that unit in Devastator Doctrine, pay another 1 to give them Ignore Cover plus 1 AP.
Yeah.
You're going to see this a lot.
And you'll see that quite a lot as well. Currently on Desolation Marines. So if I'm firing out of line of sight, guess what? You get cover, not anymore because of Storm of Fire. And not only do you not get cover, but I'm also AP1 as well.
Yeah. And if they didn't move, they also ignore the negative penalties for shooting out of line of sight.
It's a problem.
There is something that makes them tick even further. The thing that really makes them a problem, and we'll talk about that in just a moment.
Yeah, but before we talk about this, the 1 enhancement everyone's taken, we'll talk about the other 3. Artificer Armor.
Yeah.
So basically, single Astartes model only. The bearer has a save characteristic of 2+ and a feel no pain of 5+.
So it's cute, it's okay. I will say the reason why this is very interesting is because 1, it's very cheap. I think it's like 10 or 15 points. 2, Space Marines, just like before, have a lot of reliance on their characters. The characters give them amazing abilities. They can refund expensive stratagems. If you're playing a Judiciary, it's going to give your unit fight first, which is important to key units like Blade Guard. So making this model more durable, keep in mind that there's a 1 CP strat, which everyone knows, to give precision to a character into another unit. So it's actually very easy to reach in and pull out that character. Space Marine characters aren't usually that tough. So making them a bit tougher so you can keep that key ability, actually worthwhile. I'm really going to try to fit this in whenever I can on those types of units.
Yeah, it's cool.
I like it. Add up to the Codex. This is one that I will admit I misread when we first started playing. I thought it was much better than it is. It's a captain model only. At the start of your command phase, if the bearer is on the battlefield, instead of selecting Combat Doctrine to be active for your army, so you get no Army Doctrine, you can select the Tactical Doctrine. And if you do so, until the start of your next command phase, that doctrine is active for the bearer's unit only, even if you have already selected the doctrine to be active for your army this battle. Now, in my defense, it's worded very, very badly. Why would they say it's active for the whole army but only affects this unit? Doesn't make any sense. It's cute. Basically, it says after you've used up your tactical, or if you're not doing another doctrine, you can put this unit into tactical. It's cute for these big bricks if you're running like shooty terminators or aggressors who really want to fall back, shoot, and charge. It's cute. The limitation really makes it so that this does not get out of hand.
Yeah, so the thing is because you have to not select a combat doctrine for the rest of your army to benefit from.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's bad, but it means you're probably getting max 2 turns out of this.
Exactly.
So, and that's the problem, because you probably are at some point going to want to use Assault Doctrine. You probably are at some point going to want to use Devastator Doctrine. Don't forget, though, that if you choose to, if you think that I have this one unit who I want to be in Devastator Doctrine, I have nothing else that I want to be in A Doctrine, and I have this one unit I want to be in Tactical Doctrine, you can, of course, spend that 1 CP, put that one unit in Dev Doctrine, use this ability, that one unit gets Tactical, that one unit gets Devastator, everything else gets nothing. There are places where you could then potentially use it more often, but I don't. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. Yeah. It's not, it's not the best. It's not going to blow worlds. It's still not horrendously terrible.
No.
Because a captain in Terminator armor in a group of Terminators who can consistently fall back and charge is no joke. But they're not. It's not the best in the world.
Agreed.
The Honor Vehement. Okay, so it's a Starties model only. Add 1 to the attacks and strength characteristic of the various melee weapons. While the bearer is under the effects of the Assault Doctrine, add 2 to the attacks and strength characteristic of the bearer's melee weapons instead. Probably not going to use it. Yeah, exactly.
Meh.
Cool. My captain with his sword might be a little bit better. Meh. Okay. Yeah. Cool. It's not bad.
You can do a cute...
If it would have added damage...
Oh, then we're cooking.
Then we're taking it.
Because you can stack this with some of the captains have... Again, this is one of the reasons that Space Marines are actually just orcs. They have the same ability that a lot of war bosses have, which is once per game, you can just go nuts, and they get like +3 attacks and extra whatever. So you can stack that with this. It's cute. You're going to get a lot more attacks, a lot more strength. If you combine that with extra damage, that would be super interesting, but you can't.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the enhancement that everyone is going to be taking.
Yep.
Bolt or Discipline. This is an Adeptus Astartes model only. While the bearer is leading a unit, ranged weapons equipped by models in that unit have the Sustained Hits 1 ability. In addition, while the bearer's unit is under the effects of the Devastator Doctrine, each time a model in that unit makes a ranged attack, a successful unmodified hit roll of a 5+ scores a critical hit. Now don't be fooled here, Liam. Although it says Bolt or Discipline, this actually works on any ranged attacks, and this turns out is best suited towards missiles.
Yeah. Guess what? Desolation Marines benefit from this.
It's
a spicy meatball.
It's a very spicy. We talked about the combo earlier where you spend the CP to put those other abilities. You have this. You can of course have Oath and be rerolling everything that doesn't proc these abilities. It's very, very strong. The ironic thing with Desolation Marines is GW actually tried really hard to be careful with it. They really restricted the kinds of characters that can join Desolation Squad. You can't even put a captain in them. You can do like an apothecary and maybe something else. But guess what? This one does not have a restriction to like captain only or something. So you put the apothecary, which reses one Desolation Marine. It's good, whatever. But really you do it because you attach Bolt or Discipline, and then that gives this squad this crazy ability. Exploding missiles on 5s with 4 rerolls is going to be no joke.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it.
We did see it.
We saw what it could do to even Custodes.
Right?
It's pretty terrifying.
Yeah, it's very, very strong. So this is your auto take. Funny enough, this is almost the next one I take, frankly, just because it's so cheap. And then this one, and then this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to see most Space Marine players taking Bolt of Discipline and no others, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I think it depends how the points line up.
Yep, of course.
My current Space Marine list is 2,010 points. And every day I look at it, I'm like, what am I going to cut? And I don't have the armor, obviously. I've already cut that. So,
yeah. Okay.
Yup.
Cool.
So, obviously, there's lots of data sheets. There's lots of things to discuss. So we're going to kind of just do some highlights, some greatest hits. Shout out to the Ultramarines. I think they're awesome. Gilliman is an absolute beast. Crazy strong. I like that he gets lone operative. I'm very interested in Calgar. I'm currently playing with him in my list because he gives advance and charge, fall back and charge, and he gives a CP. So he's like, every faction generally has one character that gives you CP. That's him. So I like that. Lysander, my boy Lysander, actually very interesting. Put him in a block of Terminators, giving them basically the new transhuman, right? So you can't wound him on 2s. If you're wounding him on 3s, you go to 4s. So that's pretty spicy. Unit-wise, Desolation Marines stand out. I think every army will have 2 units of Infiltrators. Scouts are great because they basically have lone operative. There's a cute combo you can do with Infiltrators where you take the Phobos Librarian, who's finally interesting, put them in Infiltrators. Infiltrators, as you probably know, you cannot land within 12 of them. The Phobos Librarian gives the ability to not be shot unless you're within 12 of them. So it's a really spicy combo where you kind of have to like run right up into them, shoot them, or charge them. So that's cool.
There is some really cool stacking you can do with Space Marines as well. We saw a little part of this last night on the Good Talk when someone sent us in a list. Yeah. Hammer Strikes, for example, give extra AP. Normal Land Speeders give ignores cover and something else. Like, there's a couple of cool things. So for me at the moment, if I'm going to be very pessimistic, I guess, this is kind of Codex Desolation Marines, because what you can do is with the Hammer Striker, Land Speeder, and a couple of other bits and pieces with the Bolt we've just seen, you can basically make Desolation Marines with what's it called? Oath of Moment. Delete anything they look at. We just delete what they look at, which is good and it's impressive. I'm quite excited about things like Gladiator Lancers again for a change, and things that we just didn't see play in the previous edition. I feel they have a place now, especially with the emergence of the toughness of vehicles. I like Gladiator Lancers. And there's some cool stuff that they've done in the book. I actually think on the whole the Space Marine book is relatively good. It's hard to not be good when you've got 6,432 data sheets, because you can basically cover every base. There's a couple of weird things they've done though that I want to touch on.
Yeah.
So they did make a big thing in the lead up to 10th edition about how they've removed the restrictions for detachments. Not detachments, sorry, for transports. They did. They then added loads more.
Yeah.
Hey, we've got no Primaris, non-Primaris restrictions on transports now, but what we are going to do is we're going to restrict you so that you can't take Tacticus, Phobos, or Gravis. Like, hang on, that's all the Primaris stuff.
Right.
So you've left the restriction and you just call it something different.
Exactly.
Bit of an odd choice there.
It's very awkward.
Blade Guard. So typically we saw, I think, a lot in 9th edition, specifically the UK meta anyway. I don't know if the US was the same, but we saw big blocks of Blade Guard, Redemptor Dreadnoughts. That was kind of the mainstay of most armies. Blade Guard, I feel like they have more of a defensive profile now rather than an attacking profile. And Redemptors, they kept them -1. One of the few Dreadnoughts that kept them -1 damage. I just don't love them as much as I did before. I think they're still okay. I mean, you're different. You're like, don't take them now.
Yeah, I really don't. I'm not.
You even just picked a Vindicator over a Dreadnought.
I did.
I know.
I did. I don't know, and I'm trying again, like you mentioned, that I'm trying not to get stuck in the pattern of like, comparing them to what they were, which you should never do. I just, they're not infantry. They're just okay, and they're kind of expensive. They're over 200 points now, I think.
Yeah.
Whereas, I love the Lancer. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah. It's good that there's a choice. There's a couple of other things they've done, just so you guys are aware. Vanguard vets now have heirloom weapons. Touch more on that just when we talk about Space Wolves. I'm not into this. I don't like it, actually, personally. Yeah. But they've done it, and we have to kind of just live with it. They're not so great. Outriders are now more compelling because you can take them in a unit of 6, and you can even put in there a ATV, an Invader ATV, which you couldn't do previously. They become useful now because they're not just a unit of 3 that are going to get shot off before they do anything. And of course, you can ally in something like a chaplain to make them more more tanky or more effective at what they want to do.
Give them devastating wounds.
There's just some really cool stuff in the Space Marine book on the whole. I actually would rank Space Marines as a generic codex, without looking at supplements, quite high up on the list.
They're very, very high.
They're good, they're tanky, they're durable, they kill well, and Oath of Moment makes them really sing.
Yeah.
I had a problem with Oath when I first saw it because it was reroll all hits, reroll all wins for the whole army. And it is great because you can literally pick a unit and just flat destroy it. And I think you've probably, as we've already touched with Gulliman, Gulliman lets you do that twice, right? That's mad good. It's very, very good. However, without it, would they be as effective as they are right now? I mean, of course they're not, because that goes without saying. But I don't even know if that would bring them down to a level which would drop them a whole other tier. Like, I think Oath is that important to Space Marines at the moment to really make them work.
It is.
And from a narrative perspective, I actually kind of love it as well. I don't hate it. And my personal opinion is that the Gladius Strike Force is probably the strongest attachment that Space Marine players can take, no matter what their flavour is. What do you mean, Liam? Every army's just got one detachment. But no, not Space Marines, Adrian.
Never!
Not the Golden Boys of Warhammer 40k. Space Marines have other detachments. Specifically, we're talking about Dark Angels, Blood Angels, Death Watch, which we've already touched on. Help me.
I didn't hear what you said.
Black Templars.
Space Wolves?
Space Wolves, thank you.
Yeah.
So these all get access to the detachment. We did touch on Death Watch earlier, before we knew how long this series was going to take. So let's talk about the other ones quickly.
Oh, we did, didn't we? Yeah.
So we have Dark Angels.
Oh, what's up, Martin? So, long story short, if you were to not go with Gladius, or even with Gladius, I don't know. If they get Battle Shocks, they remain OC1, which is cool.
That's a detachment roll.
That's a detachment roll, yeah. So again, Gladius probably still better. They're all about getting Battle Shocked, right? If you don't go with Gladius, so all their relics basically have the first tier ability, and they get better if you're Battle Shocked. Cool, weird, I'm not sure. A lot of the strats revolve around that. They gain a lot of the Space Marine supplements, regain abilities that they wouldn't have if they weren't Gladius. So like Advance and Charge, Fall Back and Charge, these are strats that a few of them have. I think for me, what stands out about Dark Angels is their data sheets. The line is amazing. Lone operative, kind of like Gilliman, if you are within 3 of an Adeptus Astartes infantry or mounted unit. The guy has fights first, which is absolutely bonkers. He is one of, if not the only 3+ invuln save in the game, with -1 to wound.
Solitaire has it, but yeah, otherwise.
Solitaire, oh, that's true. So he is awesome. A lot of their specific units are amazing. Command squads are interesting because they are basically character units without characters. So you can take, just like the command squad in Space Marines, you have the apothecary, you have the banner, you have the like pseudo captain guy, and then you just add bodies on, which is awesome. Black Knights are great because they're -1 damage. There's a lot of really cool stuff in there. Azrael gives you, I think, command points. So there's a lot of really good data sheets in the Dark Angels section. I think they're probably still the most interesting as a Gladius strike force.
You reckon?
Yeah, I don't know if I love their other stuff, to be honest. They're just like kind of weird and kind of niche. So,
yeah.
But I think Dark Angels are very strong.
I think some of the stratagems are interesting for Dark Angels.
Yeah.
I like the fact that a lot of them have an ability and then they have an extra ability when they're battle
Yeah,
shock.
I like
So
that.
Again, that's better. Some of these other stratagems we've seen, hey, here's the 4 situations that have to have occurred before you can play this one stratagem.
Yeah.
They're like the Chaos Space Marines. Here's a stratagem that can do something.
Right.
And if you're battle shocked, it gives you something else.
Exactly.
Okay? So in that regards, I don't hate their stratagems. I think they're okay. I would argue you're probably right, though. I think I probably would still go Gladius Task Force.
There was one defensive one that was really strong.
Oh, for Dark Angels?
I forget.
Wait, one caller.
There was one thing that I was like, oh, that's...
Is it the -1 damage one after they've charged?
Yeah, that one. That's pretty good.
Which we've so far seen for 2 CP.
Yeah.
But if we go into the stratagems for the and we go for Unbreakable Lines, I think it's Unbreakable Lines.
Yeah.
In your opponent's charge phase, just after an enemy as a charge move, 1 Adeptus unit from your army within engagement range of that enemy unit until the end of the turn. Each time an attack is allocated to a model in that unit, subtract 1 from the damage. -1 damage, but for 1 CP.
That's very, very strong.
Yeah.
Especially if you play the way that I think you want to play, which is these Bricks of Terminators.
Yeah, you get Shoot on
strong.
Death. You get Shoot on Death with Dark Angels, which is quite cool. You get to give a unit heavy and assault and ignores cover on their range weapons.
Cute.
For 1 CP. That's good. I like that. Okay. You can fall back and then you can still charge or shoot if you fell back, which is Assault Doctrine, but it's 1 CP instead. Tactical Doctrine, you're correct, yeah. You then get the ability to improve AP by 1 in your opponent's shooting or fight phase just after enemy. It's Armor Content. What am I doing? I'm just reading Armor Content. So the one stratagem we are talking about is Unforgiven Fury, where they get lethal hits and they get crits on 5s if they're battle shocked. Solid stratagems.
Solid.
And the Lion is an incredible unit.
So strong. He's finally what he should be.
Good. He's so good.
So that's Dark Angels.
And they have some, like you've already said, right? They have some incredible units. For me personally, if I'm building Dark Angels right now, I'm going to go Deathwing Knights and stuff like that in the middle of the board. Ravenwing for speed around the outside. Loads of plasma, good damage. I like Dark Angels. Cool. Of course, we're going to see other detachments for them, and you'll probably start seeing things like Weapons of the Dark Age come back in, which will also be interesting if you're pushing the limits of plasma and stuff like that as well. But Dark Angels are a solid choice. We then have Black Templars, which is what I was just looking at as well, actually. Black Templars, for me, at the moment, if I'm honest with everybody, is probably my favourite Space Marine detachment outside of the Gladius Task Force.
Yeah.
And even then, I think it's a tough pick. But there are reasons to take Black Templars. They have Righteous Crusaders, and you can pick, before the game begins, a Templar vow, okay? You either get lethal hits on melee weapons, you get a 4+ invulnerable save against psychic attacks, and melee weapons in the army have the anti-psycho 4+ ability.
That's cool.
Which, if you're going to come up against Thousand Suns or Grey Knights, is very compelling.
Yep.
You get to get sustained hits on your melee weapons. All of those sound good so far. But here's the one I think I'm going to be taking most of the time. Leadership of 6+. And a Feel No Pain, leadership of 5+, Feel No Pain 6+ across the whole army.
Yes. Because this also stacks in a number of different ways. There's a relic that gives a unit 6 up Feel No Pain, or if you have that vow, 5+ Feel No Pain.
Yeah.
Grimaldus also gives a 5 up Feel No Pain to a unit, so they can be surprisingly durable, and I think surprisingly good for what is ultimately a melee army. I think Crusaders are cool. Sword Brethren had an absolute huge glow up, where they can go to 3 damage and just run all swords. So I think they have great characters with amazing buffs, good melee. They have movement. Their vehicles have multi-meltas.
Yeah.
There's a lot to love there.
Helbrecht is great. He's a great unit. Grimaldus is a great unit. The Emperor's Champion isn't terrible.
Yeah.
Sword Brethren are aggressive Blade Guard now.
Yep.
They kind of do the reverse of what Blade. They go in there now and they're pretty terrible. They're back up to, they're up to 2 damage where they should have always been.
And going to 3.
Yeah. So they are I think Templars are a solid faction in themselves, and I actually feel like there is a reason to take Righteous Crusaders over Gladius Task Force.
100%, yep.
Blood Angels, on the other hand, it's a bit of a sad story for me for Blood Angels. They basically just get World Eaters. They get +1 strength and +1 attack if they charge, and that's it. Okay, so some of the units are okay. Dante's a bit better than he used to be, but he's not great. Seth is still a bit of a tank, actually, if you want to go down the route of taking Flesh Tearers. Yeah. Death Company Dreadnoughts are fucking bonkers.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely mental, because they can attack every single time they're targeted as an attack. So if you charge a Death Company Dreadnought with 3 units and you fight 3 times, guess what? It's fighting back 3 times.
Yo.
Currently, rules as written. Rules as written? Rules as written.
Rules as written.
Rules as written. Rules as written, they can fight back every time. So Death Company have some play.
Yeah.
Death Company Blood Angels. Death Company themselves aren't too shabby. They're okay. I like Blood Angels. I still think that you're better off taking things like those Death Company Dreadnoughts in a Gladius Strike Force.
Yeah, ultimately. That's the truth of it, isn't it?
If I'm honest with you. And then we have the Space Wolves.
Oh, the poor Space Wolves.
Right. You say, okay, so the Space Wolves, from a narrative perspective, I adore the Saga mechanic. From a pure narrative perspective.
Yeah.
From a rules perspective, I question it. So if you don't know what this is, Space Wolves get access to sagas. There's 4 things they need to do, and if they do those 4 things, they access army-wide buffs. However, those 4 things have to be done by a character model, not unit.
Correct.
Character model.
Yep.
And that's sometimes very hard to do. You could swing with a unit first, for example, and accidentally overkill, and then your character's going, thanks, chaps, I can't do my saga now. What are you thinking? Okay, so you need to get your enemy, an enemy character into an opponent's deployment zone, I think, or onto an opponent's objective, and you gain an ability. Take an objective. That's right. You gain an ability
in their deployment zone.
You have to kill. Yeah, you have to kill a vehicle or monster. You gain an ability. You have to kill another character. You gain an ability.
Yeah.
And something else which I've forgotten already.
I think you need to like take wounds or be reduced below half to survive.
You need to go below half strength and not die.
So
and then you gain an ability.
They're very difficult. They're very niche. The benefits are good. They are good, and just like these other armies, they unlock 2nd tiers of enhancements and stratagems. But one of the things that just kills me is if you dare to complete more than one of these in a turn, you pick one, and that's the only one that will finish for that turn.
Oh, really? I missed that.
Yup.
Really?
I did all 4 in one stupendous turn, and I was like, yes, we did it. We actually have the Space Wolf thing, and the chat's like, no. You get to pick one.
You are kidding me.
It is so dumb. And that's why I even hesitate even when you said that you like the rules narratively. Because that's not narrative. This was an epic, heroic, hard-to-earn moment. And it doesn't even...
I missed that completely. At the end of the battle round, you can select one of the sagas listed below. Right, that's... Okay, it's shit. Sorry, Spaceball players. Yeah. Dog shit.
It sucks.
I was like, okay, I think I can probably reliably do 1 to 2 of them a turn. That actually doesn't matter if I've done 2 of them a turn. If you have to select one of them, that's just worse.
It's crazy. Like, you literally can't even get all of them until the very end of the game. It's so dumb. I don't understand why. Unit-wise, look, Wolfen got done dirty. They have no damage output. No, I don't think the damage is not a mistake. It's not a mistake.
No, I mean, it is a mistake, but it's not a mistake.
Sorry, they did it on purpose.
Yeah, there we go. That's better. That's more correct. They did it on purpose, but they made a mistake.
Yeah, exactly. They definitely done messed up. Thunderwolf Cav, I'm more optimistic on. Yes, it's stupid that their heirloom weapons are 1 damage, including thunder hammers. It's stupid, but again, we can't get caught thinking about what they used to be. What they are is a relatively cheap, fast unit that can get +1 damage on the charge.
See, the +1 damage on the charge makes them better.
Yeah.
It just does.
Makes them playable.
But losing Thunderhammer's really
No, you can't think about that. Don't think about that, Liam.
I can think about that.
And they're cheap.
Because
they're cheap. It's 100 points for 3 of them. Which is like a little bit cheaper than they used to be. But can't compare. We're not comparing. We're not comparing. So I'm optimistic-ish about those.
I really love Space Wolves. And I look at it now and I'm like, this isn't Space Wolves to me anymore.
Mel is devastated. As someone mentioned earlier with Space Wolves, it sucks because not only do the units take a hit, but the addition is also less melee. So there's a lot of obstacles to surmount if you want to play in a Space Wolf list and not just take a bunch of Desolation Marines.
The thing that makes me sad at the moment is I think that for certain armies like Space Wolves, for certain factions like Space Wolves, you kind of need. I mean, they need Oath of Moment to to just work right now.
Yes. Which they have.
And I would argue, again, that the Gladius is probably more compelling than the Sagas.
100%.
Which, at what point are you still Space Wolves? Okay, you're Space Wolves because you might still be taking Logan and you might still be taking Thunderwolf Cavalry.
Yeah.
But in terms of that, your stratagem identity is now Gladius, your enhancement identity is now Gladius, and your detachment rules are now Gladius.
Yeah, it sucks.
So you're Space Wolves only because of the units you can take rather than because of the rules you have access to. And I would rather have those rules that are Space Wolf centric. This is what we were talking about earlier about how Chaos don't get access if your World Eaters, Thousand Suns, or Death Guard to their parent codex. I'm kind of glad because it means I get my own flavour. And Space Wolves, they done fucked up. I don't feel like they really have their own flavour right now.
Agreed.
Or at least flavour that's usable. Clearly, a caveat, it's an index. It's one detachment of, they probably will get 5 or 6. So hopefully, other detachments will come out and feel very Space Wolves in the future.
Yep.
Space Marines on the whole, though, if we look at them as a parent faction, it's a good book, it's a good faction.
Yeah.
And the bonus I guess you do have when you look at Space Wolves, the bonus you do have, and here's what I'm gonna turn it into a positive, Adrian. You look at Space Wolves rules, you go, I mostly think they're shit. So I can run Gladius and I still have a usable army.
Yeah.
Death Guard, you look at their rules and go, Death Guard rules are shit, and I'm stuck with them.
Yep.
So there is a positive to it, Space Wolf players. Don't
sure.
panic, okay? There is a positive to it so far. At least you have playable rules for the foreseeable future, okay?
Yep.
Space Marines, done, nailed it. Fan funding, we're back in. Okay, right. So thank you, Xylate, I guess it is. Thanks for the content this week. Really enjoyed it. Any advice for running a Phobos Vanguard army?
Ooh. That sounds cool, promising. I really like infiltrators. The incursors are also interesting because they basically function as like a tagging unit. You know, you target something, hit them, you get +1 AP, so that's really cool. Eliminators are interesting. I would encourage you to also, if you're open to it, include scouts in your army. The Phobos captain can redeploy and join scouts. So, you know, in the lore, they're also Phobos. And I think they're really great, especially when you join a captain because you can take 10 scouts, put a captain or talion, which is cool. Talion. And I think eliminators are interesting in an army that's dedicated to this because I think, and this is where we differ a little bit, I think they're best used when you have a certain amount of volume because I think 1 unit of eliminators is not going to do much. But 3 units of eliminators, better watch out.
Yeah, Joe in his Raven Guard army has only Phobos models.
Yeah.
With
cool.
the exception of the dreadnoughty things that.
Oh yeah, the Invictor.
Yeah. And he has 3 units of 3 eliminators.
Yeah.
And they're going to be terrifying, I think.
They're going to be very, very
3 units of 3 is a problem.
Yeah, so I'm into that. I'm honestly, speaking of the Invictor, because it's one that you would think to include because it shoots at something that shoots at your Phobos units, I don't know that I love it. At least competitively, you know, like if you're in it for the flavor and the style, then I think absolutely include it. It's got cool synergies. Rules-wise, it's a bit awkward. Our eliminators are not sitting on a cover save anymore, so they actually will die. So it'll be like, you killed my friends, but I guess I get to shoot you. You're like, you didn't do your job, man. You're the custodians guarding the Emperor. So those would be my main thoughts.
That being said, you could get access to that sweet flamer, and Overwatch becomes a thing for them again.
And redeploy is cool, because you can redeploy with the Phobos, which is something he's always needed, which is why he's been best with Ultramarines before, because you can say, cool, I'm going first, yeet, we're going all in. We're going second, we can hide him and do a countercharge.
Phobos as our kind of theme throughout an army is actually very playable now. And I really like it.
Yeah, definitely.
It's really, really good. So you go for it, man.
Thank you.
Hopefully Adrian's helped you. I don't know as much as he does about the Space Marines, so I have to let him talk for a bit. Tim, and thank you so much for your first ever super chat as well. Tim, thank you for the 10. With the Outrider changes, going to bring my White Scars back for the next Factorma events. Do it.
Ooh.
Bring them back, Tim, because they're cool, apart from the fact that the White Scars character's on foot. Why did they put him on foot, Adrian?
They ran out of mold space.
Oh my God, yeah. But I think people have perhaps overlooked the fact that Outriders can now go to 6-man units and include an ATV. I think that's really good.
It's really cool. It's really good, especially when you add the chaplain.
Yeah.
Then it really starts to sing.
Yeah, big fan.
It's a really fun squad.
I'm excited to see your White Scars, Tim. Thank you so much. You're a hero. Adrian, thank you for the 10. Do you guys think that Games Workshop will fix the Black Templars, High Marshal, Marshal, and Castellan keywords? At present, apothecaries, ancients, etc. cannot join units that they lead. Helbrecht ought to have 6 wounds too. Thanks.
Yeah.
Helbrecht should have 6 wounds.
He should.
I agree with that one. And this is a problem right now. So, apothecary data sheet in the Space Marines Codex says that it can join a unit that contains a captain, for example. Helbrecht isn't a captain.
Right.
Nor is he a chapter master.
Right.
So an apothecary can't join his unit.
Right. Feels like a typo.
Feels like a typo.
Yeah.
It's the same for the Castellan, which is essentially, if I remember right, the Castellan is essentially the Black Templars equivalent to a lieutenant.
Yeah.
Also can't join Hellbrecht's unit. It feels like there is just an accidental gap there. I don't feel like this is intentional. I don't feel like they've done it on purpose, and I just think that they've missed that this interaction now exists because of this whole new system around leaders and how things join units. It's the same, for me personally, it's the same as the Commissar in an Imperial Guard book stating that it can do something when it joins a unit with an officer in it, but it has no thing that says it can join a unit with an officer in it. Yeah. There'll be something somewhere that clarifies this, so don't panic too much, Adrian. I think it will be fixed. I'm getting a Black Templars army painted at Siege, Big Bad Siege Studios, ! Siege in the chat. I'm getting them to paint a Templars army right now, so I hope they fix those kind of things.
Yeah, right.
David, thank you for the 50 Norwegian Corona. Reavers plus Phobos Lieutenant can deep strike 9 from a character and shoot and scoot for a reliable charge and precision in the character. Blood Angels for +1 attack, +1 strength. Thoughts?
I don't think you can shoot and scoot on the turn in which you land from deep strike.
Why not?
Pretty sure that's still a rule.
Is it? Or is that a rule from 9th edition, Adrian? It's a different edition.
I would be shocked if you could do that.
The
amount of shenanigans you could pull.
Yeah, well, yeah. So drop in, shoot, move after you shoot, be 4 inches away, and then charge.
Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you why you can't do that, but I'm very skeptical.
So they definitely stopped that in 9th.
For sure, yeah.
But I haven't seen a restriction that stops that so far in 10th. Rules as written. Dovercon, you're probably right.
I don't know.
Rules as written.
Skeptical.
Well, demons can now come in within 6 inches and charge.
Yeah, but this is different.
I mean, it is different.
Yeah, and I'm not truly worried about Reavers here. Let's be honest. It's all the other things that can also do this. Then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, shoot, scoot, charge. I mean, I don't think at the moment there's anything against it, but we'll see. Yeah. Precision against the character. Blood Angels for +1 attack, +1 strength. Thoughts? You're giving up on Gladius to get +1 attack, +1 strength on Blood Angels.
Yeah, true.
Is it worth it?
Not for that alone. No.
I don't know.
But the melee is nice. +1 strength, +1 attack.
There's some other stuff Blood Angels. Nice. They've got a couple of cool strats. Like I think they can do +1 damage with a stratagem in melee as well.
Oh wow.
And I think that might even give another AP, but I can't remember.
The Sanguinary Priest is cool too.
So there's some cool stuff Blood Angels do. I don't think Gladius is an auto take for Blood Angels.
No, I don't think so.
Because some of their stuff's cool. But if you're just looking at the faction trait, I'm not blown away by it personally.
That's fair.
Frederick, thank you for the Swedish Krona 100. My Flesh Terrors are unplayable now. 2 out of 3 of my characters deleted. The remainder 1 can't join any unit I own. You think Death Company captains and lieutenants will come back in the index and join Death Company units? I would be, honestly, I hate to say this to you because of what you've just said about how many things have been deleted. I would be very, 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 very surprised to see them put those units back in the index. If we haven't seen them now, they've said that every new codex, they've said that most of the new indexes, or codexes I should say, will come hand in hand with a new unit. Now it could be that it's an upgraded old model range, so it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a brand new unit. It might be that they take warp spiders and turn them into plastic, for example.
Right, yeah.
Are they going to bring back Death Company captains and lieutenants for Blood Angels? I really don't think so.
I could see them doing a Death Company like detachment where you gain like the keywords on a regular captain. I could see them doing that.
Maybe. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do actually think that Flesh Terrors and Blood Angels, if you can afford to pick up some new units for them at some point in the near future, are a good faction still. I think Gabriel Seth is a good unit now. I know he can only join like normal assault marines or whatever because he's not Primaris, but I think he's still very good.
Yeah.
And Joe uses him still to this day. I don't think that Flesh Terrors themselves are unplayable. I understand that your experience might be that because of what they've done to data sheets that you previously had access to that you don't have anymore. So I get it, but as a faction, they're not unplayable. And I think, if I remember rightly, Eddie, I think it was, used them on our channel on the Monday, having never used them before, and actually did okay into whatever army he played against. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, it was. I've slept since then multiple times. But yeah, have a play around with it. I honestly don't see those units coming back, I'm afraid, though, man, if I'm honest with you, at the moment. So, Melodies confirmed the Blood Angel strat is actually lethal hits and +1 a wound. Oh, that's actually quite good.
That's cool.
That is really
like
cool.
that.
That's a good stratagem, actually. Thanks, Melody. I appreciate you. Resident Run Drinker, thank you for the 5. Reference commissars joining units. On the battle line infantry estate, you can add 2 leaders. So as long as no more than one of those is a command squad. Oh, okay, that's cool. So that's a weird way to do it, though, in Guard.
I think we've had this conversation.
I've slept since then, Adrian.
Oh, it's all reset.
Yeah.
So this is the same as it is for Orc Boys. They have the exemption on the unit because it's an exemption over the... I found this is super surreal. It's an exemption on the unit because it's an exemption to the normal rules where you can attach multiple characters to one unit. So it's the same... It's the same way that it's written for boys.
I feel like you've told me this before.
Yeah, this is very weird.
Cool. With that, we should jump into Tyranids as the last faction.
Oh, it's time.
As the last faction on our 4 days of 40k.
You know, right?
That's the thing now. That's the name of it. The 4 days,
4 days
of 40k.
That's
We're doing it.
We designed it all along.
Yep, this is all intended. It definitely wasn't something that I thought would take one stream that we now have spent 14 hours covering. Hope you appreciate us, chat.
Thanks, chat.
So, Tyranids.
Yeah.
Tyranids. Army rules. 2 of them.
Two of them.
2 army rules. Synapse and Shadow in the War. Synapse, if your army faction is Tyranids, while a Tyranids unit from your army is within 6 inches of 1 or more Synapse models from your army, that unit is said to be within Synapse range of your army. Each time a Tyranids unit from your army takes a battle shock test, if it is within Synapse range, you take that test on 3d6 instead of 2. You don't discard the lowest.
No.
You just take it on 3d6.
Very, very strong. It's you know, this is the addition of battle shock, and it's very difficult to battle shock anything within Synapse range.
Yeah, I agree. Then we have the Shadow in the Warp ability if your army faction is Tyranids. Once per battle, in either player's command phase, if 1 or more units from your army with this ability are on the battlefield, you can unleash the Shadow in the Warp. When you do, each enemy unit on the battlefield must take a battle shock test.
I love it.
It's very narrative.
It's very narrative.
It's super cool. I was wondering what they were going to do with Shadow in the Warp because of the removal of the psychic phase.
Right, yeah.
This is a really cool thing to put in there in its place.
I think it's great, and I think it's actually quite strong. Just being able to unleash it very flexibly in either player's command phase, and it doesn't even say at what point during the command phase you unleash it. So you could do this, for example, after they have done their start of command phase stuff, but before they have reached other, like other battle shock and stuff like that. So very, very interesting. I like it. I think it's
a really cool army ability.
Yeah.
Then we have the Invasion Fleet Detachment rule with hyper adaptions, which I kind of like.
It's okay.
Ish.
Feels like a bit of a miss to me, but let's see what they are.
So at the start of the first battle round, select one of the following hyper adaptions to be active for Tyranids units from your army until the end of the battle. That's where I kind of have the problem. It's not that adaptive if you just stuck in it for the whole game.
Correct.
But I guess it does mean that you can pick and choose rules depending on your opponent, which then therefore makes it adaptive. So Swarming Instincts is the first time each time a Tyranid model with this hyper adaptation makes an attack that targets an infantry or swarm unit, has sustained hits 1.
Okay.
Hyper Aggression, when you target monster or vehicle units, you get lethal hits. And then Hive Predators, if you target a character, you get Precision
On
ability on critical hits.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's just not adaptive at all. Like, this basically says, okay, is the other army just a skew list with one type of thing? Then it'll be great. If not, too bad. So it's the complete opposite of what it's supposed to be narratively, in my opinion.
Yeah, Hive Predators is, because it's precision only on critical hits, it's not very good.
I will almost never take this.
It's absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's basically between Swarming Instincts or Hyper Aggression. Exploding hits against infantry or swarm, or lethal hits against monsters or vehicles is your choice. If you do come up against an army, which is kind of a 50-50 balance, which one do you pick? I don't know. If you look at the Tyranid data sheets, I think you probably mostly pick lethal hits against vehicles, because I feel like they have some issues, especially in shooting against high toughness units.
They do.
So I think the lethal hits is compelling there because they do have that struggle. But again, if you do come up against a unit which is predominantly infantry, if you go guard it, mass infantry, well, cool, I'm just going to explode in 6 against everything.
Yeah.
So it's not the worst in the world. I don't hate it.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's as adaptive as narratively it wants to be. It is pretty cool. I would have preferred that you select at the start. If they just change it, you select at the start of the battle round.
Much better.
Cool, I like the rule.
And I would not get out of hand at all.
Yeah, no, I don't think it would.
Yeah. So after that, let's take a look at some stratagems. This is rapid regeneration, an amazing and very narrative strat. 1 command point in your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. The way that works, you select 1 Tyranid unit from the army that was selected as the target. This unit gets a 6 of Feel No Pain till the end of the phase. But wait, if they're in Synapse range, this is a 5+ Feel No Pain.
Yeah, really good.
This is an incredibly strong and ultimately narrative strat that I use a ton when I play Tyranids. 5 of Feeling Pain on demand?
Well, let's be honest with everybody. You're probably going to, as you always have with Tyranids, you're probably going to try and be keeping all of your units in synapse range if you can, especially for that 3d6 battle shock. It's so important. And so basically, this is 1 CP for 5 up Feeling Pain.
Crazy strong.
Really, really
crazy strong.
And it's shooting or fight phase as well, which I like. Adrenal Surge for 2 CP, up to 2 Tyranids units from your army in the fight phase that are within synapse range of your army and are eligible to fight, or 1 other Tyranid army from your army that is eligible to fight, if you're not within synapse range, obviously. Effect until the end of the phase, each time a model in one of those units selected makes an attack, a successful unmodified hit roll of a 5+, scores critical hits. That obviously ties in very, very nicely with your hyper adaptions if you've got sustained or lethal on, because that means that's now triggering on 5+.
Yep.
For 1 CP. 2 CP. Oh, okay.
That's the problem with this one.
I think 1 CP, that's actually good.
Yeah.
2 CP may be slightly too expensive.
I wish it was just pick 1 unit for 1 CP. Instead, it's two units for 2 CP, which is actually pretty hard to come by, honestly, especially since your opponent can interrupt you. So if you spend this on 2 units, you fight with 1, they're going to interrupt, fight the other one, kill it, so it actually doesn't matter. So there are ways of refunding strats in this army, and then I think it becomes compelling. And I have used it. It is interesting when you have things like Von Ryan's Leapers, but it's okay.
It's just okay.
Just okay.
Death Frenzy for 1 CP. What does that do?
Death Frenzy.
Death Frenzy.
1 CP in the fight phase just after an enemy has selected his targets. What?
What's that voice?
That's the general, that is. One Tyranid unit from your army that was selected as the target of 1 or more units' attacks. Basically, this is fight on death on a 4+.
Okay.
Which, it's fair. 1 CP is very cheap. You have some very big, very kill units in this codex, so understandable that it would not be guaranteed. This means that it is much worse for big monsters. It's a single roll, it's a lot writing on that. And this was something that at some points during the Tyranids history, such as Crusher Stampede, this was something that was automatic. Now it's just a 4+. I think it's fair.
Yeah, I think a Scream of Killer automatically fight on death is probably too much.
A little bit, probably.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I maybe would like a +1 if it's a single model, perhaps, or something like that. Yeah. But it's still good. It's for a single CP. It's still a good stratagem. And again, if you're going to put this on a very terrifying melee-based unit, this is where I'm okay with it being a 4+. Yeah. Same as when it was on Sisters. Not a terrifying melee unit, it's okay that it's automatic, right?
Oh, agreed.
Overrun for a CP in your fight phase just before a Tyranid unit from your army consolidates. You can select, obviously, that Tyranid unit. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes a consolidation move, it can move up to 6 inches instead of up to 3, provided your unit can end its consolidation move in unit coherency and within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units. If your unit is within synapse range of your army and not within engagement range of an enemy unit, instead of making that consolidation move, it can instead make a normal move of up to 6 inches. It's very, very wordy, but it's a very good stratagem.
It's very good. So if you're in synapse range, you don't have to move towards the closest enemy model or objective. You can just move 6 inches. It's a normal move, so you can't move within engagement range, but I don't think you can. Anyways, moving any direction is great. You can spread out, cover an objective, you can move block, you can do a lot of the tricks that this edition has said, nope, you can't do that anymore. But Tyranids say, yep, I can do it, and they get it back.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So it says you can consolidate 6 inches and end in engagement range. If you can't end in engagement range, you can just move 6 inches.
If you're in synapse.
If you're in synapse.
Which you will be.
Which is good, which you probably will be, yeah. It's a solid stratagem for a CP.
Yeah,
I like it.
It's utility. Next up, we've got Synaptic Insight. This is a 1 command point stratagem. It's cute. This is in your command phase. You select up to 2 Tyranid units from your army that are within synaptic range of your army, or 1 other that's not within synapse range. Basically what it does is, instead of using the normal synaptic ability, sorry, not instead. In addition to the normal synaptic ability, you can give them another one. So let's say you're going up against the army you said that was 50-50. You pick lethal hits, so you're good against vehicles. But they do have some infantry that you want to be good at against this turn. You pop this, 2 of your units can now get the sustained hits against those infantry in addition. It's cool. It really helps negate the weaknesses of the detachment ability.
Yeah, absolutely. You have Endless Swarm, up to 2 Endless Multitude units from your army that are within synapse range of your army, or 1 other Endless Multitude unit from your army. Effect up to D3+3 destroyed models are returned to each of the selected units. You do it in your command phase. It's basically reanimation protocols. But for Tyranids, What I really love about it is really good as well. What I really love about a lot of these Tyranid stratagems is, hey, it's better in synapse range, but it's not useless if you're not within synapse range.
Exactly. And
They've done a really good job at that, I think.
That's always been a tough thing with Tyranids, is like, how do you make it so that, and this is something we've discussed even with the designers, like, how do you make it so that they just get better when they're in synapse? Because it's less of a feel bad when you're out, you know. And I think they've really done a good job of that in this new index.
Yeah, I agree. Cool. They're solid stratagems. I think on the whole they're pretty good.
Yeah,
you know,
I like them.
They're good stratagems for Tyranid players.
I know people aren't rating this army super highly right now.
Yeah, I was about to ask you about that because I don't know much about Tyranids because it's mostly a Joe army. So, and I know you've played them. So we'll talk about that when we get to the datasheets.
Datasheets.
That's I suppose, yeah. Okay, so we have some enhancements. We start off with Alien Cunning. Tyranid model only. After both players have deployed their armies, select up to 3 Tyranid units, not 2, I can read, honest, from your army and redeploy them. When doing so, you can set up those units in strategic reserves if you wish, regardless of how many units are already in strategic reserves. It doesn't tell us when.
It does. After both players have deployed their armies.
Okay. Turn 3 is after.
I was waiting for that. The old like, yeah, so I fired 5 units ago, and Fire and Fade says after this unit has shot.
Yeah. I mean...
Get out of here.
But so this is useful if you know who's going first.
It's still useful even if not.
Okay, it's useful. It's sort of useful if you don't know who's going first, but it's very useful if you know who's going first.
Correct.
And typically in the previous edition, and I'm aware, I keep telling everyone that we can't compare to the previous edition. But in the previous edition, these abilities were always after you know who was going first.
Correct.
It seems in this edition, there seems to be 2 types. One that's before and one that's after. The one that's after is almost explicitly stating after. The one that's before is kind of a grey area where it's just do it after you've deployed.
Yeah, and most of them are like this. And it's definitively, I think, meant to be worse. You know, the Phobos captain we talked about earlier is after. It makes it very strong, but most of them are like this. Yeah. I still like it. I think this is still basically an auto-include because you have a lot of... Positioning is super important for your Tyranids, especially as we talk about some of their units, like Zoanthropes being really strong but having short range. I think it's still useful.
Here's what I kind of like about this as well. I have the option with this particular stratagem to do something like put a Screamer Killer out in the open, not in terrain, and not give a shit.
Yeah.
You're going to deploy your anti-monster, anti-tank vehicles opposite me to try and take out that Screamer Killer. I can already have maxed out my strategic reserves, and then using this, I can just drop him in strategic reserve and go, hey, I don't care what you've deployed. Yep. You can't target me if I'm off the table.
Exactly.
So for that reason, I do like it. But I kind of wish they want these to always be after the players taking the first turn.
I wish as well, and it'd make it much stronger.
Yeah. Someone said, didn't they FAQ this to not be arse? I don't know. My honest answer is I don't know.
To not be what?
Ass.
Oh.
to not be shit.
Yeah. Look, I still think it's takeable.
Cool.
Synaptic Linchpin, this is Tyranid's model only. While a friendly Tyranid's unit is within 9 of the bear, that unit is within Synapse range. I love this for 2 reasons. One, if you have Synapse already, this gives you a 9-inch Synapse instead of a 6-inch Synapse. But more importantly, you can give a unit that does not have Synapse. So for example, I'm a big fan of the Broodlord and his buddies, the Gene Stealers. And funny enough, the Broodlord does not have Synapse. So you put this on him, they can infiltrate. I think they can infiltrate in this army. I don't know, even if they can't. Yes, they can. They infiltrate, they don't advance and charge. That's what it is.
Okay.
You have the bubble. More importantly, of course, it gives that unit access to all the supercharged versions of these strats. So like Gene Stealers with him in combat, makes your opponent -1 to hit, 5+ invuln, 5+ feel of pain, 2 wounds each. It's quite durable, actually.
Yeah, I like that.
So I think this is great.
It's a good relic. I'd missed actually. I say relic. It's a good enhancement. I'd actually missed the fact that you can put it on a model that doesn't have synapse.
It's great.
I learned something today.
There you go.
Perfectly adapted. Tyranid model only. Once per turn, you can re-roll 1 hit roll, 1 wound roll, 1 damage roll, 1 advance roll, 1 charge roll, or 1 saving throw made for the bearer.
It's cute. I like that it includes damage. That's a big deal.
I'm still about it.
Yeah.
The other 2 are better so far.
Yep.
What about the third one? Is the third one better?
Let's take a look. Adaptive Biology. Oh yeah, it's better. Tyranid's model only. The bear has the Feel No Pain 5+ ability.
What? No CP?
No CP, and then at the start of any turn, if the bear has fewer than its starting number of wounds remaining until the end of the battle, it has the Feel No Pain 4+ ability. So if you dare to try to hurt them, and you don't fully kill them, they're gonna be pissed. And they're gonna be way tougher than they were before.
Oh my god. Okay, so perfectly adapted is just not being taken, ever.
No, correct. I think
Yeah, you take
pretty
the
much
other
always
three.
take the other
You
three.
take the other three, 100%.
So look, these are good enhancements.
They are good. What about the data? So I don't know much about the data sheets.
Yeah.
Like I said, I gave this to Joe to learn.
Totally.
I don't really know anything about the data sheets.
Yeah.
For me personally, this is how Tyranids should work. So I'm okay with the adaptive biology, although I wish it was slightly more adaptive. I like the shadow in the warp. I like synapse. I want my big monsters to be terrifyingly scary, a bit of rip tanks apart.
Oh, yeah.
Carnifexes peeling open land raiders. I want my little bugs to be very squishy but scuttly, high swarmy numbers. I want them to be terrible when they're not in synapse range, but good when they are in synapse range. I want things like Lictor base to be able to infiltrate and assassinate. And I want my living bombardment artillery to not necessarily be high strength, loads of damage, but to choke the battlefield with things like spore mines. That's how Tyranids should work for me.
Yeah.
Is that how they work?
Pretty close, actually.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it. I think the only thing that maybe falls short of is the big monsters smashing things and Carnifexes. So Carnifex is kind of weird. They hit on 4s now.
The standard, not the Screamer Killer.
Standard.
Yeah, Screamer Killer still hits on 3s.
Correct. However, old One Eye is cool because he has his Feeling of Pain inbuilt. He doesn't have to have a Warlord trait or anything, because that's not a thing. And he gives Chapter Master to the unit that he's in. So full hit rerolls for the Carnifex herd that he's with. And that's pretty spicy, honestly. Carnifex still have a 2-up save. And there's a few combos you can take that I really like, which also connects to the whole horde thing. Venom Thropes. If you're within 6 of them, not even wholly, you get stealth. So -1 be hit. Sorry.
Okay.
No, you get cover. You get count as being within cover, which is big because often you're going to be standing in the open in the middle if you need to. So you get cover. If you're not a monster, you get stealth on top of that. So your Gribblies are swarming around them. Your Termagants, -1 to hit. Then you also take Zone Thropes, who I actually really like a lot. They give a 6+ invuln save to any Tyranid unit within 6. So even your big monsters at least have that 6-up invuln in worst case. And your small Gribblies have a 4+ a save and a 6+ invuln. Awesome. Yeah, they deal D3 mortals if you fail Battle Shock nearby. Whatever, it's cute. Death Guard would kill for it, but we're not impressed here. The Zoanthropes I like a lot because they are one of the few things that can actually take out high toughness at range. Basically, each Zoanthrope is a 24-inch las cannon.
Okay, that's different.
And they still have good invuln saves. They give all these buffs, and they're reasonably priced. So for me, I'm looking at chunks of 6 Zoanthropes next to the Zoanthropes. Venom Thropes, so they're all getting -1 to hit, they're all getting cover, you're firing las cannons, you're making your swarms tough. Obviously the Zone Thropes are Synapse, so that big block of Termagants can also have 5+ Feeling of Pain, and it's just a big carpet of shooty move blockiness. I love it. So I think they succeeded on the hordes, making them annoying to kill. It's not impossible, and kind of like reanimation, if you can kill them in one volley, that's the way to do it. The spore stuff, I think they did a good job where you have things like biovores. Remember before it was if you miss with a biovore, you generate a spore. So you would do the little shuffle, just move them so you're a little bit less accurate so you could generate spores. Now you just choose to put a spore down instead of shooting, which makes more sense.
Yeah, cool.
So that's cool. I think that's successful. Like I said, the monsters I'm kind of on. Tyrannifex is an insane. You don't like flamers, right? You're going to hate this.
No, I know the one you're about. You're on about the 6+D6 flamer shots?
Yeah. It's real good. It is really good on a tough unit. And again, keep them in synapse range, so it's 5+
It's an 18-inch D6+6 flamers?
18-inch. -1 damage natively, 5+ Feeling of Pain on demand. Still spice them the ball.
They're really good.
They're very, very strong.
They're really good. I like them.
I think Swarmlord is amazing. He gives you the extra CP, so that for me almost by itself makes him an auto-include. The regular Hive Tyrant are the things that give you the CP refund, or 0 CP. So they're cute, but I don't know. Overall, I really like the book. I think Barbagants are crazy. I think the Neuro Tyrant is an auto take because he's a good psyker that gives -1 to the Shadow of the Warp all across the whole battlefield, infinite range.
Yeah, that's really good, actually.
Really good. So I like the book a lot. I think it's got cool design. It feels like Tyranids. I know people are saying it's not the strongest, and I think I kind of agree. It's pretty middle of the road as far as books go. So could use a bit of help, but honestly, I think it's a cool, fun place right now.
But if it's middle of the road,
that's where we should be.
Is that not the perfect place?
I agree.
Is my argument.
I think it's going to hit, as you love to talk about, the Goldilocks zone.
If this is the scale of codexes from Death Guard to Eldar, and Tyranids are here, then what we should be doing is this. We shouldn't necessarily be bringing all of this up, okay?
I agree.
And we should be pulling all that down. We should be squeezing it into the middle.
Yeah.
So if Tyranids are middle of the road, they're in a sweet spot. Yep. And the other thing that I like about being in a sweet spot in the middle of the road, for any faction in fact, is the fact that you're probably going to be left alone. And so I think that if a player is reading the indexes now and they're going out and they're buying 3D cannons and buying 3 fire prisms, and they're the sort of people that are going to be online in 6 weeks' time pissing and moaning that GW have bumped the points up and nerfed fate dice, and my army that I just literally bought because everything was fucking broken is now no longer usable. I'm like, that's on you, right? And it's partly on GW for writing the rules in the first place, but if you haven't learnt by now, in the last 3 years of 40k, if you haven't learnt by now that if it looks fucking ridiculous, it's probably going to get a nerf. And if you then cry about the fact you bought all these models, none of us are going to have any sympathy because you should have gone, that looks mad. Last night I could have taken 3 fire prisms and I could have taken 3 D cannons. And someone in chat went, you should have taken more D cannons. No, I shouldn't. I'm self-regulating here.
Right.
And I feel like more people should probably self-regulate. But Tyranids being in that middle ground does mean that you can reliably go and buy your Hive Tyrant and you can reliably go and buy your Tyrannofex. And on the whole, you're probably not going to be impacted that hard by balance changes because you sit in the middle.
Exactly.
You know?
Definitely agree.
Yeah. John's here. Look. Oh, Liam, he's
Yes!
everyone.
Liam!
Still stateside. I am,
Yeah,
John.
for
We are finishing.
couple hours.
We are finishing in about 3 minutes. And then we're going to be getting some food and getting ready for me to go and get on a jet plane.
That's the
I'm
plan.
literally flying back this evening, but I wanted to finish this season with you people, this series with you people first. It's totally intentional. 4 days of 40k.
It was deliberate.
Totally intentional.
Yeah, we're like, you know what? Let's just commit to a 14-hour series.
We haven't definitely said all the way through this that this is a complete mistake. Anywho, we're going to jump into fan funding right at the end here, Adrian.
We did it.
There's still no more gifted memberships.
Wow,
We peaked at 25 or 30, that was it.
That's not really close to 100, is it?
It's nowhere near 100, no,
No.
it makes me sad.
Tragic.
It's fine, it is what it is, it's okay. Right, we've got one as well. One of the final super chats.
Oh, okay, excellent.
From El Ginge.
Hey, what?
El Ginge.
That's cool.
Yeah. Oh, John, no.
Oh my God, John.
The thing is with the delay as well, he hasn't done that because of what I've just said. He's just doing that anyway because he's John.
Because he's an animal.
Because he's an animal. Even with the adaptive trait, Nids are weak into high toughness or good armor without spamming Zoanthropes.
Yep.
I don't want to be a Manikema, but I don't see any other option when the chips are down. And when he says he doesn't want to be a Manikema, for those of you that are normally a Titans fan, he's a UK tournament player, came second in the ITC last year. He's an exceptional player. He is an exceptional player. I'll give Manny credit where credit's due. I've played against him on stream.
Sure.
He's a lovely guy, but he openly admits that his nickname is Spammy Manny.
Yeah.
Because he spams anything that's good.
Anything that's busted.
Yeah, he's like Joe up to 11, because Joe basically does the same thing, right? But he spams anything that's good. And I think spamming Zoanthropes is actually a tactic.
I would not fault you at all. That's one of the reasons that I talked about Zoanthropes is because, yeah, there is not a lot of solutions for high toughness. And guess what? Knights are going to be real good. We're going to see them. You're going to want to take down Magnus. So I think it's fine. Go for it. Honestly, I think it's less oppressive than the way they were before, the Zoanthropes. And that's frankly why this was one of the very first units when we got the indexes. I opened it up. I was like, let's see what the Zoanthropes do now that the Psychic phase is gone. What is their role? And I was like, they're las cannons? This is cool. It makes sense.
They're like Exalted Flamers now, kind of.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what they did in the Demon book for ages.
Exactly.
Zoanthropes are my favourite Tyranid-looking unit.
They're so cool.
The floaty giant brain bug of power has been my favourite unit. And when we started building Tyranids for the channel, I was originally going to be the person that played them. And I was like, hey, Joe, here's 12 Zoanthropes.
Yeah.
Because they were also busted in the previous rules as well for their mortal wound damage output.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe built and painted the Tyranids, and he come back to me, he's like, I actually really enjoyed it, so can I play Tyranids? I was like, yeah, cool, I don't mind, that's fine.
So kind of you.
So you get, yeah, I'm a nice guy. Yeah. I know it doesn't necessarily sometimes look like I'm a nice guy, Adrian. I'm a kind and loving guy.
I know you're a lover.
I'm a kind and loving guy.
Yeah.
So you know.
Exactly.
So he got the Tyranids, and I'm the same. I was like, Zoanthropes are cool. I felt like they were a feels bad in the previous edition.
Exactly.
And if you took them, people were going to go, oh my God, you are that person with the amount of mortal wounds that they put out.
It was just not fun.
Yeah.
It was not fun.
Hey ho.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, I've just seen that as well. Terrible. So Tyranids are in a nice place, is what we're saying overall.
Yeah.
And I think, actually, if we think about everything we spoke about in the last 4 days, Tyranids, middle of the road, a lot of factions, middle of the road. Some are just under middle of the road. For me, for example, Sisters, just under middle of the road, but not a lot to take them to bring them back up.
Yeah.
Some armies a little bit over middle of the road, maybe Grey Knights, for example. A couple of factions stand out ridiculous for me. Eldar, Knights Custodies maybe, and one of them sits 1,000 Suns, and still some of them aren't too bonkers and only need tweaks to bring them back into line. And a couple of armies that are just suffering. Death Guard AdMac, arguably also Votan.
Yeah.
If we can take those bottom 3, those top 4, we can just kind of bring them into where everything else is.
Yeah.
And I think that will happen, and I think GW will address it. We're talking about what could be a really fun and enjoyable edition.
Yeah.
I understand there are concerns out there from people about it's just a shooting edition and everyone's getting blown off the table in 2 turns. We might be wrong, right? You guys might be right, but we cannot actually decide that that is the case until we've had 3 or 4 months of this edition being in the hands of everybody.
Yeah, we got to play, we got to see what pans out. Terrain still needs to be kind of decided on. I think part of the reason there's so much outrage is because the extremes are so extreme. You know, we're looking at the worst factions and the best factions. They're both just kind of crazy in either direction. But it's easy to forget that the majority of the books are in this middle line. So there's definitely problems. But we'll work through it together as a community, play games, have fun. You know, that's what it's about. And take the good with the bad for now.
Yeah.
I expect changes and updates for sure.
Yeah, 100%. I would be actually, so we're now on Friday the 23rd. Leviathan comes out officially tomorrow.
Oh.
There is pictures all over social media of people already receiving their Leviathan boxes. GW clearly haven't messed around and getting these boxes out to people to make sure they're not disappointed. And so most of you should have it either today or tomorrow, I would assume. If you have ordered it, if you have used the Element Games link, if you're in the UK, thank you so much for using that link. It's amazing because it financially supports the channel as well. But get your hands on it, knuckle down, read those rules, play, try and enjoy yourself. Try not to focus on the broken shit right now. And hopefully in a few months' time, we'll start to see some of the changes. I actually wouldn't be massively surprised. Don't quote me on this. I have no idea. There's no intuition going on here. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a day 1 FAQ drop as well. So keep your eye on the community page over the course of the next at least week. Because even if it's not tomorrow, maybe sometime next week, we might see a couple of tweaks and updates and changes. I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah.
And although I don't like the idea of selling a printed book that you're then going to update, I also do want to praise them for making changes if something's clearly busted, rather than going, nope, we're fucking right, you're wrong, we're sticking to what we're doing. So I think that's a positive, actually, from GW in the whole. Yeah. Now, right. We have a lunatic in chat.
Oh, God.
John McCardle has just gifted 100 memberships, Adrian, in one go.
Oh, my God. Oh.
That's mad.
You're so generous, John. Really
mad.
Appreciate it.
Now,
Thank you.
I didn't say I was going to do a giveaway today.
Yeah.
Because it costs £100 of time.
Yeah.
And I'm also now not going to sit on the chat for another 15 minutes whilst we let the giveaway fill up.
Sure.
What I might do, because of John, is I might do this same giveaway on Wednesday on the next 40k show, which will be 9 o'clock in the evening in the UK, which is 1 p.m. in the afternoon if you're here in the US, on the Pacific side at least, right? I might do the giveaway then just because we've hit the 100 members because of John alone, and I feel like that's nice because it's one person dropping 100 memberships. I'm okay with doing that. So thank you, John. You're a legend. He's also super chatted, Ted, and said, "Adrian, you're welcome. No rest for you."
I know, right?
No rest for Adrian.
No rest for the wicked.
No rest for the wicked.
Oh my God! I wouldn't so lucky you're doing what we do. I wouldn't do anything else.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Awesome.
I love it. It's been a lot of work this series. I've actually really enjoyed going through it all as well.
It was super fun, super educational for us. So hopefully it was helpful for everyone at home. Had a blast. I'm really excited to. Now that we've gone through everything, we've done all the launch stuff, and we're kind of going to be getting really into it, I'm excited to take second passes of these armies, play stuff, build new models. I am
Try
so
new
excited.
combinations. Yeah, absolutely.
I cannot wait.
Brian, thank you for the 2. I let my Death Guard friend play the Chaos Space Marine rules, and it went good for him. So he let him use Chaos Space Marine rules as his Death Guard models.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
That's fun.
There we go. And Mordy Hammer, thank you for the poo. You guys have been amazing in supporting the streams whilst I've been out here. I really appreciate you. Obviously, this isn't normal for us. We would normally do a game on a Tuesday, a game on a Thursday.
Yeah.
We'd normally have later streams on the Wednesday and Friday. We couldn't do that because we made a promise that was actually harder to.
But we did deliver. Yeah. We could have quit at any time.
Yeah, John was saying he wanted to see you cry. He was saying no rest for you because he thought I was going to start the giveaway right now.
Oh, yeah.
And time it for 15 minutes.
I'm so hungry.
If you want to be involved in the giveaway, if that's what John was after, if he was after a giveaway, if you want to be involved in the giveaway, come and hang out with us next Wednesday. You could, what?
When did you do the other giveaway?
Yesterday?
No, the one for
it might have drawn
members and everything.
The one who's for Jarl tier and above.
Jarls.
The combat patrol box.
The Jarls.
The Jarl tier and above.
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
We've been talking about
you remember that? I forgot.
This is a cool thing that you do.
There's a notification in my Discord. No, it hasn't drawn. Oh, has it? Has it drawn? Has it drawn? Giveaways.
Ooh.
Melody. Time remaining in a day.
In a day.
I feel like the giveaway was set up wrong. Which is not. It's not the person. Like it's my fault because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing my giveaway. It's my team do it for me because they're amazing. It goes off in like 3 hours or something.
Ooh.
No, I can't see it. I can't scroll.
Oh
I can't scroll. My phone's not letting me do it.
Craziness.
Up. It doesn't landscape either, so I can't see.
Wow.
There's a giveaway. Basically, if you just got gifted a membership from John McCardle, what you can do now is you can exclamation mark member and click the link, or you can go over to the channel section and go manage membership, and you can upgrade to a Jarl tier. It costs you £4 extra, and he's already paid the first bite for you. Then you can go into Discord, and you haven't got long left. It looks like it goes off in a day. And you can click the enter button in the council section if you're a Jarl tier. You get automatically entered into a giveaway if you click that button. And at some point, the bot will draw a winner at random and you will win a combat patrol box of your choice, as long as I can get hold of it if it's in stock. If it's not in stock, you can still wait for it. That's perfectly fine. But you'll obviously wait for it to come in stock, okay?
Yup.
Thank you, people. You're all amazing. I love you all. I want to say a massive thank you to everybody who supported all of the streams since I turned up last Thursday. So we streamed on Friday. We did a ton of work over the weekend on the Titans channel. We streamed on Tuesday. We streamed on Wednesday. We streamed on Thursday. We streamed today as well. So thank you so much to everybody who's shown up and hung around and chat. Our average viewer numbers have been up. I'm very grateful. I hope you guys continue to stick around after I leave the Titans studio. I want to say a massive thank you to Adrian and the team for hosting me for the week. It's been amazing hanging out with you guys.
You make it so easy, man.
Me and Bridget, thank you, man. Me and Bridget have had so much fun on the streams. You can check those out on the Titans channel.
Yes.
One of them's for members only. I would honestly urge all of you people to consider becoming a Titans member because they do incredible work. They have a whole team of people, a big studio, and there's a monumental back catalogue. And there's a load of cool stuff coming as well.
There's so much exciting stuff going on, including join us tomorrow, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We, of course, have finally received all the Combat Patrol stuff, and we haven't played any of these games. So we're going to be playing one tomorrow. It's going to be John and myself. Slowly but surely, everyone's abandoning me. Mel left for a traveling trip a couple days ago. Brian left the day afterwards. Liam's leaving now. It's very, very sad. So it's going to be just John and I with this very special show doing some Combat Patrol. Join us. Be curious on your thoughts on that. So yeah, it's been awesome having you on, man.
Richard said 22 hours left on the giveaways. You've got less than a day to upgrade to Jarl and get involved in the
Get in there now, because if you don't do it now, you're going to forget.
Yeah.
I'd forget.
Anyway, like I said, for all you people that have come over from Titans, thank you so much for supporting the channel. It's amazing. I love these guys. It's been incredible to come out for the second time. I said on the Good Talk yesterday I want to try and come out more often.
It'd be great.
It's like my second home studio now.
Yeah.
I love it here. These guys are incredible.
Always
if
welcome.
you are my audience and you haven't checked out Titans, go look at their channel. Honestly, one of the reasons why we do what we do is because of what these guys do, because we basically tried to copy you essentially in terms of games, just we do it in a tiny little garage.
Yeah.
Tiny squeezed in little space. You've been there.
I have been there.
Cozy.
Yeah. It's very intimate with Joe.
Yeah, maybe too intimate with Joe. Thank you so much to Brazen Painter for upgrading to Jarl. You guys are amazing.
Cheers.
Brian went yesterday, John. He went yesterday morning. He just left.
I know.
He just upped and left.
He did.
And then he called us today from the Bahamas again, just like a flex, I guess.
I know. And he was like, oh, I'm going to be traveling again next week. Wow,
Yeah.
Must be nice.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not nice. I hate traveling that much.
Yeah, take Liam out for some pizza in it.
Yeah, pizza in it. we need to trademark pizza in it before someone else does, because the idea's out there now.
Yeah. Basically, chat, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get home. I'm going to start planning my next trip
Sounds great.
at some point.
I love it.
They won't ever come over to England because it's cold and stuff.
I want to come over. Yeah, I want to come over.
Good. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are all incredible, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.